I added all 26 letters from alphabet lore into Minecraft. First I made A, and I used an axolotl to make A because A starts with axolotl. Wait, no, it's the other way around. I'm not going to lie, my A looked kind of ugly, so because of that, I added some grill lines on his teeth to really give it detail. And because he is A, I decided to spawn him on an acacia tree. Now you might be thinking I should have put him in the water, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Next I made B, and I made B from a bee because, well, you know. Everything about him was looking pretty good, but then I realized B has these eyes that are really annoying to make. So I gave him these messed up eyes, and I also got rid of the grill lines. I don't know why I did that in the first place. B is supposed to be a butterfly, so we'll pretend his wings are flapping because I don't know how to do that. Also, here's a bee army chasing me because I didn't subscribe before 500k. Next, I'll be making both C and D. For C, I used a creeper, and C is kind of curved, so I spent 5 minutes trying to perfectly rotate these pieces. I then added his teeth and gave him these angry looking eyes, and finally added some noise because noise makes everything better. Next for D, I used a dolphin, and I copied this piece with a squished dolphin's face on it until I had the shape of a D. I then gave him a sideways mouth and added his eyes, which make him look like he has 159 children in his basement. I then put C in the C, even though C doesn't start with C because C and C are both pronounced C, so it makes sense. And then I put D in the C as well because he's a dolphin. Now all either of them have to worry about is pirates. And drowning because apparently C can't breathe underwater. The next letter is E, and for E I used the only logical mob, the Ender Dragon. I had to delete his entire body until I was left with half of his head, and then I turned his head into the shape of an E and finally added some teeth and his eyes right above that. I don't know how you would be able to kill the Ender Dragon now that you can barely see it, but that's not my problem. Well, actually it kinda is. Next I made F, and F is a bad guy, so I made him a frog because these are the only two mobs that start with F. I gave F these really ugly teeth that look nothing like the original, and then I decided to get fancy and rotate his eyes. Since F attacks everybody, we'll pretend that this slime is E and he is being eaten by F. We'll also make F kidnap D because why not? Next I made G, and I won't lie, I already made G before, so I decided to copy paste him onto a ghast. For some reason G is really big and also flies around, which is probably not accurate. Also in the intro, F runs over G, so I tried to make that in the best way I possibly could. But then he shot fireballs at me, so I gave up. Next I'm going to make H and I. For H I used a horse, and he was quite easy to make. I added his eyes and his curved mouth, and then I was done. For I used an iron golem, and I decided to make him from a single leg. It turns out that I is also easy to make. All I really had to do was add his eyes and his tiny smile. I put H in a house, and I even rode him, which made me technically flying because H is a ghost. Then I put horse armor on H just to see how it would look. Let's just get rid of this. Next I spawned I in an igloo because what better place for an iron golem to live? I also thought he looked really funny when he walked because he's just a leg. The next letters are J and K. And as it turns out, there are no mobs that start with J or K, so I decided to use mobs that might sound like they do. For J I used a giant, which could be spelt with a J if you're in kindergarten and don't know letters yet. J looks really sus, and I think it's even worse that I decided to make him really big. You also can't really do anything except hit him, so let's move on. For K I used a cow, and I literally just spelt it wrong in my script, so this fits perfectly. I added this thing on top of its head and gave it some eyes and this bug mouth thing. I then decided to put K with B because they are both bugs. Also putting them together stands for Burger King. The next letter is LMNOP. Did anyone else used to think that was one big letter? Anyways, there's only one mob that starts with L, and that's the llama. Spit. Llama spit. I made L out of llama spit, which apparently counts as a mob. I then spawned a llama in the game and made it spit on me. I don't know what I was expecting from this, but this definitely wasn't it. For M, I decided to use a minecart, which also isn't a mob. I only used the front part to make him and spent too much time trying to rotate these pieces. I then added his eyes and his squiggly mouth and spawned M in a mineshaft. He doesn't really do much on his own, but you can kind of use him as a car. A very slow car, of course. There are no mobs that start with N, so instead I decided to make him from the nether. I don't really know what my plan was, and I ended up just putting a picture of N on top of netherrack. At least now when I enter the nether, it looks a lot worse. He also could possibly be the new Netflix logo. This is actually just a cover-up for the fact that I forgot to make N when I was making the other letters. For O, there is only one mob that I can use, which is the ocelot. O is annoying to make because O is a circle and Minecraft isn't known for its circles. But once I was done the circle, all I had to do was add his eye. After that, I decided to spawn O in Ohio. No, seriously, I don't know how this map even ended up on my PC. I even used H and I to spell out Ohio and then exited the world, trapping them in Ohio forever. For P, I decided to use a phantom. I've also already made P before, so I just copy-pasted her onto a phantom. Since P is a superhero, seeing her fly actually makes sense. But she is still very annoying like a regular phantom. Seriously, stop hitting me, the clip is over. Next I made Q, and nothing starts with Q, so I used a turtle. I added his big mouth, the little spots on his body, and finally I added his eyes. I spawned Q on the beach, and he was really slow, just like he should be. So I spawned an army of Qs, and then I gave them all slowness, and they literally couldn't even move. Is this mean? I don't know. Next I made R, and I made him from a Ravager. I used the Ravager's head as a body, and I gave him his eye, and finally I added his mouth. When I saw him in game, I realized I added too much noise, and he looks like concrete powder. Also, for some reason, R randomly has the ability to fly. Wait, no, that's just E pushing him. The next letters are S and T, and for S I decided to use a snow golem. At this point, I was getting really lazy, so instead of making a 3D mob, I just drew S on top of a plane, and that was it. S is a snake, so I put him in the sand, but then I realized that's not exactly where snow golems go. So I put S in the snow instead, and then I made him have a snowball fight with me. I also spawned an army of them and made them fight a bunch of zombies, and they lost. Really badly. For T, I used my favorite mob, a trident. I don't know how a trident counts as a mob, but it's already in the shape of a T, so this was pretty easy to make. Now I look really cool when I'm using Riptide, and I can also use T to strike lightning. But that's basically it. As it turns out, making a custom trident is kinda boring. Next, I decided to make U, and nothing starts with U, so I decided to make him from U, like U is in the viewer. I'm just kidding, I actually used a goat. I rotated these two corner pieces, which ended up looking really bad, and then I gave him his eyes and his mouth. After making U, I also add all the letters to spell my favorite word. Oh wait, I spelled it wrong. Next I made V, and V is a villager. Once again, I decided to only use a leg to make him, and at first I made a U because I forgot how letters work. I then rotated the two sides and gave him a couple eyes and a tiny mouth. His mouth didn't really look right, but at this point I didn't care, so I spawned V in a village, and there were arms above his head, which I also didn't feel like fixing. The final four letters are W, X, Y, and Z. And for W, I decided to use the Warden. I'm sorry, Wither. I don't understand why I have such a hard time rotating these pieces, but it ended up like this, and this is the best it's gonna get. I then added 4 of the exact same eyes to W, and then made a very complicated mouth to put on each side. I would rate W as 0 out of 10 in terms of design, but she looks really funny coming out of the ground. I can even spam W's in the chat and then get chased by all of them. Please help. There are no mobs that start with X, so I used the honorable mention from W, the Wither. I shaped him into an X, which was easy, and then I added these purple things on each side. Next, I drew all the details on his face, and then I added these things behind him. Since X is a ninja, I decided to fight him in hand-to-hand combat to see who would win. But X decided to cheat and shoot a bunch of Wither heads at me instead, causing me to resort to ancient fighting tactics to secure the victory. I made Y out of a wolf because I don't know anymore, I just picked something random. I rotated these two pieces to make the shape of a Y, and then I gave her 2 eyes which blend in perfectly with her body and gave her a mouth that looks like it's from an emoji. I don't really know what I'm doing anymore, so enjoy this video of me taming a bunch of Ys. The final letter is Z, and somehow there is actually a mob that starts with Z, a zombie. So I made Z from a zombie head instead, which apparently counts as a mob. Since Z is a planet, I am demonstrating that by standing on top of Z. I even tried to spawn every letter on top of him, which didn't work at all. If the creator of Alphabet Lore is watching this, I'm sorry. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into Poppy Playtime 3. The first character I'll make is Catnap, and I'm gonna use a cat. It should be obvious why. First, let's remove this stuff, and we'll rearrange his body parts for now. Now let's change the shape of his body a little bit, and we'll make his legs a bit bigger like this. Now let's give him some arms on the side, and now let's start to shape his head. Next, I'm gonna give him some ears on the top of his head, and we'll start to give him a big tail right here. Alright, now this is looking good, so let's color him in. First, we'll color his body fully purple, and I'm gonna give him a mouth up here. Next, I'm gonna color in this nose piece, and we'll start to give him some eyes. Now let's add the moon that he has on his chest. Next, I'm gonna change his face a little bit like this, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Catnap looks in game. As you can see, this guy looks really happy, which I'm sure means he's very friendly and not at all scary. Catnap is very powerful as he's able to do a lot of damage, and if you get attacked by Catnap, I made it so that he chases you on all fours like this. I take back what I said about him before. He's definitely scary. Catnap has a ranged attack, which is supposed to be him shooting gas, and when Catnap hits you, he will change it to nighttime because he wears the moon pendant. Catnap will also drop this night clock if he dies, which makes it nighttime as long as you are holding it in your hand. If you try to use a bed when Catnap is around, he will destroy the bed so that you cannot sleep. And Catnap is also immune to fall damage because he's a cat, and cats are usually immune to fall damage. Overall, I don't think Catnap turned out that bad, but he also looks a little bit funny. So because of this, I'm going to give Catnap an 8 out of 10. Next, I'll make Dog Day, and I'm gonna use a wolf because a wolf is a dog. First, we'll remove some of the stuff we don't need, and I'm gonna move his body around a little bit for now. Next, let's give him some new legs like this, and we'll change the shape of his body. Now I'm gonna copy one of the legs and turn it into an arm, and I'll give him a hand on the bottom of his arm. Now let's start to change the shape of his head, and we'll give him some spots for his eyes up here. Now let's give him some big floppy ears on the top, and I think this is looking pretty good, so now let's color him in. First, we'll color his entire body in orangish yellow. Now I'm gonna give him a mouth like this. Next, we'll color his ears a reddish color, and we'll do the same for his arms and his feet. Now let's color these divider things a dark gray, and I'm gonna give him a nose like this. Next, let's draw the sun on the front of his chest. Alright, I think this is looking good. Let's add Dog Day to the game. This is how Dog Day looks in game. As you can see, he looks pretty good. Also, just like Catnap, he doesn't really look that scary. He has more of a friendly look. But don't let this trick you though, as Dog Day has the same chasing animation that I gave to Catnap. I think I'm just gonna stay in creative mode for now. Since Dog Day has the sun pendant, I made it so that when Dog Day hits you, he turns it to daytime instead of night. Dog Day is also able to spawn smiling critters to help him fight since he's the leader. But right now, he can only spawn Catnap because I haven't made any of the other ones. If you kill Dog Day, he will drop a Sun Axe, and the Sun Axe is insanely powerful as it does 19 attack damage and it can also destroy almost any block. Overall, I think Dog Day turned out a lot better than Catnap. I actually like how he looks this time. So because of this, I'm going to give Dog Day a 10 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Bobby Bear Hug, and I'll use a polar bear because she's a bear. First, let's get rid of a few things. Next, I'm gonna move these parts around a bit. Now let's give her some new legs, and we'll make her body a lot smaller like this. Next, I'm gonna bend her body a little bit, and I'll just start to give her some arms on the side right here, and we'll just copy this to the other side. Next, I'm gonna start shaping her head, and we'll give her some ears on the top like this. Okay, that looks good. Now it's time to color her in. First, I'm gonna color her body a dark red, and we'll color her feet and hands a light pink. Now let's give her a big mouth like this, and we'll start to add her eyes on the top of the head. Next, let's give her some bright white pupils, and I'm gonna add a few more pink details. Next, let's give her a nose like this, and we'll add the heart that she has on her chest. Alright, I think this looks good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Bobby Bear Hug looks in game. I don't know why, but she kind of reminds me of Freddy Fazbear. It's probably because they are both bears actually. That would make sense. Unlike Dog Day and Catnap, I decided to make it so that Bobby Bear Hug is passive towards players, and you are actually able to tame her if you feed her raw fish, because I'm pretty sure bears like fish. Once you tame Bobby Bear Hug, she will follow you around, and if you ever get low on health, you can right click her and you will be healed to full health immediately. So she's pretty OP if you think of it. Bobby Bear Hug will also attack any mobs that are fighting you, and she does a ton of melee damage because bears are very powerful in real life. If you kill Bobby Bear Hug, I made her drop a heart, which just gives you a heart when it's right clicked. And overall, I don't think Bobby Bear Hug turned out that bad. I actually kind of like this design. So because of this, I decided to give her a 9 out of 10. Next, I'll make Bubba Bubbafint, and I'm gonna use a Ramager because it kind of looks like an elephant. So first, let's just get rid of all this stuff, and I'm gonna start with Bobby Bear Hug's body. So let's change these ears into more elephant looking ears, and we'll change the nose into a big trunk like this. Next, I'm gonna reshape the heart into the shape of a light bulb, and we'll just change his tail on the back as well. Okay, now this is good. Let's give him some new colors. First, we'll color his body a light blue, and we'll give him the same color on his head. Next, I'm gonna color his feet and hands a darker blue, and we'll put this on the end of his tail as well. Now let's color in the light bulb on his chest, and I'm just gonna add a few more details all around his body, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's add him to the game. This is how Bubba Bubbafint looks in game. He looks a lot like Bobby Bear Hug, but to be fair, all the critters kind of look the same when you don't know what their monster form is like. Since Bubba Bubbafint is an elephant, I decided to give him a ranged attack, which is supposed to be water shooting out of his trunk. He does shoot a lot of water though, so I'm not really sure how he fits it in his trunk. You might have also noticed that Bubba Bubbafint emits light, and that's because his pendant is a light bulb, so I literally just made him a light bulb. Bubba Bubbafint also can do a ton of melee damage like Bobby Bear Hug, and this is because an elephant is also a really powerful animal, I'm guessing. If you kill Bubba Bubbafint, you will drop a light bulb, and the light bulb works just like a torch, except you are not able to place it. It's only meant to be held. Overall, I don't think Bubba Bubbafint turned out that bad, and because of this, I decided to give him an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Piggy Piggy, and I'll use a pig because she's a pig. So first, I'm gonna remove all these pig parts, and we're going to start with Bubbafin's body. So let's completely remove the trunk, and we'll start to make the ears a lot more pig-shaped. Next, I'm gonna give her a completely new nose, and I'm gonna change this light bulb into the shape of an apple like this. Now let's remove this tail, and we'll turn it into a spirally tail. Okay, now this is good, so it's time to change her colors. First, I'm gonna color her body light pink, and we'll color her head the same color. Now let's color her nose a darker pink, and we'll use the same color for her hands and her feet. Next, let's color in the apple we put on her chest. Now finally, let's color in the tail, and I think this is looking good. Let's add Picky Piggy to the game. This is how Picky Piggy looks in game. I don't know why, but her face looks a little bit scary. But other than that, she doesn't look that bad, I guess. I don't know, it's just really weird. Similar to Bobby Bear Hug, if you right-click Picky Piggy, she will give you hunger instead of health. And this is good because you no longer need to kill pigs to get food now. Picky Piggy is also really picky according to her name, so I made it so that she attacks regular pigs, as she's very particular about what pigs she likes. If you kill Picky Piggy, I made it so that she drops a suspicious apple, and this apple just gives you a couple of potion effects, which kind of have me wondering what she did to the apple. Overall, I think Picky Piggy turned out pretty good, but her face just looks a little bit scary. So because of this, I decided to give her a 7 out of 10. Next, I'll make Crafty Corn, and I'm gonna use a horse because that's almost a unicorn. So like usual, we'll remove all this horse stuff, and I'm gonna start from Picky Piggy's body. So let's just change these ears a little bit, and we'll start to give her some hair on the top like this. Next, I'm gonna add her unicorn horn on the top, and we'll change this apple into the shape of a flower. Now let's remove this tail, and we'll make it into a bushier tail like this. Okay, now this is looking good, so let's change her colors. First, we'll color her entire body white, and we'll do the same thing on her head. Now let's color her hair light blue, and we'll color her hands and feet the same color. Next, let's color in the flower that is on her chest, and I'm gonna color her unicorn horn a bit darker than her body, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Crafty Corn looks in game. I will say she's probably one of my favorite non-monster critters right now. Also ignore the particles she's emitting. I just gave them to her because it felt like something she would do. You may have also noticed that every time Crafty Corn moves, a trail of rainbow colored blocks follows her because her pendant is a rainbow flower, so it only makes sense. Another thing you can do is tame Crafty Corn using some wheat, and after you tame Crafty Corn, you are able to ride her similar to a horse. And this honestly looks really cool when it's paired with the rainbow trail that she has. If you kill Crafty Corn, she drops a rainbow sword, which is just a really OP sword that strikes lightning every time you hit something, and it also has a chance of exploding when using it as well. Just ignore the way it looks in my hand though, I don't know how this happened. And overall, I think Crafty Corn is one of my favorite critters so far. So because of this, I decided to give her a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Hoppy Hopscotch, and I'll use a rabbit because she's a rabbit. First, let's remove all these rabbit parts, and I'm gonna start from Bubbafin's body because it will be easier. So let's just change these ears into long rabbit ears, and I'm gonna change the light bulb into a lightning bolt like this. Now let's give her a completely different looking tail, and now this is good, so I'm gonna change her colors. First, I'm gonna color her body entirely green, and we'll just do the same thing on her face. Now let's color her hands and feet a bit darker green, and I'm gonna color her tail the same color. Next, I'm gonna add a bit more detail all around her body, and I think this looks pretty good. Let's add her to the game. This is how Hoppy Hopscotch looks in game. She kinda has the same Freddy Fazbear looking face from before, but she still looks pretty good, despite not looking like a bunny. As you can see, Hoppy Hopscotch is really fast, and since she's a bunny, I decided to make it so that she can jump really high as well. And if you want some of this jumping power for yourself, you can right click on Hoppy Hopscotch and you will get jump boost for 30 seconds as well. If Hoppy Hopscotch gets in a fight, she strikes lightning on the enemy because her pendant is a lightning bolt, and if you kill Hoppy Hopscotch, she drops these green boots, which when worn will give you permanent jump boost just like she has. Overall, I think Hoppy Hopscotch turned out pretty good. I especially like her ears. So because of this, I decided to give her an 8 out of 10. Next, I'll make Kickin' Chicken, and I'm obviously gonna use a chicken. First, I'm gonna remove the chicken like this, and just like the last time, we'll use Bubbafint as a base. So let's just get rid of this trunk, and we'll get rid of his ears. Next, I'm gonna make his face a bit bigger like this. Next, I'm gonna change the light bulb into a star. Now let's change his hands into wings, and I'm gonna add the hair that he has on his head right here. Next, I'm gonna give him a new tail like this, and I'm gonna add the beak on his face right here. Okay, now this looks good, so let's start to color him in. First, we'll color his body entirely yellow, and I'm gonna do the same thing on his head. Next, we'll color his feet orange. Now let's color his star a reddish color, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's add Kickin' Chicken to the game. This is how Kickin' Chicken looks in game. This is definitely my least favorite smiling critter, I won't lie. But the fact that he's able to fly makes up for it a little bit. It makes him look more unique. It also gives him this cool flying animation, which doesn't actually look that cool. It looks a little bit weird, actually. If Kickin' Chicken gets in a fight, he does a ton of knockback because he has Kickin' chicken in his name. Also similar to Picky Piggy, Kickin' Chicken also doesn't like regular chickens, but this time it has no reason. He's just a hater, I guess. If you kill Kickin' Chicken, I made it so that he drops a star, and upon right-clicking the star, you will just start levitating in the air until you make it to the stars. And overall, I think Kickin' Chicken doesn't look that good, but I like some of the features that he has. So because of this, I decided to give him a 7 out of 10. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into the amazing digital circus. The first character I'll make is Pomni, and I'm going to use a villager to make her. First, let's get rid of this stuff because we don't need it. Now let's change the shape of her body and we'll start shaping her legs. Next, I'm gonna give her some arms, and I'll just add a hand on the bottom here. Next, I'm gonna change the shape of her head, and let's start to add her hat on the top as well. And I think that's a pretty good body, so now let's start to color her in. First, let's color her head white, and we'll do the same for her arms and legs as well. Now let's color in these yellow parts like this. Next, let's color in her clothes, and I'll make sure to add the blue spots on the other side. Now let's put these buttons that she has on the front of her shirt like this, and now it's time to give her a face. So first, I'm gonna add her eyes like this, and I'm also gonna give her a strand of hair on each side of her head as well. And I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Pomni looks in game. She doesn't look that bad. I like how I made her constantly looking around paranoid, just like how she is in the show. We'll just ignore the fact that she's bald on the back of her head though. I'm pretty sure her hat is supposed to cover that. In the show, Pomni throws up on the ground, so I made it so that when she hits you, you get the nausea effect. It is also said that Pomni doesn't like being touched, so I made it so that she runs away from enemies very quickly if she gets attacked. In the show, Pomni tries to escape the circus through a bunch of exit doors, so I made it so that Pomni can open doors by herself, just like a regular villager. Pomni also gets teleported to the void if you right-click her, because I just felt like adding that. I don't really know why. If you kill Pomni, she drops her red hand, which gets glitched in the first episode, so if you hold this hand out for yourself, you get teleported around randomly, sort of like you're glitching. And a fun fact about Pomni is that her favorite food is salmon, so you can also feed Pomni salmon. Overall, I think Pomni turned out pretty good and has a lot of interesting features. So because of this, I decided to give Pomni a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Cain, and I'll use an evoker to make him. First, let's get rid of all this stuff that we don't need, and let's change the shape of his leg and bend it like this. Next, I'm gonna work on his arms, so let's just rotate this piece like this, and we'll give him a hand and copy this over to the other side as well. Next, I'm gonna change his head into the shape of some gums like this, and let's just add some teeth on the top in the same shape as well. Next, I'll give him his top hat on top of the mouth. Okay, now this is looking good, so let's give him some color. First, I'm gonna color his gums bright red, and we'll color the teeth white like this. Next, I'm gonna color in his eyes, and let's color his shirt a pinkish color as well. Okay, now this looks good, so let's just add some detail to his shirt right here, and we'll give him his different color eyeballs as well. Now let's give him his stick, because I forgot to do that. And I think that Cain is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Cain looks in game. He actually looks really good. Also ignore the cakes that are spawning around him. I'll explain that in a second. Since Cain is the host of the digital circus, I decided to make it so that Cain is completely invincible to all types of damage except for cactuses. Cain is also seen teleporting throughout the episode, so I made it so that Cain teleports away if he takes too much damage, similar to the TV people in my Skibbity videos. Cain also spawns cake randomly around him, as you can see, because he spawned a cake out of thin air in the first episode. Unfortunately, there is no bubble to eat this cake right now. We'll just have to wait until later for that. If Cain somehow manages to die, he drops a stick, which can be used to either remove any block you right-click on with it, or you can send any mob to the void if you right-click them as well. Overall, I think Cain turned out really good. He's definitely one of my favorite mobs I've made. So because of this, I decided to give Cain a 10 out of 10. He deserves it. The next character I'll make is Jax, and I'm gonna use a rabbit because Jax is a rabbit, I think. First, I'm gonna get rid of some of the stuff we don't need, and let's rearrange his body parts a little bit for now. Next, let's make his legs super tall like this, and we'll change the shape of his body to make it a bit taller as well. Now let's give him a neck like this, and I'll just change the shape of his head to make it a bit more round. Now let's just add his ears on the very top, and now it's time to give Jax some arms. And I think this is good, so let's give Jax some color. First, I'm gonna color his head purple, and we'll do the same for his arms and body as well. Now let's color his overalls a pinkish color, and we'll do the same for his legs like this. Next, I'm gonna color both of his hands a yellowish color, and we'll just give him 2 buttons here, and now it's time to add his face. First, I'm gonna give him a big yellow mouth, and let's just give him some eyes above that. I'm also gonna give him a couple eyebrows above his eyes like this, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Jax looks in game. He honestly looks pretty similar to the actual show. The only difference is that he's obviously made of cubes though, so he could never be as good as the original. It was kind of hard for me to think of features to give Jax, so he only really has a couple. To start, Jax is super tall, as you can see, just like he is in the actual series, and you can also see Jax run away really quickly in the first episode, so I made it so that Jax is super fast in game as well. You can also ride on Jax's back for some reason. I'm not really sure why I added this. It just seems like something that he would be able to do. If you kill Jax, you get a rabbit's foot because he's a rabbit, so that's the less evil version of making him just drop rabbit meat. And overall, I think Jax looks pretty good, but he doesn't really have that many features. So because of this, I decided to give Jax an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Ragatha, and I'm gonna use a witch to make her. First, let's get rid of some of the stuff we don't need, and I'm just gonna make her body a lot smaller for now, and I'll just add a few layers underneath as her dress. Next, I'm gonna give her an arm like this, and I'll just give her a hand on the bottom as well. Now let's copy this over to the other side, and next let's work on her head. First, I'm gonna change the shape of it like this. Next, I'm gonna start adding her hair on the side, and I'll just copy these hairs all around her head, and we'll also add her bow on the top like this. And I think this is a pretty good body, so now let's give her some color. First, I'm gonna color her head and her arms in like this. Next, let's just color her hair a reddish pink color as well. Now let's color her entire dress a purplish color, and we'll color the bow on top slightly darker. Next, I'm gonna add the patches on her dress in the same color as the bow. And now let's add a bit more detail, and we'll start to give her a face. Alright, after like 5 tries, this is the face I'm going with. It still looks weird, but it's the best I'm gonna get. Now finally, let's add a bit of texture, and I think this looks good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Ragatha looks in game. I definitely think her face looks a little weird. She also makes witch noises, which I'm not really sure if it fits her or not. It's kind of strange. Also, we're just gonna ignore the fact that you can see through her hair. Just pretend the back part here is fully covered. In the show, Ragatha gets attacked and becomes completely glitched out, so I decided to make it so that Ragatha glitches whenever she gets hit, which looks kind of funny more than glitchy. This is also the only feature that Ragatha has because I couldn't really think of anything else. If you kill Ragatha, she drops this red thing from the nether because it was supposed to be her hair. And overall, I think Ragatha looks kind of cursed and she doesn't really have any features. So because of this, I'm going to give Ragatha a 6 out of 10. I just made her face look too weird. Next character I'll make is Gangle. And I'll make Gangle from a skeleton because they're both kind of built the same. First, I'm going to make her head a lot smaller like this. And now let's shape the head into a mask as well. And I think that's good, so let's just work on her left arm like this. And we'll make the right arm similar, but rotate it in a different direction. Next, I'm going to make her legs a lot thinner. And we'll rotate the bottom part a little bit like this. Now let's copy this to the other side, and it's time to color her in. First, I'm going to draw a red spiral for her body like this. And I'm going to color her arms and her legs the same color. Now let's add a bit of detail with a slightly lighter red. And next, I'm going to color in her mask. And now finally, let's give her a face like this. And we'll also add a little bit more texture to her body as well. And I think that is looking pretty good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Gangle looks in game. Despite being very simple to make, I think she actually turned out pretty good. I will say that having the arms like this is kind of strange though. They don't really move that much. In the show, Gangle has at least 2 masks, the comedy mask and the tragedy mask. But she falls and breaks her comedy mask at the beginning of the first episode, so I decided to make it so that when Gangle dies, her comedy mask falls and reveals the tragedy mask. You may have also noticed that the comedy mask drops as an item when she dies. And if you decide to wear this comedy mask, you get speed 4 and jump boost 4 because those effects are kind of fun, I guess. The mask is also off-centered when you wear it, but we'll just ignore that. It's the only way I could make it fit. Overall, I think Gangle turned out pretty good, and I think her mask is a cool addition to the game. So because of this, I'm going to give Gangle a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm going to make Kinger, and I'll use a snow golem to make him. First, I'm going to get rid of these layers because we don't need them, and let's make the bottom smaller like this. Now let's add another part on top, and we'll make it way taller as well. Next, I'm going to copy this part on top, and we'll bend it so he's hunched over a little bit. And now I'm just going to add a part on the front that is going to be his coat. Now let's add a piece for his head up here, and we'll add another part on top, and we'll also add the king thing on the very top like this. Next, I'm going to change his neck area a little bit so that he can have his coat, and this looks pretty good. Now let's color him in. First, I'm going to color his body a purplish color, and we'll just color in the rest of his coat as well. Now let's color his head slightly darker than his coat. Next, I'm going to give him an eye, and we'll copy this over to the other side and rotate them a little bit as well. Now let's give him a hand, and we'll color it the same color as his coat. Next, we'll add a little bit of detail to his coat like this, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Kinger looks in game. This guy is honestly a little bit larger than I thought he would be. I also decided to make it so that Kinger sways back and forth quickly, because in the show, he seems to be a little bit on edge. Wait, where did he go? Why is he hiding underneath these randomly colored blocks? Since Kinger seems to be crazy in the show, I decided to make it so that when you right-click Kinger, he shakes really quickly, similar to when he did this in the show. This also makes him look kind of funny if you just spam it. If you kill Kinger, I made it so that he drops 1 scaffolding, and you might be wondering why I chose this random item. And it's because it has a checkerboard pattern on it, and Kinger is a chess piece. Overall, I don't think Kinger looks that bad, but he's also not the best looking mob. So because of this, I decided to give Kinger a 7 out of 10. The next character I'll make is Zooble, and I'll use a blaze to make them because they both have a bunch of body parts. First, let's remove all these because we don't need them. And I'm just gonna make the first leg like this, and we'll just add this hook shape on the bottom of the right leg, and we'll also add a spiral on the top. Next, I'm gonna give Zooble a body, and we'll just copy the spiral for their neck as well. Next, I'm gonna work on making a triangle shape for the head, and I'm also gonna add add a left arm like this, and we'll also make a right arm that has a lot less spirals. Now I'm gonna color Zooble in, so first let's color the body yellowish, and we'll color Zooble's head in pink. Next I'm gonna color the rest of the body a bunch of different colors. Now let's add some spots on Zooble's body like this, and now I'm gonna add a few more parts on the body that I missed, and I think that looks good. So now let's just add their eyes like this, and we'll also add this zigzag thing that comes off the top of their head as well. Now let's add the Y on the other part of the head, and we'll give it some stripes as well, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how Zooble looks in game. This is how Zooble looks in game. I'm honestly kind of surprised that I was able to make them look good with all the different pieces. I will say the blaze noises are really annoying though. I definitely should have removed them. But other than that, this actually did turn out pretty good. In the show, Zooble gets broken into a bunch of pieces, so I decided to make it so that when you kill Zooble, it breaks them into a bunch of pieces as well. Ignore the fact that they're able to stand back up. You also might have noticed that Zooble drops a Zooble head when they die, and you might be wondering what the Zooble head does. No, you are not able to wear it. Instead, you can eat the Zooble head and you will gain bad luck for a minute. This is because Zooble seems kinda unlucky in the first episode. Overall, I think Zooble turned out a lot better than I thought they would, so because of this, I decided to give Zooble an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Bubble, and I'll use a Vex because I made Kane from an evoker. First, I'm gonna get rid of all this Vex stuff, and I'm just gonna generate a circle like this. Now let's color this circle a purplish color, and I'm gonna rotate this circle a bunch of different times until we have a bubble. Next, I'm gonna remove some pieces like this so we have some teeth, and let's just color these teeth white so we can see them. Next, I'm gonna add an eye on the side, and we'll color it reddish brown. And now let's just copy this to the other side, and I think that looks good. Let's see how Bubble looks in game. This is how Bubble looks in game. This is probably the least Minecrafty looking mob I've ever made. The teeth still look Minecrafty though. I didn't really add that much detail to them. Since Bubble is supposed to be Kane's sidekick, I decided to make it so that when you right click Kane, he spawns in Bubble, similar to how the actual evoker spawns Vexes. Bubble is also seen licking stuff in the show, so I decided to make it so that you get licked by Bubble if he attacks you as well. If you kill Bubble, he has a popping animation, which actually looks kinda cool. And you might have noticed that he drops an ender pearl, and that's just because it's the same shape as a bubble. That's really it. Overall, I don't think Bubble looks that bad, but he's a little bit weird compared to my regular mobs. So because of this, I'm going to give Bubble a 7 out of 10. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into Garden of Banban 6. The first character I'll make is Sir Dadadoo, and I'm gonna use a Ravager because they're both big and scary. First, let's remove all the stuff we don't need, and we'll start to make the shape of his body. Now let's start giving him an arm on the side. Next, I'm gonna start to give him a head, and I think this is good. So now let's start to add some color. First, I'm gonna color his body fully light gray. Now let's color his hands the same color as his head, and now we'll just give him some teeth on the bottom like this. Now finally, let's start to give him a tie, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Sir Dadadoo looks in game. He definitely looks pretty scary. He also kind of looks like he's from Monsters Inc. Does anyone else see that? It's probably just the tie that he's wearing. It makes him look like he's ready for work. Since Sir Dadadoo kind of looks like a slug, I decided to make it so that he walks very slowly. But don't let this trick you though, because just like in the actual game, Sir Dadadoo is able to move very quickly if he's attacking you. And if you get hit by Sir Dadadoo, he will give you all these potion effects, because in the game, he possesses some of the other monsters, so this is kind of the same thing. Subscribe or Sir Dadadoo will possess you. If you manage to kill Sir Dadadoo, he drops a Dadadoo tooth, which does the same thing as his attack does. It possesses things. And overall, I think Sir Dadadoo turned out really good. He looks a lot like the actual monster. So because of this, I decided to give Sir Dadadoo a 10 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the nanny, and I'll use a pig because the nanny is either a pig or a cow, but I don't know which. So first, let's get rid of these back legs. Now let's start to shape the body like this. Now let's make these legs a lot bigger. Now let's change the shape of her head a little bit, and we'll just give her some floppy ears like this. And I think this is looking good, so now let's color her in. First, I'm gonna color her body a grayish blue color. Now let's color her legs a little bit darker. Now let's color her nose blue, and we'll give her some bright yellow eyes like this. Now let's give her a blue mouth as well, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how the nanny looks in game. I still can't tell if she's supposed to be a pig or a cow. Come on guys, which one is it? You have to tell me. Okay, I don't think they know either. In the game, the nanny is seen lurking in one of the first rooms before jump scaring the player, so I decided to make it so that the nanny is mainly found in dark areas as well. The nanny also moves quite slowly, similar to Sir Dadadoo, because this is how she's seen moving at first. But don't let this trick you again, because the nanny attacks you super quickly if you get too close, similar to her jump scare. I decided to make it so that if you kill the nanny, she drops a pork chop, and the reason I did that is because she looks like a pig. I'm sorry if she's a cow, I seriously can't tell. And overall, I think the nanny looks pretty good in game, but her body design just looks a little bit boring. So because of this, I'm going to give the nanny an 8 out of 10. The next character I'll make is Syringeon, and I'm gonna use a sniffer to make him because they both start with S. First, I'm gonna remove all the stuff we don't need, and I'm gonna turn his legs into feet like this, and we'll add a leg on top of the feet as well. Now let's start to add his neck like this, and we'll add his head on the top of his neck as well. Now let's start to give him some arms, and now we're gonna start coloring him in. First, I'm gonna color his entire body a bright pink color, and now let's give him a mouth like this, and we'll also start to give him some eyes on the top. Next, I'm gonna add his surgeon tools that he has on each of his hands, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how Syringeon looks in game. This guy doesn't look that bad. I don't really know why he's turning like this though. This is definitely a problem. But other than that, Syringeon looks good. I especially like his face. It looks kind of funny. In the game, Syringeon is referred to as the surgeon, so I decided to make it so that he does surgery on you when he hits you. Okay, it's not actually surgery. He just freezes you and starts taking your hearts. I don't know how to make this guy an actual surgeon. Something I also just noticed is that Syringeon's arms aren't actually supposed to be in the air like this. His picture on the wall deceived me. If you kill Syringeon, he drops a beetroot, and the only reason I made him drop this random item is because it looks like a heart, and he is the surgeon. Overall, I don't think Syringeon turned out that bad, but there are a few things that are kind of weird. So because of this, I decided to give him an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the naughty ones. And I'll use an endermite to make them because they're both kind of the same. So let's remove a few pieces like this. Next, I'm gonna change the shape of his body a little bit, and we'll give him a head on the top of his body. Now let's rotate the bottom of his body like this, and we'll start to give him a tail on the back right here. Next, I'm gonna add some ears on the top of his head. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Now it's time to give him some color. First, let's color his body this bluish color, and we'll color the inside of his ears purple. Now let's color his teeth bright white, and I'll actually change the color of his body because it's not supposed to be dark like this. Alright, I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how the naughty ones look in game. Honestly, they pretty much look exactly the same as they do in game. The only thing that's really different is that we are seeing them in the light, which I'm not sure if that is even possible. The naughty ones are incredibly fast, as you can see, and this makes them actually pretty scary. Well, I don't know about scary, but they're sort of like a buff silverfish. The naughty ones also won't attack you when there's light around, but if you run into one of these guys in a cave, then you might be in trouble. I also gave the naughty ones a jumping attack animation, which is supposed to be like their jump scare, and if you manage to kill these guys, they drop an amethyst shard, and I don't really know why. I just picked it because it's purple. Overall, I think the naughty ones turned out exactly how they should have, so because of this, I'm going to give them a 10 out of 10 as well. The next character I'll make is Kittysaurus, and I'm gonna use a cat to make her because she is partially a cat. First, let's get rid of these legs, and we'll move these body parts and change the shape of her body. Next, we'll start to give her some feet down here, and we'll add some legs on top as well. Next, I'm gonna change the shape of her head as well. Next, I'm gonna give her some T-Rex arms like this, and I think this is looking pretty good. Now let's add some color. First, I'm gonna color her body an orangish color. Now let's color her feet white, and let's give her some teeth as well, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how she looks in game. This is how Kittysaurus looks in game. As you can see, she is massive. She also kind of looks more like a dog than a cat, but I guess that's fine. She still looks scary either way. Similar to the naughty ones, Kittysaurus is also incredibly fast, which makes it basically impossible to escape her. Fortunately, this is Garten of Banban 6 though, so we don't have to worry about her attacking us. Since Kittysaurus is part cat, I decided to make it so that you can tame her. And I decided to make it so that you tame her with rotten flesh because it just seems like an item that would be used to tame her. If you tame Kittysaurus, you are also able to ride her, although I'm not really sure if this is the right place to be riding on top of her. But it's still better than some of the mobs I've made, I guess. Overall, I think Kittysaurus looks pretty good, but she also looks a little bit like a dog. So because of this, I decided to give her a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make Bitter Giggle, and I'll use a pillager to make him. First, let's remove some of the stuff we don't need, and we'll change the shape of his legs, and we'll also change his arms. Now let's start to shape his head a little bit like this, and we'll just color his body fully green for now. Next, I'm gonna split his body into 2 colors by making this side purple. Now let's add these spots on the purple side of his body like this. Next, I'm gonna give him a mouth like this. Now finally, let's give him some eyes, and I think this is good. Let's add Bitter Giggle to the game. This is how Bitter Giggle looks in game. I will say this is not one of my best mobs, but he is a pretty difficult character to make, as he has a lot of random parts extruding out of him for no reason. In the game, Bitter Giggle tries to fight Sir Dadadoo, so I made it so that they fight in Minecraft as well. Although it's pretty much the same outcome, there's no way Bitter Giggle will beat Sir Dadadoo. If you right-click on Bitter Giggle, I gave him a laughing animation because he likes to tell jokes, and right-clicking him also gives him a random chance to tell a joke as well. I sure hope nothing bad happens because of that. If you kill Bitter Giggle, he drops a clownfish because he's funny, and clowns are supposed to be funny. And overall, I think Bitter Giggle isn't the best looking mob, but I do like some of his features. So because of this, I'm going to give Bitter Giggle a 7 out of 10. Next, I made Tardigrade, and I made him from a horse. You'll see why. I got rid of all this stuff, colored him blue, and then I added his wings. I added Tardigrade to the game, and he actually looked pretty good, but I think there is something wrong with him. Yeah, for some reason he's kind of dirty, and water isn't fixing it. I figured out how to fix this, and he was actually looking really good, except for this one spot on his beak, but we'll ignore it. I decided to spawn a baby Tardigrade Tardigrade, and this is what he looked like. I like how he just follows the big one around, just like in the game. You're even able to put him on the big one's back as well. Oh wait, I guess he hasn't tamed him yet. In the actual game, you have to ride Tardigrade, so I decided to try that for myself. Why does he keep doing that when he kicks me off? It looks really weird. I'm honestly surprised with how perfect this looks. I mean, the legs look a little bit weird, but this looks really good. I'm even able to make Tardigrade jump. This is insane. I decided to give Tardigrade a 10 out of 10. Honestly, there was nothing bad about him at all. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Nabnaleena. I decided to make Nabnaleena from an iron golem. I colored her fully black, gave her a mouth, and finally I added her arms. Nabnaleena looks really good in game as well. The arms look kind of weird, but I think she's just asserting dominance. It's fine. Also, the legs are missing texture, but you didn't see that. This never happened. In the game, you have to inject Nabnaleena with some kind of chemicals to make her come to life, so I decided to try that in game. Yeah, she doesn't seem to be drinking it. I guess she isn't thirsty. Nabnaleena honestly looks pretty strong, so let's see if she can take out some pillagers. Okay, the pillagers don't really have a chance. They're getting destroyed. Yeah, Nabnaleena didn't take any damage, but we'll give her an iron ingot anyway. She deserves it. There isn't much to do with Nabnaleena, so I decided to make her ride Tardigrade. Okay, I might have done that backwards, but honestly, this is better. Tardigrade's legs probably needed a break anyway, although I'm not sure if Nabnaleena is able to see anymore. I decided to give Nabnaleena a 9 out of 10. It would have been a 10, but I can't look past the bra pose. It's too cursed. Next, I made Hijacked Banban. I made him from a zombie. I changed the shape of his body, colored him red, and then I gave him some eyes. After that, I added his mouth, gave him some horns, and added his feet. I added Hijacked Banban to the game, and he was honestly looking pretty scary. He also looks like Venom, or maybe that's just me. I always say things like this, and then they look nothing like it. Let's spawn a baby Banban. This guy's kinda fast. This would actually be scary if it was the real zombie. I decided to spawn a real Banban, and then I tested which one of them is the best Banban. Banban has a sword, so he probably wins this. Yeah, Hijacked Banban didn't stand a chance. Banban destroyed him. I spawned an army of Hijacked Banbans, and then I decided to get chased by them. Okay, he's not really that scary when he chases you at 0.1 miles per hour. The babies look kinda crazy though. I decided to give Hijacked Banban a 9 out of 10. He looks really good. I'm just disappointed that he lost to real Banban. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Tomataki and Chamataki. I hope that's how you say it. For these guys, I used a wolf. First, I made their shell, and then I added the chameleon. I forgot which one he is. And after that, I added the other guy. I added them to the game, and they honestly didn't look the best, yet somehow this one took me the longest to make. They're also not really the right size. I'm pretty sure these guys are huge in the game. But I mean, it doesn't look that bad, right? I decided to spawn a baby one of them, and it just made it even worse. Now they are microscopic. In the game, Chamataki attacks you with his tongue, and I'm not really sure how to make that in Minecraft. So instead, I decided to feed him some steak because I'm guessing he uses his tongue while eating. Tomataki shoots cyan balls from his mouth, so yeah. They can't be making that sound. I feel bad. I decided to tame one of these guys, and then I made them fight a Hijacked Banban. Okay, Banban lost again. He can't keep taking L's like this. I decided to give Tomataki and Chamataki a 5 out of 10. They just look kinda bad. That's all. It's time for the next mob. Next, I decided to make Mr. Kebab Man, and I made him from an Enderman because they're kinda built the same. I deleted everything, colored him gray, and then I gave him some arms. After that, I added his eyes, put the bandage thing on the back, and gave him his party hats. I added Mr. Kebab Man to the game, and he honestly wasn't looking that bad. I mean, I don't know if he was looking good, but he's definitely not bad. I like how when he walks, he actually looks good because I removed the legs. In the game, Mr. Kebab Man is supposed to mimic Banban, so I decided to see if he can take out Hijacked Banban as well. Come on, Hijacked Banban, you got this one. No more L's. Okay, I'm done with Hijacked Banban. He's never winning a fight. I decided to visit the end to find more Mr. Kebab Mans, and then I did what I always do. It's kinda scary how they just like hover to me. I think I made a little too many of them angry. I decided to give Mr. Kebab Man a 7 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad, but he also doesn't look that good. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Stinger Flynn. I decided to make him from an Elder Guardian. I removed all this stuff, colored him orange, and then I added the spot around his eye. Next, I added his eye, gave him some legs, and then extended the legs out a bit. Stinger Flynn actually looks pretty good this time around. He's a lot better than the old one I had. He is also a lot bigger because apparently Stinger Flynn isn't tiny. Since Stinger Flynn is jumping around like this, I decided to spawn him in the water. Bro was just going crazy on the squids. What did the squids do to him? He honestly looks pretty good in the water. There is one thing wrong though. His legs are definitely supposed to move, but I don't really know how to do that, so it's fine. Stinger Flynn was driving when they were all going to the beach, so I decided to see if he can drive a car. Okay, I don't really think he's able to drive the car. He's not moving. He's also way bigger than the car. You can't even really see it. He doesn't really want to get in a boat either. I guess this guy doesn't like vehicles. In the game, you also get to play as Stinger Flynn, so I decided to give that one a try. He's kind of just vibing. Not much is really getting done. This is boring. I decided to give Stinger Flynn a 9 out of 10. If his legs moved, it would be a 10, but unfortunately, that's never gonna happen. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Queen Bouncelia. I used a Hoglin to make her. I colored her body purple, gave her a face, and then added her wand. I added her to the game, and her head was looking kind of broken, so I decided to fix that. Okay, that's still a little messed up, but it's good enough. Also, her feet are both on the same leg, but I'm not fixing that. Only one fix per mob. Since Queen Bouncelia was made from a Hoglin, I decided to go find her in the Nether. I'm not usually a fan of these guys because they like to hit you from far away, but I guess for Queen Bouncelia, I'll make an exception. I decided to spawn an army of Queen Bouncelias, and then I made them all chase me. Hopefully this doesn't happen in the actual game, because these guys are kind of scary. Also, their legs look kind of funny. I'm going to give Queen Bouncelia an 8 out of 10. Other than the broken stuff, she looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made an Opilichick. I used a parrot to make the Opilichick, and I decided to make the shiny one, or whatever you would call it. You probably wouldn't call it shiny, it's not a Pokemon. The Opilichicks are so tiny in game, and they actually kind of sound like the chicks from the actual game. I'm pretty sure dodo birds can't fly, so that's kind of a problem, but other than that, they look great. In the game, you have to abduct all the Opilichicks and move them to their beds, so I decided to try that in Minecraft as well. What? Who is this? Where did the Opilichick go? That was interesting, but I mean it worked. I can also spawn a baby Opilibird, and it kinda looks like the default Opilichick texture. Although this one isn't as cool, all I can really do is feed it a bunch of seeds. Oh, that's not an Opilichick anymore. In Garden of Banban 2, there are 6 Opilichicks, and in the first game, you feed Opilibird 6 eggs, so there's definitely some interesting birth methods going on there, so let's test to see if this is true. Wait, it actually worked. I decided to give the Opilichick a 10 out of 10. Overall, it looks really good, and you are even able to keep one of these as a pet. Wait, my bad, Opilibird, I didn't know. Next, I'm going to make Slow Celine. Since Slow is literally in her name, I made her from a turtle. I gave her a big green shell, added her long neck, and then I gave her some bright white teeth. After that, I added her 2 large eyes, and I drew a swirl on each side of her shell. I think she turned out pretty good. The eyes and the mouth are really creepy, just like in the actual game. Let's see a baby Slow Celine. I like how it's just a really small version of the regular one. In the actual game, Slow Celine chases you down a hallway, so I decided to add that as well. Okay, this is actually kind of scary. She's just slowly approaching. She is also not looking away, so I guess I have to keep standing still. Because I made Slow Celine from a turtle, I can also put her in the water and she will be fine. Okay, she's not really that slow anymore. Imagine going to the beach and there was just a massive snail swimming around in the water. Probably happens in Florida. I decided to give Slow Celine a 9 out of 10. She looks really good in game, but she's kind of boring in general. It's time for the next mob. In the game, there are 7 different Fiddles crew members, so I made all of those next. I used a Strider to make them all, and first I made brown Fiddles. This is the actual color used in the game. I don't really know how this is brown. Next, I made Cyan Fiddles, and there's a giant version of him in the game, but I don't know how to make that, so instead I just made a giant stack of Cyan Fiddles. I'm sure the ones on the top are fine. Next, I made Emerald Fiddles, and this is him in game, and then I made Orange Fiddles. Orange Fiddles only has 1 tooth. I wonder what happened to the other one. Pink Fiddles has 2 teeth, and apparently he is dead in the game, so I'm just gonna have to. Next, I made Red Fiddles, and he is my favorite because his eyes just stay like this forever. Like, how is he able to see anything? Here's me riding a Red Fiddles as well. He honestly looks better than the actual Strider. The last Fiddles is Yellow Fiddles, who apparently has a pirate-like appearance because of his missing eye. So cause of this, I am kidnapping him in a boat. I'm going to give the Fiddles a 63 out of 10. There's 7 of them, so they get 7x the score. Next, I made Sheriff Toadster. I made him a frog because that's probably what he is. I changed the shape of his body, colored him the same color as the McDonald's villain, and made his weird shaped head. Next, I added his teeth, and I gave him his badge on his chest. Finally, I colored in his belly and gave him this little hat on top of his eye. I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't really look like he's smiling. Instead, he looks like the bully from Arthur. His arms are also completely broken. I'm pretty sure I attached them to his legs. Sheriff Toadster probably fights crime, so I'm going to steal an Opilichick in front of him and see what he does. He doesn't appear to be doing too much. He is jumping really high though. He definitely made it through police training. Maybe an army of Toadsters will stop me. I already knew they wouldn't. I don't know why I did this. Oh, I guess Sheriff Toadster is hungry. I'm going to give Sheriff Toadster a 7 10 out of 10. He looks kinda weird, honestly. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Nab Nab. I made Nab Nab from a spider because he kinda looks like a spider. I gave him some long legs and arms, changed the shape of his body, and then I colored him fully blue. After that, I gave him some teeth, then I added his tongue, and finally I gave him 3 eyes. Okay, I don't think his legs are supposed to look like that. I fixed his legs, and then he looked a lot better in game. Well, I don't know about better, but putting him sideways actually makes him look scary. In the game, you get chased by Nab Nab, so I decided to try that in Minecraft. Yeah, this is definitely not something you want chasing you. It just looks so weird because in the actual game, he's on the roof and not on the ground. Nab Nab is also supposed to have a birthday hat, and I didn't even notice, so we'll just pretend I added a hat. Also, if you can't tell, Nab Nab is Ban Ban spelt backwards, so because of that, you should eat Dirkbus. But I decided to get Sheriff Toadster to lock him up for good. He sure won't be escaping this jail, especially not through the vents. I decided to give Nab Nab a 6 out of 10. He looks kinda cursed. I'm sorry, Nab Nab, I meant 10, I swear. Next, I decided to make Zolphius. I don't know what Zolphius is, but he's big, so I made him from a ghast. Zolphius is just a circle with a face that looks like it was drawn by a 1-year-old, so I decided to do that. The only difference is I'm not 1 years old, I think. I added Zolphius to the game, and it kinda reminds me of when I made Ambush. They look very similar. I would have to say that Zolphius is scarier though. It's something about the amazing art skill required to make his face. I decided to visit the Nether to find a wild Zolphius. He kinda looks like a ping pong paddle, so let's see who will win a game of ping pong, me or Zolphius. I don't think he wanted to play. I wonder what it will look like if I fill the whole sky with Zolphiuses. Yeah, this is a pretty good Minecraft experience. I literally cannot hear anything. I'm going to give Zolphius an 8 out of 10. He's a big flying drawing. How bad could he be? It's time for the next mob. Next, I'm making Mini Josh. It is unknown if Mini Josh will be hostile, but I'm assuming he is, so I made him from a silverfish because they are small and hostile. I deleted all of these things, added his legs, made his body bigger, and then I gave him some arms. After that, I added his head, colored him fully green, and then I added his eyes. Mini Josh looks like he's sad, so I gave him a sad mouth, and then I added him to the game. I was surprised with how he looks in game. All this waddling looks pretty weird. Also, none of his body parts move, which makes him look pretty bad. I decided to spawn Mini Josh with Jumbo Josh, and what happened next was shocking. I'm just kidding, you probably expected this. Next, I spawned an army of Mini Joshes, and then I made them fight Jumbo Josh. This is like a Mr. Beast video, 100 kids versus 1 adult. Mini Joshes could actually win this one, there's a lot of them. Never mind, Jumbo Josh seems to be invincible. I decided to give Mini Josh a 5 out of 10, he's kinda missing a lot of things, like moving arms and legs. It's time for the next mob. You're probably wondering where Jumbo Josh came from. I used the Warden to make Jumbo Josh, and I gave him a big head, a creepy mouth, and then I added some green texture all around him. Jumbo Josh is massive in game, and he actually looks really good as the Warden. Jumbo Josh also tells kids to eat fruits and vegetables to become strong like him, but honestly, I wouldn't let him near your kids. I went to the deep dark to see Jumbo Josh emerge from the ground, and then I fed him some fruit and vegetables like he says. Unfortunately, Jumbo Josh didn't want to eat the food, and instead he wanted to eat me. I would say that I killed him to try and make myself look cool, but let's be honest, we all know what happened. I'm going to give Jumbo Josh a 10 out of 10, and that has nothing to do with him holding me hostage. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Ban Ban. I made Ban Ban from a wither skeleton. I colored him fully red, gave him some eyes and a mouth, and then I added his big tongue. I then gave him his birthday hats on his head, and finally I changed his arms a little bit. Apparently changing his arms a little bit didn't matter though, because they fully disappeared in the game. Oh wait, they're inside of him. I decided to fix his arms, and this is how Ban Ban looks in game. I decided to visit the Nether to try and find Ban Ban myself. Ignore the Netherrack, I don't know how this got here. When you think of it, Ban Ban is a devil, so he's supposed to be in the Nether. Wait guys, I was just kidding, I didn't say that. To make things a little more cursed, I decided to replace all the heads on the Wither with the Ban Ban heads. Now let's see who will win, the Ban Ban, Wither, or Jumbo Josh. Why is Jumbo Josh not fighting back? Okay, now he's going crazy. Alright, Jumbo Josh couldn't do anything, Ban Ban was flying. I decided to give Ban Ban a 6 out of 10, he doesn't look that great. It's time for the next mob. Next, let's make Banbalina. I used a Wither skeleton for Ban Ban, so I made Banbalina from a skeleton. I copy-pasted all of Ban Ban's body parts onto her, and then I colored her fully white. Next, I gave her some eyes and drew her mouth, and then finally I added her pink bow on her horn thing. I forgot Banbalina also had a problem with her arms, so I had to fix it again. This is how Banbalina looks in game. She kinda looks like a weird bunny. I then spawned a Banbalina army and made them fight Jumbo Josh. Okay, they're all just fighting each other. Yeah, Jumbo Josh wins this easily. Banbalina is cool, but look at me spawning spawning a bunch of crows. I then made Banban fight Banbaleena to see who would win. I'm sorry, Banbaleena, I kind of already knew what would happen. I decided to give Banbaleena a 5 out of 10. It's not because I don't like her, it's just because I don't like her. Next, I made Opilabird. I used a chicken to make Opilabird, and I gave her a long neck, some purple wings, and a yellow beak. I then added these creepy looking eyes to her and added her to the game. Opilabird actually looks pretty good as well, but the baby, not so much. At least I don't have to worry about her chasing me though, because she's a chicken. Well, she'll chase me, but she's not gonna do anything, I think. In the game, Opilabird is supposed to fall into the ball pit, so I decided to test if she would survive a massive fall in Minecraft. She made it to the ground without taking damage. There is a minigame where you have to feed Opilabird 6 eggs, so I added that to the game as well. Kind of. I tried to swap Jumbo Josh and Opilabird's textures around to make a joke, but this just happened. Opilabird says laughter is the best medicine, so I'm asking you to laugh at that joke. Do it for her, not for me. I decided to give Opilabird an 8 out of 10 because she can't harm me for my opinion. Okay, really? Next, I made Captain Fiddles. I made Captain Fiddles from a Strider. First, I shrunk his legs and made his body smaller. Next, I colored him fully blue and I gave him a mouth and some eyes. Then, finally, I added some arms and some hands. Captain Fiddles actually looks pretty good in game, other than the fact that his legs aren't attached. Also, he's a really good method of transportation. Okay, well, he's not that good. He's kind of slow, honestly. You can even spawn a baby Captain Fiddles for whatever reason. His legs are even more broken, but it's fine. It is said that Captain Fiddles is known for his love of music, so I decided to play a song for him. This was really bad. It's supposed to be the Rickroll song. Sorry. To test if Captain Fiddles is a real captain, I decided to give him control of a boat. I'm going to give Captain Fiddles a 9 out of 10 because there isn't that much wrong with him. I added every monster from Rainbow Friends Chapter 2 to Minecraft. First, I made Cyan, and I used a Ravager because they look exactly the same. I removed this stuff, colored her cyan, and gave her some eyes. I added Cyan to the game, and she was actually looking pretty good. Oh wait, she's attacking all the villagers. I don't really want her to be doing that. That also made me notice that her legs look really bad when she's running, but other than that, she looks fine. She also has a really big shadow. That looks kind of funny. In the game, you get chased by Cyan, so I decided to see how that looks in Minecraft. Cyan is really fast in the actual game, and she's also pretty fast in Minecraft too, so that's pretty accurate. Okay, this is actually kind of scary. She looks really hungry. Oh wow, she also does a lot of damage. I can't let her hit me again. That would be bad. Since Cyan does so much damage, I decided to see if she can beat an iron golem in a fight. Okay, I don't even have to use the stick. They're already mad. Come on, Cyan. You can beat this guy easily. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. It looks like the iron golem can beat Cyan easily. Oh wait, why did she drop a saddle? That's kind of weird. I decided to give Cyan a 9 out of 10. She looks really good, and her chase in Minecraft is really accurate. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Yellow, and I decided to use a hoglin to make him. I shrunk his whole body, colored him yellow, and gave him his propeller thing on his back. I added Yellow to the game, and I can't really tell if he looks good or bad. To be fair, Yellow is quite hard to make, so this honestly doesn't look that bad. He also has a big shadow just like Cyan. That's really weird. Since hoglins can't live in the overworld, I decided to go to the nether to find a wild yellow. Okay, here's a group of yellows that I definitely didn't spawn in. I found them naturally. Oh yeah, there's also a baby yellow, but I think something is wrong with him. Let me know in the comments if you can tell what's wrong with him. It's kind of hard to see. Since yellow is supposed to be able to fly, I decided to see if I can make yellow fly in Minecraft as well. Okay, now you might think hoglins can't fly, but there's actually a secret in Minecraft where if you look at the ground for 3 seconds and then look all the way up as fast as you can make all the hoglins start to fly. It's definitely not a command, it's just a secret feature. I decided to give Yellow an 8 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad, he's just really hard to make. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Pink, and I made Pink from a zombie. I bent his legs, colored him pink, and gave him some eyes. Finally I colored in his eyes, gave him a mouth, and then I added some small cheeks. I added Pink to the game and he was burning. Okay, I should probably fix that. When Pink is not burning, he actually looks pretty good. There is a slight problem with his legs, they aren't really connected, but other than that, I'm not seeing anything wrong with him. Since Pink was supposed to be added to the game, I decided to make him battle Cyan and Yellow to get a spot in the game. First, we'll do Cyan versus Pink. Okay, that was kind of embarrassing. I don't think he even hit her. What about Yellow versus Pink? Okay, this fight is actually looking a little close. And Pink still died. I guess we know why he was benched from both chapters. I decided to spawn a baby Pink to see what he looks like, and he looked about the same as the big one. I will say the baby one runs a lot faster than the big one, though. This guy is going crazy. I decided to give Pink a 9 9 out of 10. He honestly turned out pretty good, other than his legs. That's the only problem. It's time for the next mob. Next we'll make Orange, and we will make him from a wolf. Let's change the shape of his tail, and we'll rotate his body. Now let's give him some arms, and we'll give him some teeth. Okay, these are way too big. That looks better. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys see the problem here. That should be good enough. Okay, his head definitely does not work though. I guess wolves bend their head a lot. Let's spawn a baby Orange. It's the same thing with a bigger head. Let's try to tame Orange. Yeah, this is perfectly normal. Nothing is wrong here. Now he just has a big red square and his tail is broken. Let's spawn an army of oranges, and let's see them take down a skeleton. Okay, the skeleton got eaten in like 2 seconds. Come on, Orange, take down the warden. Oh no, that was fast. Alright, I'm going to give Orange a 6 out of 10. He was kinda cursed. It's time for the next mob. Next, we are going to make Purple, and we are going to make him from a frog. Let's delete all this stuff, and we'll change the shape of his body. Now let's color him purple. Now let's extend out his head, and we'll make it a little bit round. Now finally, let's give him some eyes, and we'll add some black pupils inside. Out of all the mobs to break, somehow this one isn't broken. Surprisingly, I think he looks really good. Okay, these vines need to get out of the way. What about a baby Purple? Oh yeah, frogs don't have babies. Let's see Purple eat this slime. Never mind, he's not hungry. Oh, never mind, he just attacked him. He looks so weird when he's swimming. Let's spawn an army of purples. Wow, Purple jumps so high. The noise they make is really interesting. Let's see if Purple can take down Orange. Okay, I don't think Purple knows how to fight. Let's spawn a bunch of slimes. Okay, they're all too big. I love how there's no animation. The slime just travels to their mouth. Alright, I'm going to give Purple a 10 out of 10. I thought he looked really funny. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Red, and we are going to make him from a strider. Let's remove his hair, and we'll shrink his body. Now let's make him a bit shorter, and we'll color his head red, and let's color his pupils black, and finally we'll give him a couple shoes, and I think that looks good. Let's see him in game. Okay, something is definitely wrong with his legs, but other than that, I think he looks good. Oh god, why does it take so long for his legs to turn? Let's go to the nether, and here we have a Red walking on some lava. Okay, seriously, what happened to his legs? It's like they're backwards or something. I mean, now they're on the right side, but somehow that made it worse. Okay, that's close enough. We're just gonna ignore that. Let's ride a Red. Wait, this is the wrong fishing rod. Okay, this looks weird like it usually does. Let's see a baby Red. Okay, baby Red just has no legs. Let's spawn an army of Reds. Okay, Red army, follow me. Isn't this weird? Because Red is supposed to tell me what to do. Alright, I'm going to give Red an 8 out of 10. He looked pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Green, and we will make him from the warden. Let's shrink his body and head. Now let's color him fully green, and we'll color the back of his mouth black. Next, let's give him a bunch of white teeth, and we'll copy these to the top. Next, we'll extend out his eyes, and we'll make his eyes circular. Now, finally, let's draw his pupils, and that looks good. Let's see it in game. I don't know how I feel about this one. There's something about the way he moves that is very terrifying. He's also very tall. I'm not sure if that's accurate. I'm not going to lie, he kind of looks like a cactus monster. Let's find Green in the deep dark. Of course, we have to see him emerge from the ground. I'm not gonna lie, that might be scarier than the warden. I wonder how this thing looks when it's angry. We'll give him a sheep that he can't hit. I'm sorry, sheep. Okay, that wasn't that cool. Let's spawn an army of greens, and let's see if the Flash can beat them. Oh, he's running at him. Yeah, the Flash will not win that. I give the green rainbow friend a 10 out of 10. He's honestly scarier than the warden. It's time for the next mob. Next, we are going to make Blue, and we are going to make him from an iron golem. Let's make his arms a bit smaller, and we'll do the same for his legs. Now let's change the shape of his body, and we'll color him fully blue. Now let's add his crown, and we'll color it yellow. Next, we'll add the spiky parts on top, and we'll add his eyes, and let's put the circle inside this one, and we'll add the X to the other one. Now let's draw his mouth, and we'll put the drool on the side, and I think that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. That looks pretty good, I think. Let's see if Blue can beat Gordon Ramsay easily. Let's see if Blue can beat Thor and Gordon Ramsay. Still too easy. Let's see if Blue can beat Sully. Yeah, Blue literally had no chance. Let's spawn an army of blues. Oh no. Oh god, this is bad. I think I spawned a little too many. There's so many of them, they can't even move. Sully's not even fighting back. He knows he's doomed. Never mind. Wow, he actually almost beat them. Well, he almost beat like 3% of them. I'm going to give Blue a 10 out of 10. I think he looks perfect. I added every fan-made Garden of Banban monster to Minecraft. First, I made Admiral Krusty, and I'm using a spider for him because crabs are kind of like spiders. I deleted these things, colored him red, and then I added his claws. I added Admiral Krusty to the game, and he was honestly looking pretty good. I think this is probably one of my best looking mobs I've made so far. This actually looks a lot like him. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to have boots on his back legs though, so that's not good. But other than that, he looks great. I decided to spawn an army of Admiral Krusties, and then I got them all to chase me. I don't know why, but this actually looks kind of scary, and I'm not just saying that. It's something about the way their legs move. These are probably just the crabs getting revenge for being locked in a tank at the grocery store. Since Admiral Krusty is a water mob, I decided to see if he can beat a guardian in a fight. Come on, Admiral Krusty, you're the king of the water. You got this. Okay, this fight is taking a really long time. What is going going on? And after all that, he still didn't win. I guess Admiral Krusty isn't the king of the water. He lost to a regular guardian, not even an elder guardian. I decided to give Admiral Krusty a 10 out of 10. I really like how he looks. He's one of my favorite mobs so far. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Mr. Grimm, and I used a warden to make him because I felt like it. I don't know why. I changed the shape of his body, colored him black, and added some ear things to the side of his head. Next I gave him a mouth, added some eyes, and gave him teeth. Okay, I don't know why, but he looked really weird before, so I changed everything and now he looks a lot better. I added Mr. Grimm to the game and he actually looked kind of scary, but not in a good way. I don't know why, but this dude kind of looks like Santa. I think it's his mouth. It kind of looks like it's supposed to be a beard. I decided to go to the deep dark and then I made a Mr. Grimm emerge from the ground. Mr. Grimm is a magician, so it makes sense for him to do that. It's honestly a pretty good magic trick. I never even noticed this before, but his animations don't really fit him. It kind of looks broken. I decided to spawn an army of Mr. Grimms and then I did the usual. Oh no, they're angry. Why do these guys look so weird when they chase you? Like, look at their head. What is going on? Maybe I should have connected their head to the body, because that looks really weird. I decided to give Mr. Grimm a 7 out of 10. I'm not really sure if he looks good or not. He looks kind of weird. It's time for the next mob. Next, I decided to make Nighty Boo, and I used a phantom to make him because a bat is a little too small. I changed the shape of his body, colored him green, and then I added his ears. Next, I added his hat, gave him some eyes, and then I made his other face on the bottom. I added Nighty Boo to the game, and I honestly can't really tell if he looks good or not. It's very hard to see his faces. Okay, I guess that looks pretty good. I'm not sure if he really matches the actual Nighty Boo though. I also don't know why he has these particles on his wings. I guess I'm not up to date on phantom lore. All I know about phantoms is that they're very annoying. Since phantoms like to fight, let's see if Nighty Boo can beat Admiral Krusty. Okay, I'm not really sure if this is supposed to happen. He's just flying up in the air. Okay, I guess Nighty Boo doesn't want to fight. He only fights humans. I spawned an army of Nighty Boos and then I tested to see how fast they can kill me. Okay, why is it actually kind of hard to dodge them when there's this many? I must have not slept for weeks because this many phantoms is absurd. Wait, I think I found a way to beat them. They can't catch me. I decided to give Nighty Boo an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good, but he doesn't really look like the actual Nighty Boo. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Patched Willy, and I didn't really know what to use for this one, so I just used the Ender Dragon. I deleted all this stuff, shaped him into a worm, and then I added his tongue. After that I colored him in, gave him some spikes, and added all of his eyes. I added Patched Willy to the game, and I don't really know what happened to him. How did he get this tail and neck? That definitely wasn't there on Blockbench. It would definitely make him look a lot better though if only the tail had purple on it too. I will say this guy kinda reminds me of when I made PJ Pugapillar. They're just so similar because of the stripes. There isn't really much you can do with Patched Willy other than wait for him to perch. That actually looks kinda good when he turns around, other than the parts with both colors. And he also looks like he's doing the worm when he's perched, so that definitely fits him. Since there isn't anything to do with Patched Willy, I decided to see if Mr. Grimm can kill him. Okay, I don't really know if he knows where Patched Willy is. He doesn't seem to be attacking him. Yeah, I can't even make them fight with the wand. This is unfortunate. I decided to give Patched Willy a 5 out of 10. He doesn't really look right, and he's also really boring. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Admiral Krusty's crew member, and I made him from an iron golem because he looks kinda buff. I changed his body, colored him blue, and then I gave him new arms. After that I added his beak, gave him an eye patch, and then I added his other eye. I added him to the game, and he didn't really look that good. I mean, he doesn't really look that bad either, but he just doesn't look like the guy in the picture. He looks way less scary. He also kinda looks like that bean guy. I don't know what his name is. Since this guy doesn't have a name, or at least I don't think he does, I'm going to call him Crewmate Chicken, because he kinda looks like a chicken, if that's what he's supposed to be. Since a guardian killed Admiral Krusty earlier, I decided to see if Crewmate Chicken could avenge him. Okay, he easily killed him. I see why this guy is on Admiral Krusty's crew, but since he's only a crew member, let's see if he can beat Admiral Krusty in a fight. Okay, he can easily do that. I don't see why this guy isn't the captain. I decided to give Crewmate Chicken an 8 out of 10. He doesn't look perfect, but he also isn't that bad. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Doom Doom, and we'll use a Ravager to make him. I shrunk his legs, changed his arms, and then I shaped his head. Next I colored him yellow, gave him some hair, and added his eyes. I added Doom Doom to the game, and he was actually looking pretty good. He looks really angry, and I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a bull, so that's probably accurate. Bulls are always angry for some reason. Okay, I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be moving a lot faster though. The actual Doom Doom charges at the speed of light, but maybe it's because he has no one to charge at yet, so let's get him to charge me. I think I'm supposed to be holding out red wool to make him mad. Okay, I was right, now he's a lot faster. Also, his head is really glitchy, but we'll just ignore that. I already said he looked good. I decided to spawn a Smiley Miley, and then I tested to see who would win in a fight. I don't really think Smiley Miley has any chance. Doom Doom is huge. Look at his head when he attacks. It looks so weird. Yeah, Doom Doom barely took any damage. I guess he's just too OP. I decided to give Doom Doom a 9 out of 10. I really liked how he turned out. out. He's a scary looking bull. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Hungry Tammy, and we'll make him from a wither. I removed all this stuff, shrunk his head, and then I colored him blue. Next I added his tongue, gave him some eyes, and added his arms. I added Hungry Tammy to the game, and he was actually looking pretty scary. He probably shouldn't be going on a rampage like this, but I guess it fits his character. Also, his legs shouldn't be floating. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to walk. But other than that list of things that are wrong, he actually looks pretty good. Oh wait, there's also another problem. Apparently his head isn't connected. Since Hungry Tammy is probably really hungry, it says it in his name, I decided to give him some food next. Okay, I don't think he wants to eat the food. What about in living form? Okay, that's much better. Now he's eating. I decided to spawn a Doom Doom, and then I made him fight Hungry Tammy to see who would win. Okay, this is probably the most unfair fight yet. Doom Doom has no way of attacking him. He's taking a lot of hits though. He seems pretty strong. Rip Doom Doom, but if you think of it, he is just a giant cow, so that's probably why he lost. I decided to give Hungry Tammy a 9 out of 10. He looks really good, but his legs shouldn't be floating. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Zolflina, and we already have Zolfius, so we're just gonna use this. I colored her pink, added some outlines on her eyes and mouth, and then I gave her a bow. I added Zolflina to the game, and she was honestly looking pretty good. It's kinda hard for her not to look good though. She's not really a hard monster to make. I will say that her eyes are a little messed up though. I don't remember it looking like this in Blockbench. Also, I don't know why every time I try to look at her, she looks away. It's really annoying. Since Hungry Tammy is in the screenshot with Zolflina, I decided to make them fight. Okay, I don't think Hungry Tammy is able to fight, and also Zolflina's fireballs do no damage, so this fight will literally go on forever. Or maybe they're just friends and it's supposed to be like this. I went to the nether to find a wild Zolflina, and she honestly looks a lot better in the nether. Her color seems to blend in a lot better here. And then I spawned an army of Zolflinas, and I made them attack me. I don't know why I do this every time. They're just bullying me at this point. I decided to give Zolflina an 8 out of 10. She looks how she's supposed to, but I don't know how much I like her. Next I made Smiley Miley, and I used an Enderman because she's really tall. I changed her body, colored her blue, and finally I gave her some eyes. Smiley Miley ended up looking really good in game. Well, her face is a little creepy, but I'm still calling it good. Oh, her legs also don't seem to be attached when she walks, but it's fine. She still looks good. Since I made her from an Enderman, I decided to look her in the eyes, and then this happened. Okay, I think there is something wrong with her head, but I can't really tell what. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, please stop. I decided to go to the end to find some more Smiley Mileys, and then I obviously got them to chase me. When will I stop getting mobs to chase me? Probably never. I decided to give Smiley Miley an 8 out of 10. She looks good, but she was a little broken. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Sharky Clee, and I used a warden to make him. First I changed his body, then I colored him black, and finally I added the fins on his head. I added Sharky Clee to the game, and he actually ended up looking pretty scary, which is good because I made him from a warden. I decided to go to the deep dark to find Sharky Clee, and then I watched him emerge from the ground. I feel like this guy should be the actual warden. He seems to fit the job perfectly. I spawned an army of Sharky Clees, and then I got them all to chase me. What a nice day to go for a swim. I hope there aren't any sharks out here. Wait, where did they go? Oh, there they are. I went too far. I probably should have stayed away though. This isn't looking good. I decided to give Sharky Clee a 10 out of 10. He honestly looks really good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Slime Rancher, and I used a slime to make him because it's in his name. First I made him bigger, then I colored him a different green, and finally I gave him some eyes. I've never remade a slime before, so hopefully this works. Oh, it actually worked. I didn't expect that. And I didn't expect him to be this big. I think this is the biggest mob I've made yet. Oh, I guess we'll ignore the back here. I didn't realize that would happen. Mojang should change the real slimes to this guy. If he was in the game, I would never enter a super flat world again. I spawned an army of slime ranchers, and it was actually pretty cool because of the different sizes of slimes. I feel like the small one is the size I thought it would be. I also spawned a really big slime rancher, and this looks like something from a really bad horror movie. Pro is terrorizing the city. I decided to see if Slime Rancher could beat Smiley Miley because I honestly didn't know. Okay, it looks like Slime Rancher just doesn't attack. That's unfortunate. And the babies don't want to avenge him either. RIP. I decided to give Slime Rancher a 10 out of 10. He looked really good, especially the massive one. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Sad Seth, and I decided to use a wither skeleton for this one. I changed the shape of his body, colored him red, and then I gave him some extra arms. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I like this guy that much. The bottom eyes kind of look out of place, and also the sword he is holding just shouldn't be there. Actually, I can get rid of the sword. I forgot. It doesn't make him much better though. You're not even able to see some of his arms. Also, when he walks, his arms go through his body. That's great. Okay, I'm just hating. It's time to move on. Let's see if Sad Seth can beat Smiley Miley in a fight. I honestly think Sad Seth should win this one because he is a wither. Okay, it appears I'm wrong. Smiley Miley is just built different. different. I'm sorry, Sad Seth, but I gotta do it. You let me down. I decided to give Sad Seth a 6 out of 10. He looks fine, but he's just too broken. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Froggy Quack, and I decided to make him from an iron golem. First, I changed his body, next I colored him green, and finally I added his head on the top. Okay, he actually looks a lot better than I thought he would. I thought for sure the head on top would look weirder. I will say the iron golem animations actually fit him pretty well too. Nothing is broken. But I don't know, he's kind of a weird looking monster in general, so I'm not gonna say he looks perfect. I decided to spawn a Sharky Klee, and then both of them started fighting before I even did anything. I thought these guys would be friends. I wasn't trying to make them fight. I decided to spawn 5 Froggy Quacks, and then I made them all fight Sharky Klee for revenge. I'm not gonna lie, I still don't know if these guys can win. They're kind of getting destroyed. Yeah, I don't know, it's not looking good. Come on, Froggy Quack. Okay, I guess 6 Froggy Quacks isn't enough to take out Sharky Klee. I decided to give Froggy Quack an 8 out of 10. He didn't look that bad, but he wasn't the best either. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Whaley Bow. I made him from a pillager. I shrunk his limbs, colored him blue, and then I gave him some eyes. I added Whaley Bow to the game, and he seemed kind of scared. Like, why is he just aiming his bow at me? Oh, it's probably because Sharky Klee is right there, and sharks eat whales. But honestly, I can't really tell if this guy looks good or bad. Like, he looks like the picture, so that's good. But he also kind of looks like a weird cartoon character, and I'm not sure if he's supposed to be like that. I decided to spawn an army of Whaley Bows, and then I spawned 1 Froggy Quack to see if they can kill him. Alright, Whaley Bow already lost to the shark, but can he beat the frog? Okay, I'm not really sure if they can do it. They're just shooting each other instead of him. He seems to be taking damage really fast though, so it's possible that they could win. No way, the whales actually did it. Maybe they aren't so bad after all. I decided to give Whaley Bow an 8 out of 10. It would have been lower, but I raised it because they defeated Froggy Quack. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Toxic Gazer, and I made him from a witch because they like to throw poison. I changed his arms a bit, gave him a longer neck, and then I colored him green. Next, I gave him an eye, and finally I added these weird things that hang off his face. Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about this guy. His face looks kind of weird. I think it's the things that are hanging off his head. They don't look anything like the actual monster. I will say the rest of him looks pretty accurate though. Since Toxic Gazer is toxic, let's see him throw a bottle of poison at me. That's not poison, that's slowness. Oh wait, there we go. That was kind of rude. Don't worry, I got him back. Wait, why is he drinking Zolphius juice? What is going on? I decided to spawn a Whaley Bow, and then I made them fight to see who would win. This is such a weird fight because neither of them can melee, but it looks like Toxic Gazer is gonna lose. He seems to have no interest in the fight anymore. Okay, this just isn't ending. I guess it's a tie. I decided to give Toxic Gazer a 6 out of 10. I didn't really like the way he looked. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Chili. I decided to use a creeper for Chili. First, I removed his head, next I colored him blue, and then I gave him a mouth. After that, I added his eye, gave him some teeth, and finally I added his horns. I added Chili to the game, and he actually looked really good. I kind of expected this guy to look bad because he looks really goofy in general, but he might be one of my favorites so far. I will say that his red nose is really bothering me though. It makes him look like a clown. Since Chili is a creeper, I decided to see a supercharged Chili next. Okay, the charge isn't really meant for him. This is kind of cursed. I decided to spawn a Toxic Gazer, and then I tested to see if a regular Chili can kill him. Okay, he actually survived, and I respect it, honestly. He just stood there and took the blast. He didn't even try to run. I decided to give Chili a 10 out of 10. I don't know why, but I really like him. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Evil Zolphius. I already have Zolphius, so I just removed his old face, added some white eyes, and gave him a way scare your mouth. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure regular Zolphius is evil already, so this guy must be a menace. I'm scared of what he'll do to me for even looking at him. But I will say he actually looks really good. I think the red under his eyes made him look a lot better. This also reminds me of some of the Doors monsters I made because a lot of them look like this. I decided to go to the Nether to find an evil Zolphius, and then I decided to have a ping pong match with him. Okay, that wasn't really fair. He was stuck in the ground. I spawned an army of evil Zolphiuses, and then I decided to see how long it would take them to kill me. Okay, off to a good start. They already hit me. This looks like something you would find in your house at 3 a.m. Okay, I'm dead, but that actually took a while. These guys kind of suck. I decided to give evil Zolphius an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good, but I think I prefer normal Zolphius. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Sandy Jax, and I used a frog to make him because why not? I got rid of all this stuff, expanded his body, and then I colored him brown. I added Sandy Jax to the game, and I'm not gonna lie, he was looking kind of strange. This guy looks kind of like a Diglett with a crown, and I don't know why, but he also looks like some kind of Burger King mascot. Oh, and he could also look like Mr. Potato Head, I guess. At least he can jump high. That is something good about him. I decided to spawn a baby Sandy Jax, which isn't a real thing, and then I spawned a tiny slime rancher for him to eat. Wow, he ate that thing instantly. I guess he was hungry. I decided to give Sandy Jax a 5 out of 10. I don't don't really like him, he looks weird. Next I made Hunky Jake, and I used a warden. I changed the shape of his body, colored him pink, and then I added his hat. I added Hunky Jake to the game, and he was actually looking pretty good. Okay, maybe his animations don't really match him, but if he isn't moving, he looks fine. I also just noticed that his head keeps going into his body, but unfortunately it's gonna stay like that. Since Hunky Jake looks really strong, let's see if he can beat an iron golem. Okay, this was stupid. He obviously can beat an iron golem. He's a warden. Since Hunky Jake is a warden, I decided to go find him in the deep dark. Oh, that actually looks pretty good. I was expecting the animation to be broken. I decided to spawn an army of Hunky Jakes, and then I watched them all chase me. Oh no, they're getting angry. Yeah, I wouldn't want this to happen to me. They look so scary with no legs. I decided to give Hunky Jake a 9 out of 10. His animations are broken, but he looks good. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made the Jester. I used a pillager for the Jester. I colored one half purple, added some spikes, and then I gave him some eyes. I added the Jester to the game, and he looked pretty good. He looks a lot better than I thought he would. His face looked kinda weird in blockbench. He also needs to stop aiming the bow at me. I'm not hostile. Next, I decided to see who would win, the Jester or Hunky Jake. I think we already know what's gonna happen. Yeah, the Jester got one hit. He had no chance. I decided to spawn an army of Jesters, and then I put them all against Hunky Jake. Okay, they might be able to win this time. There's a lot of them. That is if they stop shooting each other. Yeah, Hunky Jake wins this one too. Hopefully the Jester is more powerful in the real game. I decided to give the Jester an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good, but also kinda weird. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Evil Banbaleena. For this one, I used a piglin. I colored her white, added some creepy eyes, and then I gave her some horns. Oh, that's not a piglin, that's a pig. Evil Banbaleena actually looks really good in game. She might be even better than Evil Banban. Oh yeah, she turns into a zombie. We have to go to the nether. But as I was saying, she actually looks really scary, even in Minecraft. Come on, Banbaleena, give me some pearls. No, that's not what I wanted. I decided to spawn a baby Banbaleena, and it looked just as scary, and then I spawned an army of evil Banbaleenas. Oh, some of them have drip. After that, I decided to get chased by all the Banbaleenas. I won't be late for class again, I'm sorry. I guess she doesn't want to send me to the principal's office. I decided to give Evil Banbaleena a 10 out of 10. She actually looks pretty scary in Minecraft. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Sharp Claw, and I used an iron golem to make him. I changed the shape of his body, colored him pink, and then I added his eyes. Okay, this actually looks pretty good in game. Well, at least he looks like the picture. His nails are also really dirty. This guy definitely needs a shower. Sharp Claw kind of looks like Barney, so let's see if he's a friendly dinosaur. Okay, I don't think he wants to be friends. He's kind of mean, actually. Because he's so mean, I decided to make him fight Hunky Jake. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. We already know Hunky Jake can beat an iron golem from earlier. But what about 4 Sharp Claws? Okay, one is already dead. This isn't looking good. Dang, Hunky Jake is crazy. Yeah, I guess 4 Sharp Claws can't take this guy out. He's invincible. I decided to give Sharp Claw a 7 out of 10. I'm disappointed that 4 of them couldn't kill a Hunky Jake. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Charlie Cake. I decided to make him from a creeper. I deleted all this stuff, shaped him into a cake, and then I colored him in. After that, I drew his faces, added these things, and gave him some eyes. I don't think this is the right cake. He doesn't appear to be moving. Charlie Cake actually looks pretty decent, but I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a lot bigger. I don't know how he ended up this small. I will say he looks like he tastes a lot better than the actual cake, though. Hey man, I was just kidding. I'm not gonna eat you. I decided to see a baby Charlie Cake, and then I realized that isn't real, so instead I spawned a supercharged Charlie Cake. Okay, I think the charge is a little bit tall for him. Oh, and the head is also moving. That's kind of weird. I decided to spawn a Sharp Claw, and then I tested if supercharged Charlie Cake can one-shot him. Oh wow, that actually did a lot of damage, and he wasn't even really close to him, so he probably could have killed him. Here you go, Sharp Claw. I'll fix you up. I decided to give Charlie Cake a 7 out of 10. I don't really like how he looks. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Cyclopus. I used a Hoglin to make him. First, I deleted all this stuff. Next, I colored him in, and then I gave him an eye. After that, I gave him teeth, added his arms, and I put the collar around his arm. Cyclopus actually looks pretty good in game, but I'm not sure why he is shaking. Oh yeah, he turns into a zombie. That's why he's shaking. I went to the nether to go and find Cyclopus, and this is how he looks without the shake. I'm not gonna lie, he looks kind of like Stinky Joel from the last video, except he's red. This guy is walking a lot slower though, and he looks like he wants to eat me for dinner. What about a baby Cyclopus? Okay, this guy is way too small. I don't think he can even jump up 1 block. I decided to spawn an army of Cyclopses, and then I made them all chase me. I don't know why they're so much faster now that they want to kill me. This is unfair. Okay, I need to stop getting chased by things. This is like the 3rd time this video. Cyclopus and Evil Banbaleena are both nether mobs, so I decided to see who would win in a fight. Banbaleena has a bow, she should be able to win this one. Okay, never mind, Cyclopus actually won. I decided to give Cyclopus an 8 out of 10, he doesn't look that bad. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Crabzilla. I made Crabzilla from a strider. I moved his legs, shaped his body, and then I colored him red. After that I gave him some eyes and some claws. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's not what his legs are supposed to look like. I don't know how this always happens. I tried to fix his legs, and this is what Crabzilla looked like in game. I'm not gonna lie, he looks pretty good other than when his body randomly turns without his legs. But stuff like that is normal around here, so he looks good. I spawned a baby Crabzilla and he looked about the same, except for his feet sinking into the ground. And then I decided to ride a Crabzilla. Okay, so I'm kinda sitting on his eyes, so I'm not sure if he can see. Yeah, there's definitely mobs that look good when you ride them, and this is not one of them. Also, I like how the baby is just following us around. That's kinda funny. I decided to give Crabzilla a 9 out of 10. He looks good, but his body is broken. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Mr. Smitty. I used a Vindicator to make him. I shrunk his legs and arms, colored him pink, and then I shaped his head. Next I gave him some nostrils, added his eyes, and then I put the orange things on his back. Okay, Mr. Smitty actually looks pretty good in game. I like how his arms are crossed like that. It makes him look cool. But other than that, I don't know. He looks kinda boring. Since Mr. Smitty is a Vindicator, I decided to see if he can beat Sharp Claw in a fight. These guys kinda look like relatives. I think Mr. Smitty is Sharp Claw's little brother. He fought him like his little brother too. He got destroyed. Since Mr. Smitty lost to Sharp Claw, I decided to feed him a villager to make him happy. I don't like him as much with the axe out. He looks kinda scary. RIP villager, Mr. Smitty was too fast. I decided to give Mr. Smitty a 6 out of 10. I'm not sure why, but I don't really like him. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Remy. Remy is a dog, so I used a wolf. I colored him orange, shaped his mouth, and then I gave him some eyes. After that I added his teeth, and finally I gave him some feet. I added Remy to the game, and he looked a little bit better than he did in blockbench. I'm not gonna lie, he looked pretty bad in blockbench though, so at least this is a little bit better. I wish I could say the same for the baby one though. Why is his head so big? Don't worry guys, nothing to see here. I decided to tame a Remy, and this is what he looks like when he's sitting down. I don't know why, but this reminds me of the dog from Mickey Mouse. Maybe he's supposed to be a scary version of him or something. To see if he really is scary, I decided to make him fight Evil Banbaleena. Okay, he can't be making those noises when he gets hit. I feel bad. Wow, he actually almost lost. That one was close. I'm going to give Remy a 7 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad, but he isn't really good either. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Lazcat. I used a cat for this one, obviously. I moved his legs, colored him pink, and then I shaped his head. Next I colored his mouth, gave him some eyes, and finally I gave him some teeth. Okay, this one is probably one of the worst mobs I've made, but it also looks pretty good for what it is. Like, I can't really see how I could have made this better. He just looks bad in general. What about a baby Lazcat? Okay, this is just too small. It kind of looks like a mouse. I decided to tame a Lazcat, and this is what he looks like when he is sitting down. Okay, I think there's something wrong with his front legs. They aren't really connected anymore. Since Lazcat is a cat and Remy is a dog, I decided to see which one of them will win in a fight. Okay, I guess dogs are stronger than cats. This settles it. I decided to give Lazcat a 6 out of 10. He looks worse than Remy. Next I made Fairy Aruru, and I know she's gonna be in the actual game, but I'm still making her. I colored her body purple, gave her a face, and then added her wand. I added her to the game and her head was looking kind of broken, so I decided to fix that. Okay, that's still a little messed up, but it's good enough. Also, her feet are both on the same leg, but I'm not fixing that. Only one fix per mob. Oh yeah, I forgot that happens. Since Fairy Aruru was made from a hoglin, I decided to go find her in the nether. I'm not usually a fan of these guys because they like to hit you from far away, but I guess for Fairy Aruru, I'll make an exception. Since Banban is also a nether mob, I decided to see who would win, Banban or Fairy Aruru. Dang, Banban's going in. Wait, Banban actually won that. I thought Fairy Aruru was gonna win, not gonna lie. I decided to spawn an army of fairies, and then I made them all chase me. Hopefully this doesn't happen in the actual game, because these guys are kinda scary. Also, their legs look kinda funny. I'm going to give Fairy Aruru an 8 out of 10. Other than the broken stuff, she looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Tall Victor. I used an Enderman for Tall Victor because he's tall. I colored him fully green, added these things on the bottom, and then I gave him an eye. After that I added his goofy mouth, gave him a broccoli head, and fixed his arms a little bit. I added Tall Victor to the game, and he actually ended up looking pretty good. He looks kinda funny when he walks though. I don't really think it's supposed to look like that. Since Tall Victor is supposed to be a vegetable, it only makes sense to make him fight Jumbo Josh. Okay, yeah, Victor had no chance. Jumbo Josh eats too many vegetables. I went to the end to find more Tall Victors, and then I got them all to chase me. I don't even know if this is scary. His face looks kinda goofy. Okay, well, even if if it's not scary, it's still deadly. Tall Victor, you better apologize for killing me or I'm not looking away. I'm going to give Tall Victor a 9 out of 10. He honestly looks pretty good, especially as a meal. Next I made Nibbler. I decided to make Nibbler from a wither, cause well, I don't know, I just never used the wither. I kinda forgot to record me making Nibbler, so here's me adding some orange things on his arms, cause that's all I have. I spawned the Nibbler in game, and he was honestly looking pretty crazy. Ignore the black spot on the bottom, I didn't know this would happen. I'm pretty sure Nibbler doesn't fly around and attack random mobs, so I don't think this is accurate. I'm also not sure if you see it, but he kinda looks like the guy from Monsters Inc. There's honestly not much to do with this guy, so I decided to see if he can beat Jumbo Josh. Jumbo Josh is the most powerful Ban mob so far, but he might lose this one. Yeah, Nibbler's health bar is barely moving. This isn't looking good. Come on, Jumbo Josh, you can win this one. Okay, I was lying. There's no way he was winning this one. I guess I'm gonna have to step in and end this. Yeah, I had even less chance than Jumbo Josh. Nibbler is too good. I decided to give Nibbler an 8 out of 10. I honestly can't really tell if he looks good or bad, so I'm just gonna go with good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Miss Luna. I decided to make her from a bee because I think she's a bug. I colored her body purple, gave her some eyes, and then I added her crown. After that I added her dress, gave her some legs, and finally added her wings. She actually ended up looking pretty good in game. The flying suits her well. I will say her eyes look kinda weird though, she looks sad. I decided to spawn a baby Miss Luna and it looked exactly the same. I don't really know what I was expecting. Miss Luna is probably pretty good at fighting, so I decided to put that to the test. Okay, maybe I was wrong. She didn't even really fight. I spawned an army of Miss Lunas and then I decided to make them all follow me. Okay, this one isn't that scary. Oh wait, why is she upside down? Wait, I just noticed that bees like to attack Zoglins for some reason. Look at them all ganging up on the Zoglin, like what is going on? I decided to give Miss Luna an 8 out of 10. She looks really good, but she doesn't really do anything. She's kinda boring. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Dr. Fluffy Pants. I made him from a panda. I moved his head, colored him blue, and then I gave him a mouth. Next I added his eyes, gave him some ear things, and made the heart on his chest. Dr. Fluffy Pants is definitely an interesting name for a guy like this. He looks kinda buff. Also, we'll ignore his head. I know it's broken, but I don't care. Wait, look at him rolling around. That's kinda crazy. Since I made him from a panda, I decided to feed Dr. Fluffy Pants some bamboo. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with him. This is not okay. I decided to spawn a baby Dr. Fluffy Pants, and this is what happened. Well, the good thing is I can't break him by feeding him bamboo. The bad thing is his head is floating higher than before by default. Oh wait, they're following me because I'm holding bamboo. I didn't even realize. Since Dr. Fluffy Pants is a doctor, I decided to see if he can perform an operation. Alright, I guess he doesn't feel like doing it. He's just gonna leave this villager to die. I decided to give Dr. Fluffy Pants a 7 out of 10. I like how he looks, but his head is broken. We can't excuse that. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Chef Pigster, and I made him from a pig. I gave him his face on his chest, added his other head on the top, and then I gave him some sideways arms. Chef Pigster actually looks pretty good in game, but I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a lot bigger. His arms also don't move with his head, but I'm not fixing that. Chef Pigster is supposed to be a chef, so I decided to see if he can cook me a meal. I probably shouldn't have chosen a pork chop, that's kinda messed up. After that, I decided to spawn a baby Chef Pigster. I kinda forgot that all the baby pigs have this weird thing with their head. Also, there's an eye on his back, not sure how I didn't notice that. I spawned an army of Chef Pigsters, and then I made them all follow me. Yeah, this definitely isn't scary at all. I decided to give Chef Pigster an 8 out of 10. His bottom head looks really good. Not the top head though, I don't know what this is. Next I made Coach Pickles. I used a Strider to make him because he kind of resembles a Strider. I made his legs a lot bigger, colored him blue, and then I gave him a mouth. Next I added his trunk, gave him some weird looking eyes, and then I added his ears. Okay, I'm pretty sure something is wrong, but I can't really tell what. I fixed his legs, and this is how he looks in game. He honestly looks pretty good. Okay, his other foot is attached to the wrong leg still, but I'm just gonna leave it. Also, we ignore the missing texture here. It doesn't look like that in blockbench. Coach Pickles probably coaches some sort of sports team, so let's see if he can beat me in a snowball fight. Okay, I don't think that's gonna work. Let's see what a baby Pickles looks like. He looks just about as cursed as the big one. I decided to ride a Coach Pickles, and I'm pretty sure that something doesn't look right. I'm going to give Coach Pickles a 7 out of 10. He honestly looks kinda weird. It's time for the next mob. Next, I decided to make Nabnalina. I already made Nabnab, so I just took the Nabnab model and changed it a little bit. First, I made the tongue a different shape, then I fixed her eyes, and finally I colored her pink. This is kind of weird. For some reason, she looks just like Nab Nab. I also forgot that Nabnalina is supposed to have a bow on her head, so I added that. When I made Nab Nab, I got him to chase me, so I had to get chased by Nabnalina as well. This looks just as scary as last time. I also found a way to make it look like Nabnalina is chasing me on a roof, just like how Nab Nab does in the game. Well, she doesn't chase me, but it looks like she's on a roof, so that's cool. I decided to have a fight between Chef Pigster and Nabnalina, and you will never expect what happened next. Okay, it was kind of obvious what would happen, I'm just bored. I decided to give Nabnalina a 6 out of 10 because that's what I gave Nab Nab and they look the same. It's time for the next mob. Next, I decided to make Hunter Tim. I made Hunter Tim from a Ravager. First, I made his head bigger, then I colored him purple, and I added some hair to his head. I also gave him a big wide mouth, added his eyes, and gave him a couple of arms and feet. Hunter Tim looks kinda strange in game, but at least nothing is broken this time, I think. Since Hunter Tim is a Ravager, let's see him take on a villager. Wow, he's fast. His head looks kinda weird when he attacks, but that's fine. Also, I'm pretty sure hunters aren't supposed to kill villagers, they're supposed to kill animals to feed the villagers. But I guess Hunter Tim is just built different. To see if he really is built different, I decided to challenge him to a fight. Yeah, I had zero chance. I can't even tell where I was supposed to be hitting. I decided to spawn an army of Hunter Tims, and then I made them fight a warden. The warden seems to be killing a lot of them, but they might actually win this. Dang, the Hunter Tims actually won. I mean, it was a 10v1, so it's not really an accomplishment, but I'm still surprised. I'm going to give Hunter Tim an 8 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad. It's time for the next mob. For the next mob, I made Stinky Joel. I used an iron golem to make him. I shaped his body, colored him green, and then I added these teeth things. After that, I gave him some eyes, colored his legs, and then I rotated his arms a bit. I don't think I even have to say something is broken because you already know it is. I fixed his arms, which took a while because I somehow put both arms on the wrong side, and this is how Stinky Joel looks in game. He kinda stinks. I'm just kidding, he doesn't actually look that bad. I decided to see who would win in a fight, Stinky Joel or Hunter Tim. This fight is actually a lot closer than I thought. Stinky Joel won. I'm actually kinda surprised. I thought Hunter Tim had that. Will he beat 2 Hunter Tims though? Nope, 2 Hunter Tims is too many for him. I spawned an army of Stinky Joels, and honestly I'm not sure why. I didn't even do anything with them. I then gave Stinky Joel a bottle of Dragon's Breath because that's the stinkiest thing I could find, and then I decided to give him a 7 out of 10. He doesn't look that bad, but he isn't interesting enough. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Noodles Ninja. Since Noodles Ninja looks like a jellyfish, I decided to make him from an Elder Guardian. I removed all this stuff, colored him blue, and then I gave him a mouth. After that, I added his eyes, added some noodles on the side, and then I gave him some arms and legs. Surprisingly, nothing broke with this one. His legs are in the ground, but he's supposed to be in the water anyway, so that's fine. Also, the sound he makes is kind of weird, but I didn't add that. That's not my fault. Let's see a baby Noodles Ninja. Oh yeah, that's not a thing. I decided to spawn a Noodles Ninja in the water, and this is how he looked. He looks a lot better in water because you can actually see his legs. He would also look a lot better if his arms and legs moved, but I'm not doing all that. I decided to fight Noodles Ninja to see if he really is a ninja. I really should get some armor for these fights. I decided to give Noodles Ninja an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good, but his eyes are kind of scary. It's time for the next mob. Next, I made Silent Steve. And Silent Steve is a serpent, so I made him from a warden, because those two are the exact same thing. I deleted everything except his body, colored him purple, and then I started shaping his new body. After that, I started making his head, gave him some eyes, and then I added his tongue. Yeah, this looks really bad, but it's gonna have to do. At least he isn't broken. He also kind of moves like a serpent, so that's cool. Okay, maybe that's not how a serpent moves, but I'm pretending it does. Since Silent Steve is a serpent, it only makes sense to spawn him in the water. Surprisingly, it actually looks like he belongs here. I decided to see if Silent Steve or Noodles Ninja is the superior water monster. Okay, this fight is kind of weird. I don't think the warden can melee in water. But even though he can't melee, Silent Steve still won. Okay, that's enough Silent Steve for now. He's kinda cursed. I decided to give Silent Steve a 3 out of 10 because I just don't really know what this is supposed to be. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into Skibbity Toilet. The first character I'll make is a regular toilet, and I'm gonna use a villager. You'll see why in a second. First, let's delete all this stuff because we don't need it, and then we'll turn this cube into the bottom of the toilet. Let's color it white, and then we'll start making the toilet more circular. Now let's expand these walls up a little bit more, and we'll put some blue toilet water inside of the bowl. Now let's use the villager head as the head. I'll obviously fix the texture later, and I'll just make the back of the toilet like this, and I'll also make the toilet seat in front of it as well. Now let's color all this in, and we'll fix the villager head texture. Now let's put a little flush button on the back like this, and now our toilet is pretty much done. I just have to add an animation for this guy, just like in the actual series. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's add it to the game. This is how the Skibbity Toilet looks in game. It honestly looks really good. The only real real problem I see is this weird spot on the neck here, but that doesn't really matter. In the actual series, when a toilet dies, there's a flush animation, so I added that to this toilet as well. Oh yeah, he also drops cocoa beans when he dies. Those are definitely cocoa beans. The Skibidi toilet is also hostile towards players because a player is technically a cameraman. This is what happens when you don't subscribe. You get chased by toilets. Overall, I think the Skibidi toilet turned out pretty good, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Now, obviously our toilets need an enemy other than me, so next I'm gonna make a cameraman. And I'll use a zombie since zombies hate villagers. We'll start by making a little shoe down here, and now we'll start to give him a leg. Now let's copy the leg over to the other side, and now let's work on his body. I'm gonna give him some long arms like this, and now I'm gonna start to shape the camera on his head. Let's just put some walls around the lens like this, and then we'll give him the headphones that he wears as well. Now it's time to color this guy in. Let's start by coloring the edges of the camera, and then we'll color some parts of his suit black. And now let's just add some details to his suit as well. The cameraman I'm looking at also seems to be wearing a coat, so let's give him that as well. Now let's just add a little bit of texture to him, and I think that looks good. Let's add him to the game. This is our cameraman in game. He actually looks pretty cool. Okay, I don't really know why he doesn't stop walking. That's a problem. Okay, I fixed the walking issue by giving him this idle animation, and he also has another animation, which is this thumbs up animation. I've been told it looks like something else though. Obviously, the cameramen and the Skibidi toilets naturally fight each other, and the fight is actually really even. Come on, cameraman, you can win this. Oh yeah, I made the cameraman drop a command block because I didn't know what to give him. You can also watch a fight from inside the cameraman since he's a cameraman. This is definitely not just a feature that exists for every mob. I decided to give the cameraman a 6 out of 10. I know I'm supposed to be on his team, but I don't like him as much as the toilet. Next, I'll make a Strider toilet. And let's use a spider because he kind of looks like a spider. First, let's remove everything except his legs, and we'll copy the old toilet on top like this. Now we can give the old toilet some texture again, and now let's make it so he only has 3 legs. Okay, that looks pretty good. Next, we can add an extra limb to each side of the legs so that they can bend, and we'll just repeat that on each side. Now this looks pretty good, but the Strider toilet is kind of dirty and broken, so we have to add that too. So let's just add a black spot down here, and we'll make the entire toilet seat black, and also make it look like it's oozing. And now we can change the villager's face. I want to give him some big eyes, so first we'll do that, and now we'll just give him a creepy mouth, and we'll also just give him some shading on his head. And that looks kind of cursed, but that's what we wanted. Let's see him in game. This is the spider toilet in game. He kind of looks like the Joker. The spider toilet is also insanely fast compared to the other mobs, which doesn't really help him look less scary. Like, look at him chasing me. This is almost a horror mod. The Strider toilet is also a lot stronger than a regular toilet, as he's able to take on 2 cameramen at the same time. Only 1 player though. He definitely didn't almost kill me. Oh yeah, I also made it so you can ride him, because you can ride an actual Strider, so it made sense. I think I'm going to give the Strider toilet a 7 out of 10, just like the regular toilet, because he isn't any more interesting. But the mobs are about to get more interesting, because next I'm gonna make the Titan Speaker Man. And I'm using a Vindicator because they also hate villagers. First, I'm going to use the same leg I made for the cameraman and just copy it here. And then we'll change the shape of his body a bit and give him some better looking arms. Now let's start to color what we have so far. We'll make the pants dark gray just like on the cameraman, and then we'll color the shoes black as well. Now we'll just color his arms and chest red for now, and then we'll work on making his speakers. I'm gonna make the speakers with no texture first to see how they look. And I think that's some pretty good speakers, so let's just color them all black. And now we'll start to add the actual speaker parts with the red ones first. And we'll also add a few gray ones as well. Now we can make the red thing that comes out of his chest like this. And we'll also add his plasma blaster on the side of his arm. Now we'll just add some texture all around him to make him look a little bit nicer. And that's the Titan Speaker Man complete. Let's see how he looks in game. This is the Titan Speaker Man in game. He's definitely a little bit bigger than a cameraman. I also decided to give him a boss bar so you know that he's a big deal. If any type of toilets get within range of the Titan Speaker Man, he shoots powerful plasma bombs at them. You can tell they're really powerful because he almost died from his own attacks. If the Titan Speaker Man does manage to die, he will drop a note block. And I would play the Speaker Man song right now, but I don't really want to get copyrighted. The Titan Speaker Man is honestly my favorite mob right now, and because of that, we're going to give him a 9 out of 10. But it turns out the Titan Speaker Man got infected, so let's make that next. I used a Wandering Trader as the base, but that doesn't really matter because we've already made the Titan Speaker Man. We just have to add a few details to make him infected, like this yellow light instead of red, and we'll also add some blue stuff to show he's infected. Okay, never mind, we'll get rid of that. This is the infected Speaker Man in game. It was honestly kind of hard to tell the difference between the two, so I added these particles to make him look infected. Oh yeah, and there's also a different boss bar as well, but no one is looking at that anyway. One difference between the infected and regular Speaker Man is that the infected one can fly. I don't know if he's supposed to be able to do that, but it definitely makes their fight more interesting. Their fight also makes no sense because there can't be 2 Titan Speaker Men at once. Okay, the infected Speaker Man is way too OP because he can fly. I'm going to give the infected Speaker Man a 9 out of 10 as well, because they're basically the same thing. Next I'll make the TV woman, and I'm going to use a witch to make her. Let's remove all this stuff, and now we can make the bottom of her leg. Let's color her shoe black, and then we'll add the top half of her leg as well. Now we can copy the leg over to the other side, and next let's work on her body. First I'm gonna make her a bit taller, and let's put her arms behind her back. Now we can color her shirt black, and we can also change the shape of her arms. And now that looks pretty good, but obviously we have to change this head. So let's make it into the shape of a TV like this, and we'll color this outside part dark black. Now let's color the inside a light shade of blue, and next we can give her some antennas. Now finally let's just add some texture all around her body, and I think that looks really good. Let's add her to the game. This is how the TV woman looks in game. She actually looks really good. I also don't know if you noticed, but I made her switch between nothing and the face she does every few seconds. The TV woman has less health than the Titan Speaker Man, but her attack is much faster. This means that when they fight, it's actually kinda close. It also means she can take out a bunch of toilets at once, and they literally can't do anything. I also made the TV woman teleport away when she gets low on health, just like how she teleports in the actual series. She doesn't really teleport that far away, but that's so the fight remains fair. If you kill the TV woman, she drops a piece of glass from her TV screen, which is pretty useless, but it makes sense. And she also makes witch noises all the time, which is kinda funny. I'm going to give the TV woman a 10 out of 10. I think she turned out really good. Next, I'm going to make the G-Man toilet. And since I used a villager for the regular toilet, it only makes sense to use an iron golem for this one. Let's start by deleting everything except the head, and now let's paste the head onto a toilet body like this. Now obviously the G-Man toilet isn't the same color as the regular toilets, so let's just color them in. And now this is a pretty good base, so let's start adding some detail. The G-Man toilet has these orange glasses, so let's just give them to our iron golem as well. And we can also add the headphones he wears as well. Now let's just make the bottom of the toilet more reinforced, and we're also gonna add the dark gray shields he has all around his body like this. And that is looking pretty good. Now let's add his lasers. The G-Man toilet has 6 lasers in total, so that's how many I added on our toilet as well. Now for some final details, let's add some more reinforcement to the back of the toilet, and we can also add some texture to the accessories we just gave him. And we're done with the G-Man Skibbity toilet. Let's add him to the game. This is the G-Man toilet in game. He is definitely the biggest mob we've made so far. The G-Man toilet is also by far the most powerful mob we've made so far. He's basically able to insta-kill the TV woman, and the Titan Speaker Man doesn't do much better against him either. I thought that I could take out the G-Man toilet, but it also didn't go well for me either. He is too good. If you kill a G-Man toilet, he drops a totem of undying because I didn't really know what to make him drop. I also like how he makes an iron golem sound when you hit him. It actually fits him. Honestly, the G-Man toilet is one of the best looking mobs I've made so far, and because of that, I decided to give him a 10 out of 10. The only problem is that he's too powerful. We need someone that's able to beat him. So next I'll make the Titan TV Man, and I'm gonna use a Ravager because that's the most powerful villager hating mob. So first let's just get rid of this random stuff, and we'll also rearrange his body parts so they are more TV Man shaped. Now we can give him some legs like this, and we'll color his pants and shoes black. Now let's give him his body, and we'll also use this to give him some arms as well. And now we'll also give him some hands like this, and now it's time to give him his TV head. Let's make the black outlines first, and then we'll just give him a blue screen in the middle. The Titan TV Man appears to be wearing a coat, so I'm going to give him one of those as well. And now let's just give his clothes a little bit of texture like this, and we'll add the purple thing that glows in the middle of his chest. Now finally let's just add these purple things that come off his back, and that is our Titan TV Man. Let's see him in Minecraft. This is how the Titan TV Man looks in game. He's honestly not as intimidating as I thought. Don't let that trick you though, because he's definitely the most powerful mob yet. Okay, there might be a slight problem with his walk. I feel like it shouldn't look like that. Similar to the TV woman, I made it so his face changes every few seconds. I also made it so he teleports away when he gets low as well, although I don't think that's happening. This is what happens when the Titan TV Man fights the G-Man toilet. I don't think the toilet had any chance. Maybe like 5 of them could kill him. Nope, not even 5 of them can do that. I decided to give the Titan TV Man an 8 out of 10. Even though he's really powerful, I don't think he looks as good as the others. Next character I'll make is the Titan Cameraman, and I'm gonna use the Warden to make him. First I'm gonna give him a leg from the cameraman we made last time, and then I'm just gonna remove all this stuff that we don't need. Now let's copy his leg over to the other side, and we'll just shape his body to match his legs a little bit more. Now let's just change the shape of his legs a little bit, and I'm gonna color in his pants and shirt black for now. The Titan Cameraman's arms obviously aren't this big, so let's give him some new arms, and let's just give him some fingers as well. Now let's just copy this thing over to the other side, and now we can work on adding his head. First let's start to make the main camera like this, and we'll give him a little lens in the middle as well. And now let's just add some detail to the side like this, and we'll also put some of those things sticking up on the top as well, and I think that looks pretty good. Now let's start to give him some more detail. First I'm gonna give him a belt like this, and then I'm gonna add his coat that he's wearing right here, and of course we're gonna give him his core in the middle as well. And now let's just add these things that he has on his back, and I'm also gonna add some texture to him like this, and I think he looks pretty good. Let's add him to the game. This is the Titan cameraman in game. He actually looks really good. Look at him hard at work, recording everything in sight. The Titan cameraman is really strong, and he is able to destroy the G-Man toilet. Well, sometimes, and sometimes he just decides to not hit him. I guess he's just being fair. The Titan cameraman also has a ranged attack, but for some reason he only uses it when he's already meleeing, which makes no sense. But I'm not fixing it, because it would probably make him way too OP. Subscriber, the Titan cameraman will mistaken you for a toilet. If you do kill the Titan cameraman, he drops a spyglass, which is probably the closest thing to a camera in Minecraft. It's a lot better than a command block, at least. I'm going to give the Titan cameraman an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good, but his fighting isn't the best. Now that we've made all the Titans, it's time to upgrade them. So next I'm gonna make the upgraded Titan Speaker Man. Let's take the Titan Speaker Man that we made last time, and we'll start by expanding his arms out and getting rid of his belt. Next I'm gonna add these things that attach to his speakers like this, and we'll just do the same thing on the other side as well. The upgraded Titan Speaker Man has a bright red eye, so I'm going to add that as well, and we'll also make his core the same color so it looks a bit brighter. Now let's just copy his plasma blaster over to his other arm as well, and next I'm going to add these shields that he has over his ankles. The upgraded Titan Speaker Man also has some speakers on his chest, so I'm gonna add those right here, and now I'm just gonna add these antenna shaped things on the top of his head. Finally, I want to give the Titan Speaker Man a jetpack, so let's just add a cube like this, and I'm gonna add a bunch of smaller cubes as well, and I think this looks really good. Let's add him to the game. This is the upgraded Titan Speaker Man in game. This guy is actually massive. He's also moving really fast, and I'm not quite sure how that happened. The upgraded Titan Speaker Man is pretty much the same as the regular Titan, except he's way more powerful. Well, he isn't actually that much more powerful, he just shoots faster. If you kill an upgraded Titan Speaker Man, he drops a pig step music disc, and I'm not really sure why. I just picked a random music disc for him to drop, and that was the one. But I don't think you're gonna kill this guy, because he has way too much health. I think I'm going to give the upgraded Titan Speaker Man a 9 out of 10. I honestly really like how he looks in game. Next, I'm going to make Cinema Man, and I'm gonna start by using the Titan TV Man from last video. First, let's make his body a little bit wider like this, and next I'm gonna give him a new and improved jacket. Now let's just color his pants a bit darker, and we'll also make his head a little bit wider as well. I'm also going to lift up his head a little bit and give him a neck, and now it's time to start adding the speakers on his body. I'm going to start by making the helicopter speakers first. So let's just draw in a helicopter blade like this, and we're gonna copy this to the other side so he has one on each shoulder. Now it's time to give him the massive speaker on his chest. So first I'm gonna make a black box like this, and then I'm gonna copy the speaker part 9 times to match the actual speaker. Now let's just change up his coat a little bit more, and we'll add these things that he has on the side of his arms like this, and finally I'm going to give him a jetpack on his back. And that's the Cinema Man complete. Let's see him in the game. This is how Cinema Man looks in game. He looks way better than the regular Titan TV Man. Oh yeah, he also does the face thing. I forgot about that. I ended up nerfing the Cinema Man's damage because the Titan TV Man was way too OP, and now he's just a little bit better than the G-Man toilet. Well, that is if they hit each other, of course. I also fixed the Cinema Man's walk animation so it doesn't look weird like the Titan TV Man did. And overall, the Cinema Man is just an upgraded version of the Titan TV Man, because that's what he's supposed to be. Oh wait, I just noticed there's a couple bites taken out of the back of his head. I'm not really sure how that got there. Other than that, I think the Cinema Man turned out pretty good, so I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the upgraded Titan Cameraman. So let's just take the Titan Cameraman that we made earlier, and the first thing we'll do is make his arms a little bit bigger. Now let's change his jacket a bit and make it go all the way down to the middle of his legs, and next we'll add the shields that he has around his knees. Now let's add the thing that goes around his core right here, and we'll also add this gray piece which might be from his shirt. I'm not even sure. Next, we'll give him some slightly different looking hands like this, and now it's time to add some details to his head and shoulders. First, we'll add the cannons that he has on his back like this, and next let's add some of the upgrades that he has on his cameras up here. I'm also gonna add the red light on the very top as well, and next I'm gonna give him a jetpack, so let's make the first part of it like this, and we'll just rotate these parts out a little bit, and we'll also add some blue ones as well. And finally, let's add a little bit more texture to him, and I think he's looking good. Let's add him to the game. This is how the upgraded Titan Cameraman looks in game. This guy actually looks really good. I will say there's a little bit of a problem on the back of his arm though, but you can barely notice it. The Titan Cameraman is able to fly, which I thought was a good idea, but I think he's going a little too high up. Okay, I stopped him from being able to fly, and now he's a lot better. The upgraded Titan Cameraman is a little bit stronger than the regular Titan Cameraman, and this time his ranged attack actually works. He also has a thumbs up animation just like the regular Cameraman, but this time I actually gave him a thumb so it isn't mistaken for anything else. The upgraded Titan Cameraman is fire resistant just like in the actual series, and if you do kill him, he drops the same thing as the regular Titan cameraman because I'm on original. Overall, I think the upgraded Titan cameraman turned out really good, so I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. Now that we have all these upgraded Titans, they need some competition, so next I'll make the upgraded scientist toilet. And I'm gonna use a skeleton for him because he looks really old. So let's just remove his whole body because we'll only need his head. And I'm just gonna copy the toilet that we used for the G-Man onto him like this. Let's just get rid of all the G-Man upgrades and we'll color the toilet a light brownish color just like we did for the G-Man. Now let's give him some toilet water so you can't see into the bowl. And we're going to give him a neck like this. The scientist toilet seems to be wearing glasses, so let's just give him some of those. And we'll also put the red spot that he has on the left part of the glasses as well. The scientist toilet is wearing the upgrades that Cinema Man used to have on him, so we're going to add those next. First I copied the main speaker from Cinema Man and put it on the front like this, and then I copied the 2 helicopter speakers and put them on each side as well. Next we'll just make the back part of the toilet a little bit bigger as it's kind of small right now. And I'm just gonna add these gray things that he has on his back as well. Alright, now we need to give the scientist toilet his arms, so I'm going to start making an arm like this, and I'm actually gonna color this lighter gray, it's too dark. Now let's copy this arm onto the other side, and I'm just gonna rotate the arm like this to make it look a little bit nicer. Now finally I'm gonna add this light thing on the side of his head right here, and I think that looks pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is the upgraded scientist toilet in game. This guy is by far the biggest mob we've made. And he's not just the biggest mob, but he's also one of the coolest, as he's able to hover on the ground instead of walking. The upgraded scientist toilet is insanely powerful. This is what he does to a regular Titan speaker man. He literally didn't even have a chance. Now let's try the upgraded Titan speaker man. That wasn't much better. It's probably going to take a combined attempt from all the Titans to take this guy out. Come on Titans, you can do it. Okay, good. They managed to kill him. If they didn't, he would have been way too OP. I also made the scientist toilet drop a brewing stand when you kill him because that's science, I guess. I don't really know. And if you look closely, you can see that he shoots through the red part of his glasses because I'm pretty sure he's supposed to do that. I'm going to give the upgraded scientist toilet a 10 out of 10. I'm pretty sure this is my new favorite mob so far. He looks really good. Next, I'm gonna make the parasitic skibidi toilet. And I'll use a silverfish because that's the closest thing to a parasite. First, let's get rid of all this stuff. And we'll just start to make the shape of a toilet like this. Now let's color the toilet a backroomsy looking color. And we'll add this rectangle part that comes up from the back. Actually, I'm gonna change the color a bit. It's way too yellow. Next, I'm gonna add a long neck for the head like this. And now we're just gonna give him a villager head just like the regular toilet. Next, let's change his face a little bit to make him look more like the parasite toilet. And let's add the little pipe thingy on the top of the toilet like this. Now it's time to start adding some texture all around the toilet like this. And now let's start to give him some legs. And we'll copy these legs over to the other side like this. And now let's just rotate them a bit so they point more outwards. And I think that's a pretty good parasite toilet. Let's add him to the game. This is how the parasite toilet looks in game. This guy is way too tiny. And because he's so small, he's also really fast, which makes him kind of scary to get chased by. There are 2 sizes of parasite toilets, small and large. And I know the large one is supposed to look different, I just didn't feel like making the other version. If a large parasite toilet bites a Titan speaker man, he will turn infected, and if a small parasite toilet bites a cameraman, it will infect him as well. I also added an infected version of the upgraded Titan speaker man, but there's a very small chance that he gets bit before killing the parasite. The parasite toilets are also able to be deployed by the upgraded scientist toilet, which I actually think is a pretty cool way for them to spawn. Overall, the parasite toilet turned out pretty good, other than this weird spot on the side that I'm not sure how to fix, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Next, I'll make a regular speaker man, and I'm gonna use a Vex to make him because that's a villager hating mob. First, let's take a leg from the cameraman like this, and we'll just move these body parts for now because they are definitely in the wrong place. Next, let's color the speaker man's pants a light gray like this, and now it's time to add his body. First, let's expand the body out to make it a lot bigger like this, and then we'll start to give him some arms as well. Now let's also give him some fingers at the bottom of his arms, and now we'll just color all of this in for now. I'm gonna add the speaker man's jacket next, so let's work on that, and now it's time to give him a head. We'll start by giving him a neck first so his speaker isn't floating, and now we'll shape the head into a speaker. And let's just color the speaker a little bit darker than his suit, and we're gonna give him the actual speaker part in the middle like this. Okay, now that we have a speaker head, let's give him some headphones, and let's also put the headphone band at the top like this, and now I'm gonna give him some extra texture all around his suit like this, and I'm also gonna give him a tie and a belt on his shirt. Alright, I think this guy looks pretty good. It's time to add him to the game. This is our speaker man in game. He definitely looks a lot better than I expected. Okay, what is up with all the speaker men being so fast? I swear I don't know how this is happening. The regular speaker man has the same strength level as a regular cameraman, which means the only thing he can really kill is the regular toilet. But the speaker man doesn't actually kill the skibidi toilets. Instead, he just sits on top of them, just like in the actual series. It is kind of weird though, because the head doesn't disappear. The regular speaker man is also able to do the Speaker Man dance if you right click him, and this is probably one of my favorite features I've made so far. It looks so funny. If you kill a Speaker Man, he drops a jukebox, which pairs really well with the Pig Step disc from earlier, or you can use it to play my favorite music disc, which drops from the infected upgraded Titan Speaker Man as well. Overall, I think the Speaker Man is one of my favorite mobs so far, so I'm gonna give him a 10 out of 10 as well. The dance is just too good. Next, I'll make a large Speaker Man, and since I used a Vex for a small Speaker Man, I'm gonna use an Evoker for the big one. First, let's delete all this stuff, and next I'm gonna use the regular Speaker Man's leg, but I'm just gonna make it bigger. Now let's copy the leg over to the other side, and we'll just shape his body so it fits his legs. Now let's color his legs black for now, and we'll color in his white shirt on the top as well. Okay, now that's looking pretty good. Let's start to give him some arms, and we'll just copy this over to the other side. Now let's color the arms the same color as his shirt, and we're going to give him some long fingers as well. And now it's time to add his head. So let's just color the speaker in dark black, and we'll add the first speaker part in the bottom middle like this, and let's just add a few more of these and also color around them a bit. And now it's time to add a few more details like this belt down here, and we're also going to give him some texture as well, and I think that looks really good. Let's see him in game. This is the large Speaker Man in game. He is definitely a lot larger than a regular Speaker Man, and just like the regular Speaker Man, you can make this guy dance as well, although it looks kind of broken because I just copied it from the original Speaker Man. The large Speaker Man is a lot more powerful than a regular Speaker Man by far. He is actually so powerful that he's able to one-shot himself with his own attack. I also made it so his attack animation looks kind of like a punch because it was supposed to be for his melee attack. The only problem is that he only uses his ranged attack, so it's useless. If a large Speaker Man dies, he drops a cat music disc because some of the other ones drop music discs, so I decided to just do that. And honestly, that's all there really is. He's just a large version of the Speaker Man. I think I'm gonna give the large Speaker Man a 9 out of 10. I like how he looks, but I don't think he's better than the regular Speaker Man. Next, I'm gonna make a large cameraman, and I'm gonna use a pillager because we haven't used that yet. So let's just remove a few of the things we don't need, and I'm mainly gonna use the same body as the large Speaker Man, so let's add the legs first, and we'll just color them in all black like this. And now let's copy over the large Speaker Man's body, and we'll just color this black for now as well. And now let's just copy over the arms from the large Speaker Man as well, and we'll color these in just like we colored in the other parts before. Alright, now it's time to turn this head into a camera. So first we're gonna make the lens part of the camera like this, and we'll add the film part coming off the back like this. And now let's just add a few more details, and we'll color the front part of the camera black, and now let's color the back part a similar color, and we're gonna color the film a lighter gray so it stands out. And now that looks pretty good, so next we need to add the detail to his shirt. I'm gonna start by adding a tie like this, and then I'm gonna add a coat on the top because all the cameramen wear these long coats. And now I'm just gonna add a bit of texture around his body like this, and I think that looks good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is the large cameraman in game. He kind of reminds me of the large Speaker Man. I won't lie, his legs going through his coat like this looks kind of weird, but other than that, he looks pretty good. I also made the large cameraman noticeably shorter than the large Speaker Man because he's supposed to be the shortest out of the large variants. The large cameraman has more health and does more damage than a regular cameraman, but I decided to make it so he only melees unlike the large Speaker Man. It's probably for the better though, as we saw what happened before. In the series, the large cameraman has a baton which he uses to stun toilets, so I made it so he drops a stick when he dies, which is supposed to be a baton. The large cameraman also stuns low-level toilets when he hits them, which is supposed to act as a baton shocking them. Like usual, I gave the large cameraman a thumbs up animation, and this time there's absolutely no possible confusion because I made his arm bend. Overall, I don't like the large cameraman as much as the Speaker Man, so I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10. Next, I'll make a TV man, and I'm gonna use an Enderman because the TV man teleports. First, we'll change the shape and size of his legs because they were a little big. And now let's color this in, and we'll also give him some shoes. Now let's add the top part of his legs like this, and now it's time to make his body. The TV man wears a large trench coat, so we're gonna add that over top as well. And now it's time to change the shape of these arms, and we'll also rotate it a bit like this. And now let's just give him some fingers like we've done for the other mobs. Okay, now that's looking pretty good. It's time to add his head. First, I'll make the black outlines that go around the TV screen, and then I'll add the bluish screen that the TV man has on the inside. And I think that's pretty good. Let's just add a few more details. First, let's add some buttons on the front of the coat like this, and we'll just make some parts a little bit darker like this as well. And now finally, we'll just add a little bit more texture over the top, and I think that looks good. Let's add him to the game. This is how the TV man looks in game. He's a lot taller than I thought he would be. Similar to the TV woman and the Titan TV man, I made it so the TV man flashes between nothing and one of the faces he does as well. In the actual series, the TV man is able to stun the toilets with his screen, so I gave the TV man a ranged attack which stuns low-level toilets just like the large cameraman does when he hits them. The attack itself doesn't do much damage, but if there are other alliance members around, it allows them to easily finish the toilets off. The TV man is also able to teleport teleport when he gets low, just like the TV woman. And if you kill the TV man, he drops an ender pearl because he's an enderman and I just didn't change it. Overall, I don't think the TV man turned out that bad, but he's also not amazing, so because of that, I'm gonna give him an 8 out of 10. Next character I'll make is the moist critical toilet, and I'm gonna use a creeper to make him. Let's start by removing all this stuff because we don't need it, and we're gonna take the regular toilet's body and copy it over here. Now let's color the whole toilet a dark grayish color. Now let's color his neck for now, and it's time to work on his upgrades. First, we'll put this gray thing on the front like this, and let's add some of the black spots as well. And now let's change the shape of the toilet seat a bit like this. Next, we'll give him the computer part on the top. Now let's expand this part out a bit like this. And now let's add a few more details to the bottom one as well. Next, I'm going to add his jetpack. So let's add a big cube like this. Now let's add some more details to it so it isn't just a black cube. Next, let's add more armor on the bottom part here, and we'll give him the small cannons that he has on each side like this. And now let's add the big cannon here as well, and we'll just copy this to the other side. Obviously, this creeper head doesn't look like moist critical, so let's color this part in, and we'll start to give him some hair like this. Now let's draw his eyes, and I'm going to make them look like this because he has a lot of pupils. Next, we'll give him a nose, and we'll also add some facial hair on the bottom. Now let's add his glasses over top. Okay, I don't think that looks bad. Let's add him to the game. This is how the moist critical toilet looks in game. He definitely looks good. Well, the toilet part looks good, but it kind of looks like he has buck teeth. In the series, the Jesus toilet mimics the TV attack, so I gave him the same attack that the TV woman and TV man have. And this makes him pretty powerful as he's able to take out multiple large cameramen at once. Not enough to take out the Titan speaker man though. If you kill the Jesus toilet, he drops nothing, which is weird because I thought I gave him a drop. And if you listen closely, you can hear him making a woo sound. This is the moist critical toilet's reaction to you subscribing. Overall, the moist critical toilet doesn't look that bad, so I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the glitch toilet, and I'll use a chicken to make him. First, we'll delete the parts we don't need, and now let's copy the toilet over from the regular toilet. Now let's color the toilet a really dark gray. Next, let's add a plate on the front like this, and we'll just connect these plates to the toilet down here. And now I'm just gonna add the little things that stick out on the side like this. Okay, that looks good. Now let's work on the back of the toilet. First, I'm gonna change the shape a little bit like this, and now I'm going to add this gray thing he has up here, and we'll just add another layer underneath, and then we'll add one more layer like this, and we'll color this one darker gray. Now let's add a long piece right here, and we'll copy this over to the other side too. And next we'll add another piece on the side like this, and I think that looks pretty good. Now it's time to work on his head. First, let's color in his neck, and then we'll color his head as well. And now I'm going to give him some creepy eyes like this. Next, we'll add his mouth on the bottom, and we'll also put the little amount of hair he has up here. Okay, that looks really bad, so let's just change the whole face a little bit, and we'll give him some ears like this, and I think that looks better. Let's add him to the game. This is the glitch toilet in game. I'm not sure if giving him this head was a good idea. I also love how he makes chicken noises. It just doesn't fit him at all. The glitch toilet is ridiculously fast, so it kind of looks like he's glitching, and I also made his head animation look like it's glitching as well, instead of being smooth like the other toilets. When the glitch toilet attacks another mob, he starts glitching around like crazy, sort of like his super speed attack in the real series, and he's actually able to kill the Titan speaker man by making him attack himself because he's glitching so much. If you kill the glitch toilet, he drops nothing, but this time it was intentional because I wanted to make him drop a glitched item, but it just didn't work. Overall, I think the glitch toilet looks creepy, but he's still pretty good, so because of that, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Next, I'll make the ninja cameraman, and I'm going to use a husk because I'm running out of villager hating mobs. First, let's just use the original cameraman body to start, and I'm gonna remove his headphones because I don't know why I even added these. Now let's move his head up a little bit, and we'll also make his neck bigger. Next, I'm gonna color his camera a dark grayish color, and I'll color this thing slightly lighter. And now let's work on his body. First, I'll change the color of his tie area like this, and I'm going to make the whole suit a lighter gray, so let's just color this in, and then we'll color his pants in as well to match it. And now let's move the coat back, and we'll color it darker gray as well. Next, I'm gonna color his hands black, and I'm also gonna give him some fingers as well, because the old cameraman didn't have them. And now let's start to add the light things under his camera, and we'll just add another piece and color it lighter gray as well. Okay, now let's just add some extra details to his suit, and I'm gonna give him some texture like this. Now finally, let's add his plungers, and he's going to have one in each hand, so let's copy this thing over, and that looks pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is the ninja cameraman in game. He basically looks like a normal cameraman. The only difference is he's wielding a couple of plungers, unlike this guy who has nothing. The plunger cameraman is slightly stronger than a regular cameraman, as he's able to one-shot a regular toilet. He also does good against a spider toilet as well, but the glitch toilet is definitely his weakness. I also made the ninja cameraman the first mob to drop a custom item, as he drops a plunger. The plunger does 1 more damage than a netherite sword, making it a really useful weapon. It also means you can one-shot toilets with it, making them no longer able to terrorize me. The ninja cameraman also has has a thumbs up animation, which is more advanced this time because he puts the plunger away first. Don't ask how he gets it back though, he must be magical. I'm going to give the ninja cameraman a 9 out of 10. I just really like his plungers, I don't know why. Next I'm gonna make the assailant astro toilet, and I'll use an allay because allay is kinda close to alien, I guess. First I'm going to delete all this stuff we don't need, and like usual, let's take the body from the regular toilet. This time I'm going to color the toilet a brownish color, and I'm just gonna remove the bottom of the toilet to add a new bottom instead. So let's add some circular layers on the bottom like this, and we'll color them each a different shade of brown. This kinda looks like a Badlands biome. Now let's give the toilet some water up here, and it's time to start working on the ring that goes around him. I'm going to color the square orange like this, and then I'm gonna make another part inside which is light gray. Now let's add the piece that connects it to his body right here, and I'm just gonna copy this thing all around his body so it's orbiting him. Okay, now that that's done, it's time to work on his head. I'm going to keep the allay head this time because we saw what happened last time, and we'll start adding a brown helmet all around his head, and I'm just gonna put the black stripes that he has on top of it, and that doesn't look that bad. Now let's add his cannon. So let's just copy a bunch of these squares until it kind of looks like a cannon, and we'll just color this one red like this. Now finally let's add some texture all around his body, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how it looks in game. This is the astro toilet in game. Something definitely looks out of place. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have kept his head as an allay. It looks really weird. But other than that, he turned out pretty good, especially the rotating part. It looks so cool. In the actual series, the assailant astro toilet is able to instantly warp away, so I gave it a chance to randomly warp away in game as well, which is really annoying when you're trying to record it. The astro toilet is the only mob that actually flies and doesn't just hover above the ground, which makes him really OP when he gets in a fight. I also made him attack the G-Man toilet because he is seen doing that in episode 60, but I wouldn't say his strength level is the same as he barely does any damage to the G-Man toilet. Overall, I think the astro toilet looks pretty good other than the allay head, so because of that I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Next I'll make the speaker woman, and I'll use a piglin because they both like dancing. Let's start by removing all of this stuff, and we'll make her legs a little bit longer like this. Now let's give her some shoes and we'll color them pink, and now let's just color her pants a dark grayish color. Next I'm gonna change the shape of her body a little bit like this, and I'll also make her arms a different shape as well. And now let's just color all this stuff in, and now it's time to work on her speakers. First I'll make the main speaker like this, and then I'll put the little ones that she has on the side, and now we'll give her the main speaker part in the middle, and let's just add her headphones, and I think that looks pretty good. Now let's just add a few more details, like this purple part on her shirt, and this extra coat layer on top, and we'll just give her a bit of texture as well, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's add her to the game. This is how the speaker woman looks in game. She doesn't look that bad. Well, she looks kind of weird with the shaders, but it's fine. In the actual series, the speaker woman dances while she walks, so I made it so that when the speaker woman walks, her arms go up in the air, so it looks like she's dancing. Well, kind of. It doesn't really work. And of course, when you right-click the speaker woman, she does the regular speaker dance as well. The speaker woman is very powerful and can one-shot the low-level toilets. And I also made her attack animation look like she's loading her speakers up with knives, but it also looks like she's hitting the gritty. If the speaker woman dies, she drops a chirp music disc because there isn't a pink music disc, so red is kind of the same. And overall, I think the speaker woman turned out okay, but she definitely wasn't the best, so I'm going to give her a 7 out of 10. Next character I'll make is the mutant Skibbity Toilet, and I'm going to use the wandering trader even though I already used him because that didn't really count. First, let's get rid of the stuff we don't need, and I'm gonna use the large speaker man's body, so let's just paste a head on like this. Now let's start to change the shape of his body, and we'll color this part white because it's gonna be a toilet. Now let's extend this toilet part out a bit more, and we'll add these outlines which will be the seat like this. Next, let's give him a new tie because we got rid of the old one, and now it's time to make him look a bit more mutated. First, I'm gonna move his arms down, and I'm gonna rotate them a bit to make them stick out. Next, we'll give him a neck piece like this, and we'll start adding the pipe that comes out of the back of his head. Let's just add some gray spots all around the toilet like this, and we'll color the tie a little bit more red. And now let's add some texture on the back part and on the neck like this, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's add him to the game. This is how the mutant toilet looks in game. This guy definitely looks pretty weird, especially the head part, which not only rotates, but now it changes size as well. In the series, the Skibbity Man is meant to be really fast, so I made the mutant toilet run really fast in game as well. This also makes him really powerful as nothing is really able to get away from him. The only way to get away from him is by subscribing. If you kill the mutant toilet, he drops a zombie head because mutant is kind of the same category as zombies. I don't really know, it's all I could think of. And overall, I think the mutant toilet looks pretty good, but there are a few problems like this weird texture on the back. So because of that, I'm going to give the mutant toilet a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the large TV man, and I'll use an ender dragon because I used an enderman for the regular TV man. First, let's delete all the dragon parts because we don't need those, and I'm gonna use the regular TV man as a base, so let's copy all of this over here. Next, I'm gonna make his body bigger speaker, so let's do that. Now let's add a new coat over the top as well. And next I'm gonna work on his arms. I'm gonna make the arms a little bit bigger, so let's just do that. Now I'm gonna color both of these arms the same color as his suit. Okay, now that's looking pretty good. It's time to give him his TVs. First I'm going to add the thing that connects them to his body right here, and we'll color this whole thing a lighter gray. And now let's remove all this stuff and change the head into a TV. Now let's add some outlines on the side, and we'll color them a darker black like this. And we'll also color in his noisy TV screen. Now let's just add a stick coming out from the side like this, and we'll just put a smaller TV that looks the same coming off of it. And now let's copy this over to all four sides like this, and I think that's looking really good. Let's add him to the game. This is how the large TV man looks in game. I have to say he's definitely one of my favorites out of the TV people. I will say it's kind of weird that he makes Ender Dragon noises though. The large TV man is really powerful as he's able to kill multiple mutant toilets at the same time. I can't really remember if that's accurate or not, so I'm sorry if it isn't. The large TV man also has the same attack as the TV woman, as it's the closest thing I'm able to make to his actual attack in the series. Also similar to the TV woman, if the large TV man gets low on health, he will teleport away before he can be killed, although he doesn't teleport really far. Overall, I think the large TV man turned out pretty good in game. I especially like his TVs, so because of that I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10 because he deserves it. Next I'll make the Detainer Astro Toilet, and I'm gonna use a Wandering Trader Llama to make him. First let's remove all the parts we don't need like usual, and then I'll take some of the parts of the Assailant Astro Toilet and copy it over. Now let's color the top part of the toilet a brownish gray like this, and now let's just add another smaller part on the bottom here, and that looks pretty good. So now it's time to add the circle part he has on the bottom. First I'm gonna make a rectangle like this, and now let's just copy this rectangle over and over again until it kind of looks like a circle. Next I'm gonna color in the toilet water right here, and I'll move the llama head down so it looks like it's coming out of the water. Next I'm gonna give him a helmet because the Astro Toilets wear helmets, and I'm not gonna lie, that kind of looks like it's supposed to be hair, but it's fine. Now I'm gonna give him his arms, starting with the one on the top, and I'm gonna add a claw looking thing that's attached to the arm, and I think that looks fine. So now let's work on his right arm. Now we'll add the clamp thing he has on the end here, and we'll copy one on the other side so it looks a bit better. Let's do the same things we did for the last arm, except this time we're gonna give him a knife attached on the end, and let's just add the little things that come off the sides like this, and I think that looks good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is the Detainer Astro Toilet in game. I was definitely expecting the llama head to look a bit worse. It's a lot better than his knife at least, which kind of looks like a peeled banana that is spinning. Similar to the Assailant Astro Toilet that we made last time, the Detainer Astro Toilet also has the ability to randomly warp away. And once again, this doesn't really help when you are trying to record him. The Detainer Astro Toilet is also able to fly just like the Assailant one, but this time it doesn't really help him because most of the time he just forgets to attack his enemies. If you kill the Detainer Astro Toilet, he drops a chorus fruit because when you eat them you teleport just like he teleports. And the Detainer Astro Toilet also attacks the G-Man Toilet just like the Assailant did, but it doesn't really seem like he's gonna kill him anytime soon. Overall, the Detainer Astro Toilet didn't turn out that great, so because of that I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Next I'm gonna make the Rocket Toilet, and I'll use a bee to make him because it can fly. I don't know, I'm running out of mobs. First I'm gonna delete the legs off the bee. Now let's color the toilet a dark grayish color, and we'll change the bottom of the toilet a little bit like this. Now let's remove the toilet seat, and we're gonna change the back of the toilet as well. So let's just make this piece bigger, and now we'll copy it a few times and rotate it like this, and let's just change the shape of the top part and move it as well. Now that looks pretty good, so let's add the wall he has in the back, and we'll color the wall the same color as the toilet like this. Now let's also give him a floor just like the wall. Now this is looking pretty good. Let's add his rockets. I'm going to make a small square like this, and then I'm gonna make a smaller one on the inside. Now let's copy this until we have 3 of them on each side, and now let's color the middle piece a slightly lighter gray, and we'll also add a little bit of texture like this. Now let's give the bee a neck, which makes no sense, but it looks better than if he's floating, and we'll also add a helmet just like the Astro Toilets had. Now let's just add some fire coming out of the rockets, and I think that's looking really good. Let's add him to the game. This is how the Rocket Toilet looks in game. Something about this looks kind of weird. Using the bee as the head was fine, but it kind of looks like the bee has Elvis hair, I'm not gonna lie. But other than that, the Rocket Toilet actually looks pretty cool. The Rocket Toilet is incredibly powerful, and he's able to one-shot most of the mid-level Alliance members. He also makes an explosion every time he attacks something, and the only real problem is that he dies most of the time he attacks. That's similar to what happened in the actual series though. If you kill the Rocket Toilet, he drops a firework rocket because that was in his name and it's kind of funny, but I have a feeling you won't be killing the Rocket Toilet as he does a ton of damage. Overall, I think the Rocket Toilet doesn't look that bad, but he just looks kind of boring, so because of that I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Next I'll make a speaker strider, and I'm gonna use a strider to make it because it's in the name. First let's remove the hair because we don't need it, and next I'll change the shape of the legs a bit like this. Now let's move these legs way further apart, and we'll shape the main strider head into into a speaker like this. Next, I'm gonna make another part of the leg, and we'll make this part a bit thinner, and we'll also add a thinner part on the bottom. Now I'm gonna copy this leg onto each side like this, and next let's add some cubes on the back of the speaker as well. Now I'm gonna color the entire speaker dark gray, and I'm gonna color the legs a little bit lighter gray, and now it's time to work on the details on the speaker. First, let's add some walls on the sides like this, and we'll add the main speaker thing here in the middle. Now let's just add a few more walls going the other way, and we'll just add a cube on top of the speaker part like this. Next, I'm gonna color in all these parts different colors of gray, and I'm gonna add a few more black parts on the side. Now let's give the speaker some extra detail like this, and I think that's looking pretty good. Let's see how it looks in game. This is the speaker strider in game. He actually looks really good. Not that it was very hard to make him look good though. It's not a very complicated design. Similar to the strider toilet I made a while ago, I made it so you can ride the speaker strider as well, which looks kind of weird, but this time I had a reason to do it because the speaker striders are controlled by speaker men, so this is kind of the same thing. The speaker strider is also able to climb walls like a normal spider can, but the only problem is I forgot he takes fall damage. If you kill a speaker strider, you get a jukebox, which I'm pretty sure I've used as a drop before, but this time it makes a lot more sense. And if the speaker strider gets in a fight, I just gave him the regular speaker attack, but for some reason he waits until he is really close to use it. Overall, I think the speaker strider looks really good, so I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. Next character I'll make is the airstrike toilet, and I'm going to use a blaze to make him because they can both fly. First, let's get rid of these things because we don't need them, and I'm going to use the body from the regular toilet, so let's copy that on. Next, let's put the shield thing that he has in the front here, and now let's start to work on the first rocket underneath. Now let's copy this thing over to the other side. Next, let's make a fan like this, and we'll just copy this fan all around until there are 6 fans. Alright, now this body is looking good. It's time to give him some color. First, let's color these shield things a little bit lighter gray, and we'll color his rockets a few different colors as well, and we'll just color the toilet water blue, and now it's time to give him a head. Now we'll give him some hair like this, and I'll just give him a mouth and some eyes, and finally let's give him some headphones on top of his head. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how the airstrike toilet looks in game. This guy actually looks pretty cool. I will say it's kind of weird that he makes blaze noises though. They are a bit loud. The airstrike toilet isn't the most powerful toilet in the game, but he's still pretty good as he's literally able to one-shot a large speaker man. It's not the same for a Titan speaker man though, as he's actually immune to his attacks just like in the actual series. Subscribe if you want to be immune like the Titan speaker man. The airstrike toilets are usually seen working in groups, so I made it so that there's a chance that 3 of them spawn when one of them gets attacked. This makes it really annoying to kill them, especially if you are using your fist. If you kill the airstrike toilet, he drops a TNT because that is the closest thing in the game to an airstrike, and overall I think the airstrike toilet turned out pretty good other than the blaze noises. They are very annoying. So because of this, I decided to give the airstrike toilet a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the new police toilet, and I'll use a guardian because it has guard in the name, and guards are kind of like police. First, let's remove all this stuff that we don't need, and we'll just copy a toilet body with a jetpack over top like this. Now let's color this entire body a greenish gray color, and I'm gonna add one of these shields in the front like this. Now let's work on the thing that goes over top of his guns right here, and we'll just copy the gun underneath like this. Alright, now let's add a cube on the top that is gonna be his lights, and we'll color one side red and the other one will be blue. Okay, now this is looking good, so let's start to color some stuff in. We'll color a bunch of stuff dark gray like this. Now let's color his toilet water blue, and we'll color his neck in as well. And now it's time to work on his head. And now let's add his hat on the top. Next we'll give him a mouth, and we'll add a mustache on top. And let's give him a nose, and we'll also give him some eyes above that. And I think that is looking good. Let's add him to the game. This is the police toilet in game. I would say he definitely looks pretty good. The police toilet also makes some pretty weird noises, just like the airstrike toilet, except this time they are kind of scary. The police toilet is really powerful when he's able to attack and isn't just missing all his hits. And he even freezes his enemies when he hits them because he's placing them under arrest. Officer, I didn't kill those skibbity toilets, I swear. The police skibbity toilet is pretty fast, as you can see, which makes it really difficult to run from the police as well. I guess the only way to avoid going to jail is by fighting back. If you kill the police toilet, he drops a debug stick, which is supposed to be like a police baton. I don't really know. And overall, I don't think the police skibbity toilet turned out that bad. The only thing that really needs to be fixed is the scary noises he makes. I had no idea guardians sounded like that. But yeah, I think he looks good, so because of that, I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 as well. Next, I'll make the knife speaker man, and I'm going to use a piglin brute because we made the speaker woman from a piglin. So let's delete all this stuff because we're gonna use a regular speaker man's body. Next, I'm gonna color his suit a way darker gray. Now let's color his undershirt a dark reddish color instead of gray. And now let's just make this layer dark gray as well. And let's add some red detail to his arms like this. Alright, now it's time to color in his speaker, so we'll just make his speaker a lot darker. silver. Now let's color the actual speaker part a really dark red. Now let's give him a knife in his hand right here, and we'll also copy this knife into the other hand as well. Next, we'll start to texture his speaker again, just like we had it before. Okay, I think this guy's looking good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is the knife speaker man in game. He actually looks pretty good. He also looks a lot more intimidating than a regular speaker man, despite being made from the same body. The knife speaker man seems to follow the trend of the previous two mobs, as he makes weird noises as well. I don't know how I keep picking all the weird sounding mobs. Similar to the other speaker men, if you right click the knife speaker man, he does the speaker man dance, but this time he's holding knives, which seems kinda dangerous. The knife speaker man also sits on regular skibbity toilets after killing them, just like the regular speaker man. There is a new animation for the knife speaker man though, and it happens when he spawns. This makes him 10 times more intimidating. Imagine seeing someone do a backflip before they start chasing you. The knife speaker man is pretty powerful, as he's able to defeat some of the higher level toilets easily, and if the knife speaker man dies, he drops a knife. Not an iron sword, that's a knife. Overall, I think the knife speaker man turned out pretty good. I especially like his backflip. So because of this, I'm going to give the knife speaker man an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the jetpack claw toilet, and I'll use a cave spider to make him because he has spider-like legs. First, let's get rid of all the stuff we don't need, and I'll just copy a toilet body onto him like this. Now let's color the entire toilet light gray like this, and we'll start to make his legs a lot smaller. Now let's copy this leg until we have 2 legs on each side, and now it's time to give him some arms. Now we'll just add this thing that he has on the front of the toilet right here, and we'll start working on his jetpack on the back like this, and that's a pretty good body, so let's color everything in. First, we'll make some parts a little bit lighter gray, and we'll put some dark gray parts on the jetpack. Now let's just color the toilet water blue, and we'll color in his neck. Alright, now it's time to give him a head, and let's add some hair on the top like this. Now let's give him a mouth, and we'll add his eyes, and next we'll just give him some eyebrows and a nose like this. Now finally, we'll just add some ears, and we'll give him some texture, and I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how it looks in game. This is the jetpack claw toilet in game. It kind of looks like an upgraded version of the Strider toilet. Also, just like the Strider toilet, the jetpack toilet is really fast, making him pretty scary to get chased by. In the actual series, the jetpack claw toilet ripped the head off a cameraman, so I decided to make it so that the cameraman drops his head when he dies to the claw toilet. The cameraman's head can then be used to one-hit a bunch of different mobs and also break every type of block pretty quickly. It's definitely a very balanced item. If you kill a claw toilet, he drops a goat horn, and you might be wondering why I made him drop this completely random item. I did it because it looks like a claw. That's the only reason. There's nothing special behind it. Overall, I think the claw toilet turned out good, but it's definitely not one of my favorites, so because of this, I decided to give the jetpack claw toilet a 7 out of 10. Next, I'll make a helicopter speaker, and I'm gonna use a bat because they both fly. First, let's remove everything except the body because that's all we need, and we'll make this body a lot larger like this. Now let's start to add the outline part around the speaker right here. Next, I'm gonna add a thing to connect the propeller to it. Now let's make the first part of the propeller like this, and we'll copy this propeller around until there are 6 different propellers. Alright, now the body is pretty much done, so let's start to color it in. First, I'm gonna color this part dark gray, and next I'll color the entire outside an orangish color, and we'll make the actual propellers a lighter gray like this. Okay, now it's time to add the actual speakers to it, and we'll color the speakers a little bit lighter gray. Now we'll make a few more speakers above this one. Now I'm gonna add a light gray outline to all these speakers we added, and I think this is looking good. Let's see how it looks in game. This is the helicopter speaker in game. It actually looks really good. Obviously, it wasn't that hard to make it look good though. It's not a very complicated design. The bat noises that the speaker makes are also really loud, but it kind of makes sense because that's how the helicopter speaker attacks. The helicopter speaker is pretty powerful as its sonic boom attack is able to one-shot low-level toilets. But since the helicopter speaker uses a sound-based attack, it is only able to attack when there are no alliance members around to make sure it doesn't accidentally kill any of them. The helicopter speaker is also able to be ridden just like the Strider speaker, but this time you can't really see anything, so it's kind of useless. If you kill the helicopter speaker, it drops the jukebox because it's a speaker, so that's the only thing that makes sense. And the helicopter speaker is also not able to be infected by parasite toilets because apparently that isn't possible. Overall, the helicopter speaker turned out pretty good for what it is, and because of that, I decided to give it an 8 out of 10. Next character I'll make is the upgraded Mafia toilet, and I'm going to use a wither because the wither is probably in the Mafia. First, let's delete all this stuff because we don't need it, and I'm just going to use the body from the claw toilet I made last time, and I'm just going to color the entire toilet a blackish brown color. Now let's add one of these armor plates on the front of the toilet. Now let's color these armor plates dark gray, and now it's time to add some stuff to his hands. First, I'm going to add the saw blade that he has on his right arm, and now let's add the acid cannon at the end of his other arm. Now let's copy paste a jetpack on the back as well, because I forgot he has a jetpack. Alright, I think this is a pretty good body, so now let's give him him a head. First, I'm gonna color his neck and his toilet water. Now let's give him some eyes and a mouth. And we'll also give him a nose and some eyebrows. And now let's just add his hat on top like this. And I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how the Mafia toilet looks in game. This guy actually looks pretty good. I will say that the wither noises are kind of weird though, but they also kind of fit him. As you can see, the Mafia toilet is massive and he's also very fast, possibly even faster than the jetpack claw toilet that we made last time. Okay, I wanted to make them have a race, but I somehow made it so they attack each other by accident. The upgraded Mafia toilet is also super powerful as he's able to poison his enemies using the acid gun that he has on his arm. He also gives you nausea with it, as you can see, but this only affects players. I'm pretty sure the Titan cameraman doesn't mind. Subscribe and the upgraded Mafia toilet won't give you nausea. If you kill the Mafia toilet, he drops a poisonous potato because he has an acid gun, so it's kind of like he poisoned the potato, I guess. And overall, I think the Mafia toilet looks pretty good, and I think his abilities are pretty cool. So because of this, I decided to give the Mafia toilet an 8 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the surveillance camera woman. And I'll use a zombie piglin because I made the speaker woman from a regular piglin. First, I'm gonna remove some of the stuff that we don't need. Now let's start working on her leg, and we'll copy it over to the other side. Next, I'm gonna change her body a little, and now let's work on her arms. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's time for us to add her head. First, I'm gonna remove these things, and let's just change the shape of her head like this. Now let's give her a neck, and now it's time to add some color. First, let's color her flashlight blue, and we'll color the whole outside of her head black like this. Next, I'm gonna color her shirt gray, and we'll color her pants a slightly darker gray. Next, I'm gonna give her a coat, so let's make a big cube like this. And let's color the outside parts of her coat gray, and we'll just draw the rest in right here. Next, I'm gonna add the gun on the back of her head, and I think this is looking good. Let's add her to the game. This is the camera woman in game. She definitely looks pretty cool. I will say the piglin noises don't really fit her though. I probably should have changed it to something else. There's also a random pink spot on the back here, but we'll just ignore that. It's not there. The camera woman is pretty fast, just like the Mafia toilet is, and just like the Mafia toilet, the camera woman also has a ranged attack that puts her in attack mode, as you can see. Her attack also freezes her enemies, making the camera woman actually super powerful. The camera woman can also TP away if she gets low on health, because there is a theory that she is able to teleport in the actual series. If you kill the TV woman, she drops a redstone lamp because it's supposed to be like her flashlight, and just like the other camera people, if you right click the camera woman, she does a thumbs up, but this time it's double. Overall, I think the camera woman turned out pretty good. She has a lot of cool features. So because of this, I decided to give the camera woman an 8 out of 10 as well. Next, I'll make the glitch plunger man, and I'm gonna use a drowned because I made the original plunger man from a husk. First, let's get rid of this stuff because we're gonna combine the glitch toilet and plunger man from before. Next, we'll add one of these wing things he has on the back, and we'll just copy it over until there's 4 of them. Now let's add one of these leg things in the front here as well, and now let's add these things on the side of the toilet where his arms are supposed to be. Okay, now the glitch toilet is looking a bit better, so it's time to add the plunger man. So first, we'll color the plunger part of the plunger red, and we'll also color the handle black. Now let's color the plunger man's camera in light gray, and I think that's good, so now let's change the colors of the glitch toilet a bit. First, I'm gonna color the actual toilet a lighter gray, and I'll color all the shields a lot lighter gray as well. Now let's color these leg things in the front really light gray, and I think this looks pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how the glitch plunger man looks in game. He looks really good. Just like the other mobs, he makes really weird sounds, but this time it kind of fits him because it's sort of like a plunger. There is also some kind of bite taken out of his head, but once again, we'll just ignore this. I never make mistakes. You've probably already noticed that the glitch plunger man is able to fly, and he also flies really fast, which makes it super annoying when you're trying to record this guy. The glitch plunger man is also pretty powerful, as he has a ranged attack that is supposed to be him shooting the plungers. Since the glitch plunger man is a repaired version of the original plunger man, I made it so that when the original plunger man dies, the glitch plunger man spawns and takes his spot. This makes him probably one of the most OP mobs in the game that isn't a Titan. If you kill the glitch plunger man, he also drops a ranged plunger attack, which when thrown does a ton of knockback. And overall, I think the glitch plunger man looks pretty cool, so because of this, I decided to give him a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the scientist cameraman, and I'll use a giant to make him because the regular cameraman was a zombie. First, let's get rid of all this stuff because we're just gonna use the regular cameraman's body. Next, we'll add this little flashlight thing that he has under his camera, and I'm just gonna make it so his arms bend as well. Okay, now this is a good body, so let's start to recolor him. First, I'm gonna color his shirt a whitish gray like this. Now let's color the shirt underneath a lot darker gray like this, and now let's just color the outside of his camera white. And now it's time to start giving him his parasite disabler. I don't really know where to put it, so I'm just gonna put it on his back, and we'll just add a bigger part in the front here. Okay, now let's color this part light gray, and this one will be a bit darker darker. And I'm just gonna add a few more pieces on the outside like this. And let's just rotate it like this. And I think this is looking good. Let's add him to the game. This is the scientist cameraman in game. He basically looks the same as a regular cameraman. There is one slight difference other than the clothes though, and that's the parasite disabler gun that he has on his back. The scientist cameraman can use this gun to either cure alliance members from infection, or he can use it to permanently freeze parasite toilets on the spot. Yeah, this guy is not so scary anymore. Oh wait, he can still infect them. I also gave the scientist cameraman this cool animation when he shoots the parasite disabler, and there's also another animation which is the basic thumbs up that all the cameramen have. If you kill the scientist cameraman, he drops a parasite disabler gun, and when you have this weapon you can become the scientist cameraman, as it literally just does the same things that he does. I guess this means that we don't need this guy anymore. Overall, I think the scientist cameraman looks pretty good, and his gun is definitely a cool addition to the game. So because of this, I'm going to give the scientist cameraman an 8 out of 10. Next, I'll make the scientist TV man, and I'm going to use a zombie villager because we haven't used that yet. First, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff because we'll just use a TV man's body instead. And now it's time to color him in. So first, I'm going to make his coat a really light gray color, and we'll just redraw the front of his coat like this. Next, I'm going to recolor his TV to make it a little bit darker, and we'll just change the TV screen to make it way brighter as well. Now let's change the color of his shirt underneath to be a darker color, and I'm just going to recolor his pants as well to reset the texture. Next, let's give him some pants right here, and we'll add a belt over top as well. Now I'm going to add the little thing that he has on front of his shirt right here, and I'm also going to add the antenna thing that comes from behind his TV like this. And I think this turned out really good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is the scientist TV man in game. This guy doesn't look too bad. I'm hoping this is what he's supposed to look like though, because you can only really see half of him as of right now. Just like the other TV people, I made it so the scientist TV man's screen flashes between nothing and a face, but since it's unknown what face this guy makes, I just made it the smile like the regular TV man. The scientist TV man also has a teleport ability, but unlike the other TV people, he just uses it instantly after being attacked because the scientists aren't known for fighting. According to theories, it is possible that the scientist TV man heals alliance members with his TV screen, so I decided to make it so that he can heal alliance members when he hits them as well. It's kinda weird because it makes them attack him back, but at least he's able to teleport away. Overall, I think the scientist TV man looks pretty cool, but he's definitely not one of my favorite mobs. So because of this, I decided to give him a 7 out of 10. Next character I'll make is the new Titan TV man, and I'm gonna take the old Titan TV man and upgrade him. First, let's get rid of some of his previous upgrades, and we'll change the shape of his body a little bit like this. Next, I'm gonna change his arms a little bit, and we'll also make his main TV a little bit wider. Now let's start to add some TVs on the side of his arms. Now let's add the smaller TVs that are behind his main one. Alright, now this looks pretty good, so let's start to color him in. First, I'm gonna color all the TV screens a light green, and we'll just color the sides of the TVs really dark gray. Now let's color in his belt even darker, and we'll also color in his shirt a similar color to the sides of the TVs. And now we'll start to add some detail to his coat. Next, let's give him a core in the middle like this. Now let's add a bit more detail to the top of his head. Alright, I think this is looking pretty good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how the upgraded Titan TV man looks in game. He honestly looks really good. He's definitely a lot better than the previous two versions of the TV man, no offense to them. The upgraded Titan TV man is incredibly strong, as he's able to destroy the G-Man Toilet 3.0. I also added an attack animation that is just his head flying off because he does this in the actual series. The Titan TV man also strikes lightning when he attacks, as you can see, and this is kind of annoying with how fast he attacks. Just like all of the other TV people, the upgraded Titan TV man is able to teleport away if he gets low on health. But I don't think that's ever gonna happen, as the Titan TV man has 500 hearts. If you manage to kill the Titan TV man, he drops an energy blade, and if you use this energy blade, you will find that it does a ton of damage, and it also strikes lightning just like the Titan TV man's attack does. Overall, I think the upgraded Titan TV man turned out really good, even though the shaders removed a lot of his detail. So because of this, I'm going to give the Titan TV man a 9 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the G-Man 4.0 toilet, and I'll use the G-Man 3.0 that I made as a base. First, I'm gonna get rid of some of the stuff we don't need, and let's change the shape of the back of the toilet like this. Next, I'm gonna remove some of these cannons that he has, and I'll just add these platform things that he has underneath the top cannons, and we'll also copy the old cannons to the bottom like this. Next, I'm gonna change the bottom of the toilet a bit to make it more thick, and I'm also gonna add these things that he has on the bottom as well, and I'm gonna put even more cannons on the top of the toilet like this, and I'm just gonna add his core in the middle here, and I think this is good. Now it's time to color this guy in. First, I'm gonna color the back of the toilet really dark gray, and I'm gonna color the actual toilet part a lot lighter gray, and we'll color the core light yellow. Next, I'm gonna color in a few more of these random parts like this. Now let's add a bit more detail to the bottom right here,
here. And I think this is looking pretty good. Let's add the G-Man toilet to the game. This is how the G-Man toilet 4.0 looks in game. I think he's significantly better than 3.0. I will say the back of his toilet looks a little bit weird though. I definitely prefer the old design. The G-Man 4.0 is really fast as you can see, and he is also way more powerful than the G-Man 3.0. Despite him being very powerful though, he is still no match for the new upgraded Titan TV Man. The Titan TV Man barely lost any health. It's gonna take like 10 of these guys to take him out. If you kill the G-Man toilet, he drops his sunglasses, and upon wearing these sunglasses, you will become immune to low-level TV attacks. Just ignore the fact that the glasses are over top of my forehead though. I honestly have no idea how this even happened. Overall, I think the G-Man 4.0 looks pretty good, but there are a few things I don't really like about him. So because of this, I decided to give the G-Man toilet an 8 out of 10. The next character I'll make is the real scientist toilet. And since I've made the toilet mech already, we'll just start from this. So first, let's get rid of the stuff we don't need. And I'm gonna rotate his arms to turn them into legs. Next, I'm gonna make the toilet bowl a lot wider. Now let's change the shape of the back of the toilet a little bit. And I'm just gonna start adding his cannon on the top like this. And I'll just copy a jetpack from one of the previous toilets on the back. Okay, now I think this is looking good, so let's start to give him some color. First, I'm gonna color the entire toilet dark gray. And I'll just color in the jetpack a bit darker gray. Now let's color the details on the jetpack a lot lighter gray. Now let's color in a few more random things. And I'll put a yellow spot in the middle of the cannon. And I'm just gonna remove everything from around his face because I can't really tell what his face is supposed to look like. And I think this is looking good. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how the scientist toilet looks in game. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like this guy. It's probably because of the default skeleton head that I gave him, even though it actually kinda looks like his real head. But this is the scientist toilet and not the scientist toilet mech, so he's not really expected to look as good. Since the scientist toilet controls the scientist toilet mech in the series, I decided to make it so that when the upgraded scientist toilet dies, the regular scientist toilet spawns in. The regular scientist is also afraid of most alliance members, so he will just run away instead of fighting. He is able to use a ranged attack on some of the enemies that he finds easy to kill though, and as you can see, it actually does a lot of damage. The scientist toilet is very slow when he's walking, as you can see, and this is just because I read that he's slow. I'm not really sure if that's even true. If you kill the scientist toilet, he drops an enchanted golden apple, and overall I don't think the scientist toilet looks that good. He just looks kinda boring. So because of this, I decided to give him a 6 out of 10. Next, I'm gonna make the G-Man clones. The first clone I'll make is the Laser Ring G clone, and for this one, we're obviously going to use the G-Man to start. First, I'm gonna get rid of some of the stuff we don't need, and I'll move these shields to the front of him like this. Now let's change one of these cannons up a little bit, and we'll just remove all the other ones and replace them with the new one I made, and we'll just start to add a jetpack on the back like this, and I think this is looking good, so it's time to add some color. First, I'm gonna make the cannons slightly lighter gray. Next, I'm gonna start coloring the actual toilet a lot darker gray. Now let's move these cannons around because they're kind of close together, and we'll just make the glasses the same as the G-Man 4.0, and I think this looks good. Let's see how it looks in game. This is how the Laser Ring G clone looks in game. I'm pretty sure I made him a little too big, but other than that, he looks pretty good, and also scary. This guy is armed with way too many cannons. The Laser Ring G clone is able to move pretty fast, as you can see, and he also has a ranged attack that is similar to the regular G-Man toilet. Actually, it's exactly the same. I didn't bother changing it. If you kill the Laser Ring G clone, he drops the G-Man sunglasses just like the G-Man 4.0. And overall, I don't think the first G clone turned out that bad, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Next, let's make the Quad Rocketeer G clone. So first, let's start from the Laser Ring clone. First, I'm gonna remove all of his cannons like this, and we'll just give him a new shield in front that is a little bit more flat. Next, I'm gonna add the big thing on the side like this. Now let's start adding the quad launcher on the bottom, and we'll just copy this over to the other side so there's 2. And now it's time to color this in. First, I'm gonna color these strips dark blue, and now let's color in the quad launchers. Next, I'm gonna color his shield dark gray, and I'm just gonna change the shape of the back of the toilet like this, and I think this is looking good. Let's see it in game. This is how the Quad Rocketeer G clone looks in game. I definitely think he looks a lot better than the previous clone. Not much is different between this clone and the Laser Ring G clone other than the appearance, but the Quad Rocketeer G clone actually has a slightly different attack, although both of them look pretty similar. The Quad Rocketeer G clone also drops a piece of TNT when it dies because he has a bunch of rocket launchers, so it just made sense. Overall, I think the Quad Rocketeer looks a lot better than the Laser Ring G clone, so because of this, I decided to give him an 8 out of 10. Now let's make the Quad Buzzsaw G clone. First, I'm gonna remove the things on the side like this, and now we'll start to give him an arm on the side, and let's add the buzzsaw on the end of the arm like this. Now let's color this arm a bunch of different grays, and we'll just copy this arm all around until he has 4 of them, and that's literally all we had to do. Let's see how he looks in game. This is how the Quad Buzzsaw G clone looks in game. I'm not really sure if I like this guy or not. I will say that he looks better than the first G-clone though, but that's probably because I can actually see him and not just a bunch of cannons. The difference between this G-clone and the others is that this G-clone is only able to melee attack instead of a ranged attack, which makes sense considering he has a buzzsaw toilet. I don't really know how he would be shooting anything. If you kill the quad buzzsaw G-clone, he drops a netherite sword, and this is because it's supposed to be like a saw. I don't really know. Overall, I think the quad buzzsaw G-clone looks a lot better than the laser ring G-clone, but not as good as the quad rocketeer. So because of this, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. Next, I'm going to make 8 of the characters seen in episode 69, and some of the first characters we see in this episode are the skull toilets and the burning toilet. So first I added the skull toilet to the game, and I have to say it was looking kinda goofy. With this one I actually tried to give him a custom skull instead of just using the regular skeleton like I've used before. I also colored this toilet in slightly darker than the original Skibidi toilet because I think it fits him a lot better than bright white. As for the burning toilet, I decided to keep this guy bright white rather than coloring his toilet gray. And as you can see, I also removed his eyes to make him blind because apparently he's blind, and I also gave him a little bit of hair on the top of his head because it looks like he has hair in the series. The burning toilet is always on fire as you can see, and the trail of fire will follow him wherever he goes, and he's actually burning so hard that not even water can save him. A cool feature that the skull toilet has is that you can feed it a golden apple to cure it and turn it back into a regular Skibidi toilet. And if you want to revert this change for some reason, you can also just kill the regular Skibidi toilet and it will turn back into a skull toilet like this. I guess we just have to put these guys in jail. There's no other way to get rid of them. When you finally kill the skull toilet, I made it so that he drops a skull, and the skull is actually just a troll item because it freezes you forever and also gets curse of binding applied to it when it's worn. I guess that I'm the one who's in jail now. Overall, I think the skull toilet looks a little bit weird, but I think the burning toilet actually turned out pretty good. So I decided to give the skull toilet a 7 out of 10, and I'm going to give the burning toilet a 9 out of 10. Another character seen early on in this episode is the blue-suited cameraman, who is seen holding some kind of hacking device, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be used to open the doors. So I made the blue-suited cameraman drop this hacking device, and instead of opening doors, because that's a simple task, I made it so that this device can just destroy everything very fast. This is sort of like hacking, it's just a different kind. As for the design, I basically just took the regular cameraman and turned him into a blue cameraman. The only difference is that the blue cameraman has an actual thumbs up animation instead of what we gave to the regular cameraman. Now obviously the blue cameraman is cool, but there's actually another colored cameraman in this episode, the green suited cameraman. The green suited cameraman actually comes in a pair of 2. Apparently they're supposed to be twins. And these guys are kinda dumb because they probably died trying to fight the Michael Jackson toilet. I don't know how they even thought they had a chance. The green suited cameramen are seen holding paralyzer laser rifles, so I decided to make it so that these guys drop one of those when they die. And if you shoot something with this rifle, it just paralyzes it, just like it does in the actual series. Except this time, for some reason, it does a ton of knockback. I don't know why. Overall, I think both the blue and the green suited cameramen look pretty good, and the features they have aren't that bad. So because of this, I'm going to give them both an 8 out of 10. We talked about the Michael Jackson toilet earlier, so that is who I added next. The only problem is this doesn't really look like Michael Jackson. I honestly tried really hard to make his face and just couldn't do it. I don't know why. But that doesn't really matter because the rest of him looks good at least. Since this toilet is based off of Michael Jackson, I made it so that when you right click him, he actually moonwalks. Well, he's really just walking backwards, but it's the best I could do with a giant toilet. This toilet is also very fast as you can see, and this is very similar to the Mafia Skibidi toilet that we made in a previous video. The Michael Jackson toilet is also one of the strongest toilets that only has a melee attack, as he can one-hit a bunch of the Alliance members. He could probably even one-hit me. This guy does more damage than a warden. If you kill the Michael Jackson toilet, I made it so that he drops a Michael Jackson hat, and when you wear this hat, it gives you permanent slowness 5, which you may think is a bad thing, but it's actually supposed to help you moonwalk just like him. Overall, I think the Michael Jackson toilet looks pretty bad. I mean, it doesn't even really look like him. So because of this, I decided to give him a 6 out of 10. In the episode, the zombie mutant Skibidi toilet randomly appears and rips the head off a cameraman. So the zombie mutant toilet is the next mob that I added. We've already made a mutant toilet in a previous video, so I just based this one off of the original design. But this time I actually gave him a custom face instead of the mob head that I gave the original mutant toilet. The zombie mutant toilet is a lot slower than a regular toilet is, and I did this because the zombie mutant is supposed to be sneaky, although I'm not really sure how this helps him as he's still really big. The zombie mutant toilet is also able to rip the head off a cameraman when it kills one, as it makes the cameraman drop its head when it dies. If you kill the zombie mutant toilet, he drops something called mutant flesh, and if you eat this, you just have a chance to either get a good or bad potion effect, so eat this at your own risk. Finally, I made the regular mutant toilet transform into a zombie mutant toilet when it dies, and I know this isn't accurate accurate, but I just did it because he has zombie in his name. Overall, I think the zombie mutant toilet doesn't look that bad, and it has a couple of good features. So because of this, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. A very large cameraman with a minigun is seen for a second in this episode, so next I decided to add him. The armed very large cameraman is very similar to the regular large cameraman, except for the obvious giant minigun that he is holding. And I also added a few more new details, and I made it so that he is a bit larger than the large cameraman because it says very large in his name. Unfortunately, due to the giant minigun that is occupying both of his hands, the armed very large cameraman is not able to give a thumbs up, which really makes me wonder if he's okay. The very large cameraman is also so big that explosions and fire can't hurt him, which doesn't really make that much sense, but I figured he deserved it since there's no thumbs up. Since he's carrying a giant minigun, the armed large cameraman's movement is also very slow, just like the zombie mutant before. But that doesn't mean this guy isn't scary, because if he gets in a fight, he will rapidly shoot the minigun until whatever he is shooting at is dead. He also seems to have stormtrooper aim though, maybe he needs to get his lens checked. If you kill the very large cameraman, I obviously made it so that he drops his minigun, and the minigun pretty much works the same way that it works for him, except this time my aim is not nearly as bad. It also makes this popping noise, which sounds nothing like a gun. I have no idea why I chose this. And overall, I think the very large cameraman is a pretty good upgrade from the regular cameraman. So because of this, I'm going to give the armed very large cameraman a 9 out of 10. The medic cameraman is also seen around the same time as the very large cameraman, which is why he was the next mob I added. The only difficult part about making this guy was trying to give him the repair tool on his right arm, and that's because the only image I have of it barely even shows what it looks like. I mean, what is this? Everything else was pretty easy though, which is why he actually looks pretty good in game. Unlike our last cameraman, I made it so that the medic cameraman is able to give a thumbs up with his left arm instead of his right. And now we know that this guy is okay, despite having one arm. The medic cameraman is also strictly meant for repairing cameramen, so I made it so that he just attacks cameramen, but instead of hurting them, he's actually giving them healing. But this means that there is no one to heal the medic cameraman if he gets hurt, so I made it so that when you right-click the medic, it heals him as well so that he isn't left out. If the medic cameraman dies, I made it so that he drops his utility repair device, and upon hitting a cameraman with this device, it heals him, passing the medic cameraman's job onto you. Unfortunately for him, I don't really want to be stuck healing cameramen forever. Overall, I think the medic cameraman looks pretty good, and his features are exactly how they should be. So because of this, I'm going to give the medic a 9 out of 10. Finally, the highlight of episode 69 would probably be the new Titan cameraman. So of course I had to upgrade our old Titan cameraman next. The difference between this Titan and the last is of course the missing arm that I added right here, and also these brand new cannons that I added on his back, and a few more minor details to make him look a little bit better. There is one major difference in game though, and that is that the Titan cameraman can no longer thumbs up either. I know I could have just moved the animation to his other arm, but honestly it's funnier this way, so I'm keeping it. You may have also noticed that this version of the Titan cameraman can no longer fly, and this is because it was more of a problem than a good feature. I mean, where was he going? The Titan cameraman is still one of the most powerful mobs in the game, and if you kill the Titan cameraman, you can get this power for yourself as he drops a Titan cameraman core. The Titan cameraman core basically just gives you a bunch of different potion effects that make you super OP just like him. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it actually turn me into a Titan though. Overall, I think the new Titan cameraman is a lot better than the old, and because of this, I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. I added every character from Wednesday to Minecraft, starting with Wednesday, the main character of the show. I made her head and gave her some hair, and then I spent 20 minutes trying to make her face. After making a face that didn't look terrible, I colored in her clothes and added her braids, and finally I put a little more detail in her clothes and I was done. I added her to the game and she had these massive arms that I couldn't figure out how to fix, so I gave her some new arms instead and it just made things worse. Eventually I figured out how to fix it, and this is how Wednesday looks in game. Having her arms on the side like this actually looks more accurate because she walks like this in the show. Also, because I made her from a witch, I decided to recreate the opening scene by turning the potions into piranhas and then having her throw them at me in the pool. Next I'm making Thing, who is my personal favorite character because of his advanced dialogue. He said it, not me. I bent his fingers, gave him a thumb, and then added the wrist thing on the top. After that, I colored him in and added some cuts and stitches all around him. I kind of forgot that Spider's legs aren't straight, so I had to remove the original legs and add them to the body instead. But after that, he was still walking sideways and floating, so I had to fix that as well. Finally, I added him to the game and nothing was wrong. Well, except for the fact that his fingers don't move, but it's that or this. Also, Thing is massive when compared to Wednesday. I'm not really sure how this works. Next, I made my actual favorite character, Eugene. Eugene is this kid who really likes bees, so I decided to make him from a bee. I squished the bee into a body, and then I gave it some legs and a head. I added his puffy hair, and then I gave him a face, and next I added his glasses. I then gave him a gray shirt and added some detail to the shirt, and I almost forgot to give him arms, so finally I gave him some arms. I think if you ignore the fact that he's able to fly, he looks pretty good. Eugene usually takes care of the bees, but now the bees will take care of him. Now it's time to make my actual favorite character, Uncle Fester. Uncle Fester is this weird guy who can make electricity, so I made him from a creeper. You'll see why. I turned the creeper body into a human body, and then I colored his shirt and added the collar on top. I then gave him a face, and I tried to blend the dark parts around his eyes into his skin, and it ended up looking kind of weird. Next, I gave him some ears, and finally I colored in his pants. I'm not going to lie, he kinda looks like the McDonald's villain. Because Uncle Fester conducts electricity, I decided to edit the charged creeper to fit him, and it was surprisingly easier than I thought. In the show, Uncle Fester is also shown downing an entire bottle of ketchup, so I retextured the potions to ketchup bottles out of respect for him. This is how Uncle Fester looks when he's surrounded in electricity, and this is how much damage he does when you aren't paying attention. The charge made Uncle Fester too dangerous, so I decided to put him in prison for the various crimes he committed in the show. Next we'll make Enid, and she's a wolf, so I'm going to make her from a wolf. Creating a person from a wolf isn't the easiest thing to do, so I basically deleted all the body parts and made her body myself. I then added her hair with the fancy colors on the side, and I gave her a face. After that, I made her a striped sweater, and finally I put her hands in a claw position or something. Surprisingly, she isn't too broken in game except for her fingers. I'm trying to find out why I put both thumbs on the same side. I put Enid next to Wednesday, and there's a really weird height difference. I mean, look guys, she's even taller than me. I also tried to tame her because she's a wolf. In the show, there is a monster, and it looks kinda goofy, but it's supposed to be scary, so I made it from the scariest mob, the warden. I gave it a big hunchback, and then I repositioned all of its body parts. I then gave him a big mouth and some funny looking eyes, and then I filled his mouth with teeth. Finally, I colored the rest of him blue, and gave him a little bit of hair on his head, just like he has in the show. Okay, it seems there's a little bit of a problem with his body parts. I fixed his body and he still looked terribly messed up because of the warden's animations, so I decided to just leave it, mainly because I don't know how to change animations. Alright, now we can see who will win, Wednesday and Enid versus the Hyde. Okay, this is a really good fight, guys. The next character we'll be making is Tyler, for no reason, of course. I made Tyler from a piglin because, well, I don't know, I just did it. I gave him some hair and then I drew his face, and I decided to make him from the coffee shop, so I gave him a brown shirt and then I added his apron, and finally I gave him some black pants. I added him to the game, and I noticed that I made his head way too big. Also, there is something wrong with his apron, but I'm not fixing it. I don't care. Now that I had made Tyler, I decided to recreate the dance scene. I had to build it in the nether because, well, you know. I used quartz and black concrete to make the checkered floor design, and then I added this stage with speakers on it. After that, I added these tables on the side, and I filled the entire roof with black concrete. Next, I made the walls blue, and I added these chandelier things on the roof. I edited Wednesday's model to make her wearing a dress instead, and then I edited Tyler's model to make him wearing a suit. Finally, I spawned a bunch of random people on the side, and then I spawned Tyler and Wednesday. Oh yeah, I forgot about her arms. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how to make Wednesday dance, but I do know how to make Tyler dance, if that helps. Next, let's add Xavier. Xavier? I forgot how to say it. Xavier is a magician or something, so I decided to make him from an illusioner. I added his long hair, and then I gave him some eyes and a mouth. Next, I colored his shirt blue and added some details to the front. The school uniform has a bunch of stripes on it, so I added some black stripes all around his shirt, and finally I colored in his pants. I spawned him in the game, and this is how he looks. Honestly, it looks pretty good. I think his head might be a little too big, but I keep doing that, so it's fine. In the show, Xavier is shown doing archery, so I decided to see how good of a shot he is. Okay, that's one hit. Alright, now he's missing every shot. Oh, he hit me again. Let's see what happens if I hit him. Oh, that wasn't a good idea. Yeah, that's probably why they never added this mob. Next, I'm going to be making the Addams Family characters. We'll start with Gomez, who is a very successful businessman, so I made him from my favorite businessman, the Wandering Trader. First, I removed his clothes, and I don't know what I was doing here. But next, I made his body a little larger, and gave him some hair, and added his mustache, which makes him look like he has rabbit teeth. I then colored in his clothes and gave him a fancy collar, and finally I added some stripes all around his suit. For some reason his arms are kind of busted and his teeth look more like rabbit's teeth than ever, but I think he looked fine. Okay, maybe that's a problem. Apparently Gomez is worth $2 billion, so I went to check what he was selling to try to be like him, but I just found a bunch of useless items. I guess the secret to being a billionaire is selling lily pads, and also having a llama that's taller than you. Next, let's make Morticia, and Morticia is supposed to be a witch, but I already used the witch, so I used the evoker, because that's kinda similar, right? I removed all this stuff and gave her some hair and some face, and then I colored her dress fully black and extended it down to the floor because it's very long. I don't really think this one looked that good, and the dress on the floor really doesn't help. Why did I do that? Her neck is also not attached, but that's probably normal for the Addams family. I also tried to spawn her with Gomez, but she just tries to kill him. Next, let's make Pugsley, and in the show, Pugsley gets bullied, so I made him from a chicken. I moved all the chicken's body parts to make a human body, and then I gave him some hair and added his face. Next, I gave him a black and white striped shirt, and unfortunately, I decided to change the chicken legs to human legs instead. I added him to the game, and he was still flapping his wings like a chicken, but his head was completely broken, so I had to fix his head. I'm honestly surprised that he looks pretty normal, other than the flapping wings. Even baby Pugsley doesn't look broken. I then decided to put Pugsley in a locker, just like in the opening scene. Wait, I didn't mean it. Next, we're going to make Lurch, and Lurch is a really tall butler who kind of looks like a zombie, so I had to make him from a giant. I gave him a thin and tall head, and then I gave him a little bit of hair. Next, I added his face, which doesn't really look like him at all, and then I colored his clothes. Finally, I added a bit of detail to the collar area, and I added him to the game. I have to stop making giants, they literally do nothing. Also, we're just ignoring the hands, there's nothing wrong with them. Next, instead of making a character, I'm going to turn the Ender Dragon into the Addams family car. First, I deleted all the dragon body parts, and then I added some windows and a grill on the front. Next, I added some tires, and then I extended out the sides above the tires. Finally, I made the back of the car slant down a little bit, and then I added some lights to the front of the car. I tried to make Lurch drive the car, but I don't think that will be possible. Also, the car is flying, so that's kinda, yeah. Alright, now that we've created all the characters, it's time to put them all against the hide. Okay, I guess they don't really like each other, so we'll have to do it like this. Alright, this isn't gonna work. This is completely useless. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into popular horror movie characters. First, I'm going to make Pennywise, and we'll make him from a pillager. Let's color his shirt light green. Now let's color his face white, and we'll give him some eyes. Now let's draw his mouth, and we'll give him a nose, and we'll give him some hair. Now let's make his forehead bigger, and we'll add the thing around his neck. Now let's extend his sleeves out a bit. Now we'll add the red things on his chest. Now finally, let's give him some shoes. And I think that looks really good. Let's see it in game. That actually looks really good, but his face is off by a bit, unfortunately. This guy actually looks really scary. I'm not really liking him pointing his bow at me like this. Let's spawn an army of Pennywises. Okay, why are they all pointing their bows at me? Let's watch these Pennywises attack a villager. I'm sorry, villager. Yeah, they're all gonna kill each other before they kill him. Okay, they finally got him. Okay, they need to stop pointing their bows at me. Let's spawn an iron golem to take care of them. Oh wait, this is not an iron golem. I'm using a spooky texture pack, so I guess they made a pumpkin golem. Oh god, he just took a ton of fall damage. Oh, the iron golem couldn't kill them all. Alright, I'm going to give Pennywise a 10 out of 10. He's literally terrifying. It's time for the next mob. Next, we're going to make Michael Myers. For this one, we'll use a piglin brute. Let's remove all this stuff, and we'll make his head a bit smaller. Now let's color his body blue, and we'll color his head white. Now let's give him some eyes, and we'll give him a mouth as well, and we'll give him some brown hair. Now let's give him a nose, and we'll add a neck to his shirt. Now let's give him a pocket and a belt, and we'll color in his hands. Now finally, let's give him some shoes, and I think we're done. Let's see this in game. Oh, that is not him. Okay, that is much scarier. He's going to turn into a piglin though, so we have to go to the nether. Okay, this is better. Let's spawn a baby Michael. Oh, piglin brutes don't have babies. Let's get chased by Michael Myers. Oh god, he's kind of fast. Okay, we got away. Let's see if Michael Myers can beat Pennywise. Never mind, they both just want to kill me, I guess. Let's spawn more Michael Myerses. And let's see if they can beat the warden. Okay, seriously? They won't fight the warden either? They'll fight me though. Seriously, Pennywise too? I don't even have a weapon. Can't kill me now. Oh god, not the regular piglin. Alright, I'm also going to give Michael Myers a 10 out of 10. He looks really good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Jigsaw. For him, we are going to use a regular piglin. Let's change the shape of his head, and we'll color his body black. Now let's color his head white. Now let's give him some eyes, and we'll draw his mouth. Next, let's give him a nose, and we'll extend his cheeks out a bit, and we'll draw the circles on them. Now let's give him some hair, and we'll extend it out on the sides. Next, let's draw his red bow tie, and finally, we'll give him some red shoes. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, he has gold pants. Why is he flexing on me like that? Okay, this actually looks really good. He's definitely not as scary as Pennywise, but he's pretty scary. Let's see a baby Jigsaw. Why is his head in the roof? Let's spawn an army of Jigsaws. I think this guy needs to take off the helmet. I don't think he can see.
Let me wear some drips so I blend in with them. What are you looking at? Why do they all want to go over here? Sorry guys, I'm not actually one of you. Oh god, this is bad. Never mind, they don't know how to jump. Alright, I give Jigsaw a 10 out of 10. He looks really good as well. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Ghostface. For this one, we'll use a Vindicator. Let's color his body fully black, and we'll change the shape of his head. Now let's color his head white, and we'll add his eyes, and his nose, and his large mouth. Now let's add his hood over his mask, and we'll make this part look like it's ripped. Now finally, let's extend out his shoes, and I think we're done. Let's see it in game. Finally, we can go back to the overworld. Okay, his mouth is sideways, and there's also some problems with his hood. Let's watch him chase a villager. If I gave him a knife, this would be 10 times better. Rip villager. Is that an orange creeper? Speaking of orange creepers, you should subscribe. We're so close to 300k. Let's spawn an army of ghost faces. And let's see if they can beat the pumpkin golem. Okay, the pumpkin golem literally had no chance. What about 2 pumpkin golems? Okay, Ghostface is just too powerful. I'm going to give Ghostface an 8 out of 10. He's kinda broken. It's time for the next mob. Next, we're going to make Jason. For him, we are going to use a skeleton. Let's make his arms bigger, and we'll do the same for his legs. Now let's color in his head, and we'll extend out his mask. Now let's add some red details to his mask. Now let's give him some brown hair, and we'll color his pants a darker gray, and we'll put his yellow jacket on the outside. Now finally we'll extend out his shoes, and that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, that looks pretty good. His head is a little big though, but I actually like how his mask turned out. Okay, why is there scary chickens? Let's see if Jason can take down a wolf. Okay, he's just running. Maybe it's because we gave him a bow and not a sword. Nope, he still runs with the sword. He runs from the wolf, but he won't run from me. He's getting destroyed even with the other mobs chasing me. Maybe next time he should run from me. But honestly, he looks pretty cool with the sword, I won't lie. Let's spawn an army of Jasons. And let's see if they can beat the pumpkin golem. Oh no, why did they shoot the creeper? Okay, they're literally all just fighting each other. Oh, there's zombies coming in, they have backup. The zombies stole the kill from them, that's embarrassing. Alright, I'm going to give Jason a 9 out of 10. His head was a little big. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Frankenstein. For this one, we're obviously going to use a zombie. Let's make his head a bit bigger, and we'll color his body black. Now let's color his head green, and we'll give him some eyes, and a mouth, and we'll add his red scar on his forehead. Now let's give him some black hair, and we'll give him a couple of ears. Next, let's add the screws coming out of his neck. Now finally, we'll give him some shoes, and I think that looks good. Let's see him in game. Okay, he doesn't look too bad. He kinda just looks like a zombie variant though. Well, I guess that's basically what he is. Let's see a baby Frankenstein. Okay, baby Frankenstein is very fast. Let's see what he looks like with speed too. Okay, now he won't move. Oh my god, that is way too fast. Let's spawn an army of Frankensteins. Okay, now these are just zombies. He's not special anymore. Let's watch them all try to kill a villager they can't reach. This is Frankenstein IQ. Is Frankenstein supposed to be stupid? I'm not even sure. Alright, I give Frankenstein a 7 out of 10. He looked average. It's time for the next mob. Next, we're going to make Dracula. For this one, let's use a villager. Let's color his body black, and we'll make his head a bit smaller. Now let's color his head, and we'll give him some red eyes. Now let's draw his mouth, and we'll add his vampire teeth. Next, let's give him a nose, and we'll add his eyebrows. Now let's give him some hair, and we'll add his cloak. Next, let's give him a white shirt, and we'll give him a red tie. Now finally, let's color in his hands, and I think we're done. Let's see him in game. Okay, there's something wrong with his arms, but other than that, he looks pretty good. I'm sorry, Dracula. Okay, he's already dead. Wait, this Dracula is still running away. If only he could turn into a bat and fly away. Let's see what baby Dracula looks like. Yeah, this looks like a kid in a costume. He's so small. Let's spawn an army of Draculas. Okay, I don't know why I did this. I just wanted to bully them. Surprisingly, they're actually getting away. And the Pennywises are just killing each other. Wait, what is this yellow thing in the tree? Okay, the tree literally has an eye. Alright, I'm going to give Dracula an 8 out of 10. He looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we are going to make a mummy. And for this one, we'll use a husk. Let's color his body grayish yellow, and we'll give him some red eyes. Now let's draw a bit of a mask around his eyes, and we'll add different color stripes around his body. Now let's give him some different color hands, and we'll do the same for his feet. I'm actually going to change the first color we added because I don't really like it. And we'll make sure to color the inside of his legs, and the inside of his arms, and finally let's add some detail on his back, and that doesn't look too bad. Let's see it in game. Okay, how did I go from the other mobs to this? I mean, to be fair, there's not much you can do to a mummy. Let's see a baby mummy. I think the baby looks a bit better. I wonder if Minecraft will ever add mummies. They could defend desert pyramids or something. They could add something like this. Okay, maybe with less mummies, but still. Let's spawn a Dracula in here. Oh, he has desert clothes on. I don't know why I did that. That was mean. Who can catch Dracula faster, the Mummy or Frankenstein? Apparently neither of them, they are very slow. Oh no, Dracula is stuck. How is he still alive? And the Mummies win. I mean, it was a baby, so it wasn't really fair, but whatever. Alright, I'm going to give the Mummy a 6 out of 10. Compared to the other mobs, it wasn't that good. I'm going to be remaking Minecraft mobs into the entities from Roblox stores. First, we're going to make Seek, and I'm going to use a warden to make him. Let's remove all this stuff, and we'll make his body smaller. Now let's also shrink his legs, and we'll make his arms smaller as well. Now let's shrink his head, and we'll color him fully black. Now let's draw his eye, and we'll expand his face out on the side a little bit. Finally, let's add some red spots on his body, and we'll put a few on his legs. Alright, that looks good. Let's see it in game. We'll just act like I didn't forget to texture the bottom of the head. Honestly, I think this looks pretty good. I think his proportions are kind of off though. Yo, why is he attacking the sheep? What did the sheep do? Let's find Seek in the deep dark. And of course, we'll watch him emerge from the ground. Oh, he's kind of stuck in a block. This would be way more terrifying than the warden. Imagine you're walking around in a cave and then you see this thing chasing you. Let's spawn an army of Seeks. And let's see if they can defeat the Wither. Oh no, they're already surrounding the Wither. Oh my god, the Wither is getting launched. Yeah, the Wither literally has no chance. I don't think the Wither even killed one of them. Alright, I'm going to give Seek an 8 out of 10. He could have been better. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Figure, and I'm going to make him from an Enderman. Let's color him brownish red, and we'll extend his face out a bit, and we'll also extend out the other sides. Now let's give him some teeth, and we'll move them to every side of his mouth. Next, let's color the back of his mouth, and we'll add his white ribs, and let's copy those down 2 more times. And I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. I'm not going to lie, the particles kind of ruin him. That looks better. Now, if you look in an Enderman's eyes, it will get mad at you, but Seek has no eyes, so what will happen? Okay, the same thing happens. I like how his head is just floating now. Let's go find Figure in the end. Okay, there's a ton of these guys in here. Let's see if Figure can beat Seek. Okay, Figure had no chance. I honestly thought he would teleport away at least. Okay, Seek has to go. Oh god, they're catching up to me. Okay, I see why this guy is scary now. Oh no, I got stuck. I give Figure a 9 out of 10. He turned out pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Screech, and I'm going to use a Guardian to make him. Let's remove his tail, and we'll also remove these orange spikes. Now let's make the body a bit smaller, and we'll color it fully black. Now let's give him a big red mouth, and we'll add some darker lips. Next, let's draw his teeth, and we'll add the black spots oozing down. Now let's add his eyes, and we'll add the squiggly things coming from his body. And I think we're done. Let's see it in game. Oh my god, he's moving really fast. And the way he's bouncing around like this honestly makes him 10 times scarier. Like, what are you doing if you see this thing coming after you? Okay, he's dying. Oh, well, I guess he's in the water now. Honestly, he might be even scarier underwater. Let's spawn an army of Screeches. That looks so weird. And let's see if they can kill me. Wait, what are they all doing to me? This is actually terrifying. Oh god, I'm on half a heart. Yeah, hopefully nothing like this is ever added to the game. I'm going to give Screech a 10 out of 10. He was scary. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Glitch, and I'm going to make him from an iron golem. Let's make his body smaller, and we'll also shrink his legs. Now let's do the same for his arms, and we'll color his body fully black. Now let's add some purple spots around his body, and we'll add some on his arms and legs as well. Now let's add some blue spots too, and we'll also add some yellow spots. And I think that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, part of his face is not part of his face. But honestly, he's supposed to look glitched out, so I think that's fine. Somehow I actually think this looks pretty good. Let's see if Glitch can beat Screech. Never mind, it looks like Screech didn't want to fight. Let's try this again away from the cave. Okay, that was too easy. And he dropped raw cod. That's kind of weird. Let's see if Glitch can beat Seek. Okay, that was a really unfair fight. Let's spawn 10 glitches and see if they can beat Seek. Okay, they're not doing too bad. Oh, they got him. Only 4 of them died, surprisingly. Alright, I'm going to give Glitch a 9 out of 10. He looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob. Next, we'll make Rush, and I'm going to use a bee to make him. Let's remove all this stuff, and we'll make his body thinner. Now let's extend his body out a bit, and we'll extend out the sides to make him look circular. And we'll also do this on the top and bottom. Now let's add his dark gray mouth, and we'll add his eyes, and his nose thing. Now let's give him some yellow teeth, and we'll add some teeth on the bottom as well. Now let's add some detail to his face, and we'll make it a bit darker under his teeth, and I think that's good. Let's see it in game. Oh, that is not what we want. Okay, that looks better. Honestly, this might be the scariest mob we've made yet. The way he flies is terrifying. Let's see a baby Rush. Okay, that's not as bad. At least it looks like I could beat this one in a fight. Let's spawn an army of Rushes, and let's see if I can get away from them. Oh god, I'm still on half a heart. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, he's not as scary now that I know how slow he moves. This would still be terrifying if I saw this in the game. Alright, I'm going to give Rush a 10 out of 10. He turned out really good. It's time for the next mob. Next we'll make Jack, and I'm going to make him from a skeleton. Let's color his body fully black, and we'll add his nose, and we'll shape his mouth and eye. Now let's add his teeth. Okay, this doesn't look good. Let's add his nose again, and we'll also draw his mouth. Now let's add his eye, and we'll add some small yellow teeth. And now we'll color the sides of his head half white and half black. And I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. Oh yeah, nighttime. Okay, that's better. Honestly, I don't know whether I like this or not. I feel like the yellow teeth kind of ruin it. Like, it just looks like he hasn't been to the dentist in a while. Let's spawn an army of Jacks. And let's see if the Jack army can beat Glitch. Oh god, they're all shooting each other. Glitch is just down here getting free kills because half of them are fighting. Okay, Glitch basically won. It's up to these 5 Jacks over here who don't seem to be interested in fighting him. Oh, they actually did it. I'm surprised they won that considering half of them killed each other. Alright, I'm going to give Jack an 8 out of 10. He doesn't look that good in Minecraft.
I added Pokemon to Minecraft. First I made Lugia.
Let's remove his legs and we'll make his body a lot smaller. Now let's give him a neck. Now finally let's add the blue parts on his back. And I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. Whoa, he is really big. Okay, I think he actually looks really good. There is one problem with him though. He literally just doesn't move. It makes him look so menacing when he's flying around though. Let's find Lugia in the nether. Oh, there's one literally right there. This is so weird because normally Lugia would be found in the water. I guess this is a special Lugia then. Let's spawn an army of Lugias. It's hard to spawn them because they're so big. Okay, I think there's a few too many Lugias around here. Let's catch a Lugia in a Pokeball. I don't think it's working. What about a Master Ball? Nope, still won't work. Alright, I'm going to give Lugia a 7 out of 10. He can't move. It's time for the next mob.
Next I made Quaxley.
Let's move his body. Next, let's color him white, and we'll color his beak yellow, and we'll give him some eyes, and I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. Okay, something is wrong with his arms. Okay, that only made the problem worse. Okay, I don't know how to fix this. This is good enough. Alright, his head moves really weird as well, but other than that, I think he looks fine. Okay, I'm lying. It's definitely not fine. Let's spawn a baby Quaxley. Okay, this is even worse. What is wrong with his head? I'm getting rid of this one. Let's see if I can catch Quaxley in a Pokeball. Okay, this joke really isn't funny. Let's spawn a Quaxley army, and let's have them all follow me. I finally have my own duck army. Subscribe to join the duck army. Alright, I'm going to give Quaxley a 5 out of 10. I like him, but he's too broken. It's time for the next mob.
Next I made Magikarp.
Let's make his body smaller, and we'll color him orange. Now let's color in his fins, and we'll color his back fin white. Now let's give him some eyes, and that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, I should probably spawn him in water. Honestly, I'm surprised with how this turned out. He looks really good. Let's spawn a Magikarp army. Is there a baby salmon? No, there isn't. I wonder if these guys will fight an axolotl. No, but the axolotl will fight them. Let's try to grow him into a Gyarados. Okay, this isn't working. I guess Magikarp is boring in Minecraft as well. I almost forgot the Pokeball test. This doesn't even make sense. How am I throwing snowballs in water? Alright, I'm going to give Magikarp an 8 out of 10. He looks good, but he's boring. It's time for the next mob.
Next I made Charizard.
Let's color his body fully orange, and we'll turn these spikes into his ears. Now let's color his head orange, and we'll make his mouth light red. Now let's give him some teeth, and we'll also add his eyes. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. Although I have no idea why he has 2 tails. He didn't even have a tail in Blockbench. Also, his neck looks different as well. That's so weird. Let's see if we can catch Charizard in a Pokeball. Alright, it's not working. Charizard is probably more of a Master Ball type anyway. Okay, Charizard is perching. Just imagine he's breathing fire right now. Alright, I'm going to give Charizard an 8 out of 10. I think he looks pretty good. It's time for the next mob.
Next I made Mew.
Let's remove the legs, and we'll add a head. Now let's color the head and body pink, and we'll add his legs. Now let's add his arms, and we'll rotate his arms and legs a little bit, and I think that turned out pretty good. Let's see it in game. Okay, that doesn't actually look bad, but the eyes are off center somehow. Out of all the Pokemon I've made, Mew definitely looks the best. The sounds he makes is really weird though. Let's see a baby Mew. Oh my god, it's literally so small. This is probably an accurate size for a bee though. Let's spawn an army of Mews. Okay, the sound has gotten way worse. What if I attack a Mew? Oh god, this is not good. The sound has gotten even worse now. It sounds like a tiny airplane trying to take off. Alright, I give Mew an 8 out of 10. It turned out pretty good. It's time for the next mob.
Next I made Charmander.
Let's delete his back legs, and we'll change his body shape a bit. Now let's make his mouth look open, and we'll color the back of his mouth pink. Now let's give him some eyes, and we'll give him a couple nostrils as well. Okay, that looks kind of weird. Let's see it in game. Okay, this just doesn't look like Charmander. I think this is the Digimon version, honestly. He looks kind of like the car insurance guy. And of course, the texture is broken in random places. Let's see a baby Charmander. I don't know why I always try to spawn a baby creeper. Let's spawn a Charmander
army. Now let's see if Charmander can defeat an enemy Squirtle. Wow, this fight is amazing. Pokeball test. Nope. Let's see the supercharged Charmander. How is he burning? He's literally a fire Pokemon. This is probably the best the charge has looked on any custom creeper. Charmander, use self-destruct. Oh no, he killed the other charged creeper. Wait, that dropped a creeper head though. Alright, I give Charmander a 6 out of 10. He looks kind of strange. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Squirtle. Let's color his head and arm thingies blue, and we'll also color his legs. Now we'll add a white outline around the shell, and I'll trace over the shell with different shades of brown. Alright, just one more color left. That looks pretty good. Now we'll make his head a bit bigger, and we'll give him some purple eyes, and we'll add white to the outside. Next, let's give him some tiny eyebrows, and we'll give him a smile that doesn't look weird at all. Now let's make his spirally tail, and that looks good. Let's see him in game. Okay, let me know if you guys see the problem. It's kind of hard to spot. I don't really know how this happened, so I guess we'll just ignore that. But other than that, he looks fine. How does the baby look? I was hoping the baby was the size of a regular Squirtle because this guy is clearly too big. Alright, Squirtle army. Okay, I have to fix the floating thing. Okay, that looks a lot better. Squirtle, use Bubble Beam, or whatever move he has. Oh wait, I have to catch him first. Nope, the Pokeballs still don't work. I wish I had made him smaller because right now he's bigger than Blastoise. Alright, I give Squirtle a 6 out of 10. He just doesn't look that good. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Psyduck. Alright, let's delete all this, and we'll just get rid of his eyes as well. Now let's try to shape this into a duck, and we'll color it all in yellow. Now let's give him duck feet, and we'll color them a lightish yellow. Now we can give him a beak, and we'll color this the same color as his feet. Now we can add some little arms on each side, and we'll make his lizard-like tail. Now we can add the black tufts of hair to the top of his head, and we'll give him some eyes. Alright, that doesn't look terrible. Let's see it in game. Oh my god, that actually looks good other than the walking animation. Okay, that might not be normal. To be fair, the walking animation would kind of fit him if it wasn't broken. Let's see a baby frog. Oh yeah, that's a tadpole. Let's see Psyduck eat a slime. Okay, the slime probably has to be smaller. Oh my god, that is so cursed. Isn't this an achievement or something? Oh, I give Psyduck a 6 out of 10. He's just too cursed. It's time for the next mob. Next I made Pikachu. Let's color him fully yellow, and we'll make his nose black. Now let's add his eyes, and we'll give him his red cheeks and a little pink mouth. Now let's shrink his ears a bit, and we'll color the top of them black. And now we can add his lightning bolt tail, and we'll move this there. That shape looks pretty good. Now we just need to color it in. And we'll make sure the bottom of his tail is brown. That looks good. Let's see it in game. Okay, he actually turned out pretty good. Look at the baby one. Look how small he is. Pokeball test. Why does it never work? Pikachu army. One fox could ruin it all. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Oh, what is he doing right now? I just can't believe how small the baby Pikachu is. It's like a mouse. I give Pikachu a 10 out of 10. I mean, how could you not? It's time for the next mob. Next I made Snorlax. Let's color him in greenish blue first. Now we'll change the shape of his ears. Let's make his face whitish. And we'll do the same for his belly. Now we can add his sleeping eyes, and we'll give him a smile, with a couple of teeth. Now we can color his legs the same color as his face, and we'll add little brown circles to them as well. And now finally we can give him some claws, and we'll color them white. I think that looks decent. Let's see it in the game. Yo, that actually looks pretty cool. And baby Snorlax? Yo, he's doing a roll. Ignore the missing texture on his head. Let's give them some bamboo. Apparently the small ones don't eat it. I don't know what you're talking about, the head is fine. I'm pretty sure Snorlax is supposed to be sleeping. We have to do a Pokeball test. Nope. Alright, I give Snorlax an 8 out of 10. It would be a 10 if he could sleep. Time for the next mob. Next I made Gengar. Let's delete his body and back legs, and we'll move his head down. Now let's color him light purple, and we'll add some tiny arms on the side. Now let's add the spiky parts on his head, and we'll give him some red eyes. Now let's draw his mouth, and we'll give him some angry eyebrows. And finally, let's give him some pupils. And I think that looks good. Let's see it in game. Okay, I don't know if that looks good or bad. I have no idea why his face is off center. Oh god, why does his head move like that when he's walking? Let's see if Ash can catch Gengar. Okay, I don't think he's interested. Let's see if I can catch Gengar. Nope, it's still not working. Let's spawn an army of Gengars. Okay, now Ash is interested in the Gengars. Let's see a supercharged Gengar. Oh god, they're all on fire. I don't know why I keep doing this. It never works. Let's see if Gengar can kill Ash. Yeah, I don't think that's what happens in the show. Alright, I give Gengar a 6 out of 10. I don't know why his face isn't centered.